What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 13 MT. Chapter 441 Saitama. Let's do it. The Old Man. Advertisement. While Luo Hao was speaking, the space that was crushed by Saitama's fist had been restored as before. Really recovered. Seeing this scene, Kyu breathed a sigh of relief. After all, this is someone else's space. If you break it, you have to pay for it. But when he thinks of his shy pocket, he really can't afford it. Now seeing that the space will repair itself, he finally no longer has to worry about losing money. Go ahead, old man. For the sake of your beard turning white, I will let you make the first move. After seeing that this space can really make him toss, Saitama's mood is flattered. 463, but because he smashed the space with his fists, he didn't do any more warm-up exercises, and waved to Whitebeard directly. Let me go first. A tic-tac-toe appeared on Whitebeard's forehead. He is the strongest man in the world. When have you been so underestimated? Don't think that you can smash the first ball space with a fist. Laozi is afraid of you. Laozi told you, I am surprised you. Sage mode on. After pondering for so long, Whitebeard finally comprehended and mastered Sage mode. Although it is only the basic version of the Sage mode of the Three Holy Lands, he has successfully cultivated it, and it is a perfect Sage mode. With the changes in the pupils and skin, Whitebeard is clearly in the Sage mode of Raichi Cave. That is the first Sage mode that Luo Hao first came into contact with. Oh, it seems to be a lot stronger. Saitama was amazed, but his expression was still blank. Advertisement. Especially his eyes, like a fool. Let Whitebeard on the opposite side see it and get angry. How much he looked down on himself to show such a foolish look. Even if you are really One Punch Man, you must not underestimate Laozi like this. Sage art wood style true several thousand hands. Faced with Saitama's expression, Whitebeard was furious. He directly sacrificed his strongest Sage art wood style, and wrapped armament hockey around every wooden arm. Turning Buddha on the top. With Whitebeard's low shout, 3,000 fists wrapped around the superior armament hockey blasted at Saitama at the same time. Just where the fist passed, an incomparably huge storm was set off in the first ball space. When these fists bombarded Saitama, it immediately triggered a huge explosion that shook the world. In an instant, the ground ball space was completely rewritten by Whitebeard's blow. Even the starting ball space was shaken. A large space distortion visible to the naked eye appeared. Apparently, Whitebeard's blow was really desperate. If you don't make a move, it's enough. Once you make a move, do your best. It's just that when all the fists were thrown out and the smoke and dust all over the sky slowly dissipated, Kyu's unshaven appearance was now in everyone's sight. Zhang Chulin. Sure enough, it is Kyu the Great Demon King, even his clothes are not broken. Acetus. What material is his clothes made of? Aizen Sosuke. I didn't see any energy appearing, it should be that he directly used the same force to completely counteract Whitebeard's attack, so his clothes didn't shatter. Cheomung. Pure physical strength. I finally saw a monster like Mr. Hokage. Although Saitama didn't make a move, but seeing this scene, all the members of Fulian have already felt what is called One Punch Man. 0. Humans who have lifted the limiter. Advertisement. It really opened my eyes. Did not practice any power system. What the hell, it's just a few blind runs for a while, and a few push-ups can make you look like this. This is the first time I have seen someone who is even more unreasonable than me in terms of cultivation efficiency. Luo Hao stared at Kyu with a bit of a dumbfounding expression on his face. His cultivation speed and his cultivation efficiency are beyond the reach of others. But Kyu is even more unreasonable. What push-ups, what running can practice to this point? What an unreasonable cultivation efficiency this is. It's useless. Although Whitebeard was mentally prepared, when he saw that his attack didn't even break Saitama's clothes, his heart sank to the bottom. But he really made it impossible for him to apologize to a newcomer because of his good face. After all, he pretended in front of all his skirt friends. Even if she is crying now. No, it should be to embellish the pursuit when she is dead. Otherwise, he, Whitebeard, will not have the face to hang out in the skirt chat in the future, nor will he continue to accept his son in Thousands of Worlds 2.1. It's amazing. You are the strongest human being I have ever met. No, if you count the weirdos, you are also the strongest. Except him, of course. Kyu exclaimed, then glanced at Luo Hao. Obviously, this refers to Luo Hao other than him. Can you change your silly expression when you praise Laozi? You look like this, Laozi can't feel that you are praising me at all. When Whitebeard saw that Saitama was praising him, his eyes were still blank, and seeing it made people die. Advertisement. Chapter 442 One Punch. Whitebeard is gone. Advertisement. Why is it so difficult to wait on? Say you can't, and praise you can't. Saitama looks like your temper is too difficult to serve. Is your expression really the way you should compliment someone? Maybe it's a mismatch. It may also be that if you fail to pretend to a newcomer, you will be grassed. Whitebeard just looks at Saitama very disliked. Never mind. What a hassle. I'll kill you with one punch. Saitama shook his head, then slowly raised his right tail. This action of his immediately made everyone in the chat room stare at him intently. At the same time, it also made Whitebeard swallow all the words that came to his mouth, and then he couldn't put on a look like an enemy. Come, Laozi doesn't believe you can kill Laozi with one punch. Whitebeard said so in his mouth, but he was full of virtue in his heart. This is the master who can crush the first ball space with just a fist. After this punch, can Laozi retain all 30 households? Looking good, Saitama still looked dumb, but the moment he swung his fist in the air, Whitebeard froze. He just felt that everything in the whole world disappeared without a trace, leaving only a fist with a red leather glove. The fist that puts the Buddha is the only thing in the world, and the fist that puts the Buddha is everything in the world. Occupy Whitebeard's sight completely. Advertisement. Laozi will die. Whitebeard watched in astonishment as Saitama's fist gradually swung towards him. Obviously Saitama didn't use any ability to shock or restrain the spirit and body, just simply punched, but it instantly shattered the king's spirit with the middle beard to the point where the car disappeared. His spirit and courage were all crushed to pieces in front of Saitama's fist. During this process, he couldn't do anything, and he couldn't do anything. He could only wait for death with a dull expression. Seeds. How stupid that Whitebeard guy is standing there. Aizen Sosuke. Should be intimidated. One Punch Man lives up to its name. Zhang Chulin. That's right, Lao Jie should have been intimidated by the aura contained in Teacher Saitama's fist. Cheomong. I can already imagine his end. Seeing this through the live broadcast, everyone has already predicted what will happen to Whitebeard. If nothing else, Whitebeard must die. Boom. Under the gaze of so many eyes, Kyu finally swung it down. With a loud noise, the terrifying fist wind erupted unscrupulously. Nuo Da's first ball space is shaking wildly. A series of cracks that covered the entire ground of the first ball space stretched out like a giant python with no end in sight. The terrifying fist wind rolled up countless sand and dust, covering the sky of Nuo Da. Just one punch. Just the wind of the fist tore the entire ground of the first ball space. Just the fist wind set off a sandstorm that covered the sky and covered the entire sky of the first ball space. Seeing the momentum caused by Kyu Damawang's punch, everyone except Luo Hao was stunned. As for Whitebeard, after seeing Saitama's punch, every skirt friend has only one thought in his heart. ... exclamation mark. And it went very peacefully. Advertisement. Such a terrifying punch. It is impossible for Whitebeard to catch it, and there is no possibility of feeling pain at the same time. It must be that under one punch, the soul, body, and consciousness will all disappear in smoke. Okay, this is over. Beyond most expectations. When the dust cleared, Whitebeard was still standing alive. Saitama's fist stopped a centimeter from Whitebeard's forehead. He glanced casually at Whitebeard, then flicked two fingers lightly on Whitebeard's forehead. With a bang, Whitebeard, who looked dazed and had recovered from the poison brought by Saitama's punch for a long time, had already flew thousands of meters away. Although he flicked Whitebeard away with two fingers, everyone could see that he didn't kill him, and he didn't even have the idea of seriously injuring Whitebeard. The flick of those 2090 fingers just simply knocked Whitebeard into the air. Forget it this time. Remember, don't say any more in the future, do some words and things that are blasphemous to heroes. Saitama clapped her hands. If it's weirdo, that punch has already been delivered. But he realizes that Whitebeard is human, not a weirdo. Since he wasn't a weirdo, he certainly wouldn't kill Whitebeard because of a verbal argument. At most, it is just a small punishment and a big warning, so that Whitebeard will stop desecrating the identity and profession of the hero. Laozi is not dead. Whitebeard, who was lying in the deep pit, finally came to his senses at this time. When Saitama swung his fist just now, he just felt that the scene in front of him disappeared. Apart from that red fist, there is only one death word. At that moment, he was even ready to die. Unexpectedly, Kyu finally withdrew the fist that could kill gods and Buddhas, and just flicked him lightly. Advertisement. Chapter 443. The terror dominated by the great demon King Saitama. Advertisement. Zhang Chulin. Daddy has saved his life. Seeds. Whitebeard will be wiped out if that punch comes true. Aizen Sosuke. It is estimated that Rinne Tensai technique will not know if he can revive him by then. Cheomong. Although it was my father who was beaten, I still feel very gratified and moved to see Kyu, a newcomer, do what I wanted to do back then, but I never dared to do it, and I was not able to do it. Everyone thought Whitebeard was going to die. Especially Zhang Chulin and Cheomong, the two of them even chatted privately and planned how to inherit Whitebeard's inheritance after he was hammered to death by the Saitama Demon King. Unexpectedly, Whitebeard survived. This made the pair of unfilial brothers sigh inwardly, but at the same time they could only put away the idea of inheriting Whitebeard's legacy. Laozi was actually beaten by a cute newbie. Although Whitebeard lying in the deep pit survived, he didn't have the joy of surviving after the catastrophe. Instead, his face became very ugly. He knew that although he had regained his life this wave, he had lost all his face. In the future, the position of Qunchao's third top spot will not belong to him. The most important thing is that this wave made him lose all face. In the future, let alone pretending in front of newcomers, even if he wants to continue to develop his great career of adopting a son in the skirt chat, it will be greatly affected. Damn it. Strength. Laozi is the strongest man in the world. Boy Luo can obtain such a powerful force, there is no reason why Laozi can't. God Tree, Hogyoku, and Devil Fruit. Whitebeard gritted his teeth and got up, then opened the passage back to the world of One Piece. If you lose, you lose. He, Whitebeard, isn't ready to lose yet. However, being pressed and rubbed by Saitama on the ground aroused the blood and courage of the strongest man in the world. He wants to get back on the field. Advertisement. The label of the strongest man in the world that he wants to bear on his head is not only applicable in the world of One Piece, but also applicable in the skirt chat. Acedes. Your father has run away, don't you go to comfort him. Cheomong. A man like Dad will not be defeated by a temporary blow. He should go back to the world of One Piece to lick his wounds, and at the same time try his best to find strength, and then find Saitama to fight alone. Zhang Chulin. Forget it, the strength of the great demon King Kyu is unfathomable. Except for Boss Luo, there is no one in our skirt chat who is alone with him. Zhang Chulin. Although he is my father, I still don't like him. Aizen Sosuke. Is Saitama-sensei really that strong? Zhang Chulin. Just one punch can blow back an attack that is enough to destroy the earth, and the wind of the fist can kill a monster that can release an attack that destroys the earth, and has regeneration ability no less than yours. Do you think Dad needs to practice? How many years will it take to reach this level? Billion's words made everyone in the chat once again feel the terror of the great demon King Saitama. At this moment, they all know. Except for Luo Hao, Hunchao is probably about to enter an era dominated by two major demon kings. I just don't know which of these two demon kings is better. You really didn't kill the killer. In the first ball space, Luo Hao couldn't help laughing after watching Saitama choose to stop at the last moment. He's not a weirdo. It's just a spat. How could I kill someone? After all, killing is illegal. Moreover, he seems to be your man. I will always give you face. Saitama's words made Kakuzu twitch in the mouths of many skirt friends in the skirt chat. Then I want to thank you for giving me this face. Luo Hao shook his head and laughed. He knew Saitama wasn't lying. Advertisement. There are countless weirdos who died at the hands of the great demon King Saitama. But there seems to be none of the human beings who died at the hands of the great demon King Saitama so far. Even Sonic, who kept provoking him and wanted to kill him, he just drove him away every time. As long as he is not a weirdo, as long as he has not trampled on Saitama's bottom line, then he will basically not kill. Stop talking about this. Can you give me a punch? Saitama simply put the Whitebeard matter aside. For him, the Whitebeard matter was as small as it could be. In comparison, what he wants to do the most right now is to have a touch with Luo Hao. He trusts his feelings, just like in a dream. In my dream, I also encountered an existence that could make his blood boil. Although it was just a dream, Luo Hao standing in front of him gave Qian's the feeling of a strong person he met in a dream. Sure, Luo Hao nodded happily. After the newcomer Saitama entered the skirt, he couldn't wait to come to the world of One Punch Man, not to deal with Whitebeard's shit. But to meet Saitama himself. Really, he was not disappointed. From the very first moment he saw Saitama, he knew that One Punch Man lived up to his reputation. This is definitely the man he has been looking for. Yamamoto Genryusai can't stand his finger. After learning Sage Mode, Keigayaji, with her two sons and a family of 3 standing side by side, couldn't bear his punch. But Saitama in front of him can definitely bear it. Advertisement. Chapter 444 I advise you to be kind, Billion. Advertisement. Zhang Chulin. Sure enough, Boss Luo is itchy. Aizen Sosuke. A war between the administrator and the big devil. I just don't know which one is the real One Punch Man. Whitebeard. Boy Luo, don't disappoint Laozi, this little bald head must be hammered to death. Cheomong. Father, this is not like your style. Why do I feel that you seem to be unhappy with Teacher Kyu? Zhang Chulin. Father, with all due respect, if it's different from usual, you should kneel and lick Teacher Kyu at this time. Acetus. You can't afford it, can you? Whitebeard. Laozi can't afford it. Laozi admits his strength, but Laozi just doesn't like seeing him. What kind of look does he have? He looks like an idiot. Whitebeard. When I think of Laozi being beaten on the ground by such stupid eyes, Laozi will be furious. Seeing this scene, Billion sighed secretly. Indeed. The eyes of Saitama the Great Demon King are really infuriating. But helpless, who made him the Great Demon King Saitama? Even though his stupid 200-like eyes are quite annoying, but he can't stand the fact that others are One Punch Man. Aizen Sosuke. Forget it, if you lose, you lose. If you are unhappy, he will plant a variety of sacred trees. Sooner or later, he will catch up with him. Acedes. I'm just kind of wondering how on earth he has such power. Whitebeard. I'm also very strange. This damn little bald head doesn't have any energy breath, no energy like chakra, haki, chi, spiritual power, etc. It's just that the physical power has changed to ultimate. Cheomong. I've seen it, he's only in his 20s, I really don't know how he cultivated such a powerful physical strength. Advertisement. Zhang Chulin. Do you want to know? Aizen Sosuke. You know. Whitebeard. Say it, Laozi will share more chakra fruit. Acetus. Ditto. Cheomong. I have no opinion. Aizen Sosuke. I'll give you a captain level Zanpakuto. Zhang Chulin. No problem. Hearing that Billion actually knew how Saitama cultivated to this point, that is to say, she had mastered Saitama's cultivation method, everyone except Luo Hao took out paper and pen while looking at Hunchao, the deputy prepares to carefully record the training method of the great demon King Saitama told by Billion. You have cultivated your body to this extent when you were only in your 20s. Saitama-sensei's cultivation method must be very mysterious and difficult at the same time. But as long as I master it, plus Hogyoku and chakra fruits, I should be able to surpass Saitama-sensei. On the throne of Zai Palace, Aizen Yukai held a notebook in one hand and a pen in the other, and a bright future appeared in his mind. Cheomung, are you ready? In the world of cutting the red pupil, a seed said to Cheomung. I have prepared all advanced instruments. Once I know Teacher Saitama's cultivation method, I will use it to analyze and calculate, and see if I can deduce a better cultivation method than him. Cheomung directly fully opened up the equipment he was going to use, and his super high IQ followed the practice stage method of the great demon King Saitama. Advertisement. Damn little bald head, just wait for me. After Laozi knows your cultivation method, he will definitely push you to the ground and beat you. Whitebeard, who has only recently started to read and finally escaped the category of illiteracy, picked up his most hated pen and prepared to record the cultivation method of Saitama the Great Demon King in order to avenge being R******D for failing to pretend. To avenge shame. Illiterate Whitebeard is fighting too. I advise you to be kind, Billion. Luo Hao saw that the members of Kunchat fell into great turmoil because of Billion's words, and he couldn't help shaking his head. He could already imagine what would happen to Billion in the future. It's a pity that Billion has now accepted Aizen Sosuke's Zanpakuto, and has finalized the distribution ratio of the fruit of the sacred tree with Whitebeard, Seeds and others. There is no way to turn back, and there will be no turning back. After all, he won't give up what he got, even if he kills him. And Luo Hao didn't say a word, just quietly watching Bai Lian rely on such a little foresight to die. Aizen Sosuke. Okay, Chulin. Zanpakuto has been sent to you, you can talk now. Zhang Chulin. No problem, in fact. Teacher Kyu was just an ordinary human being who was too ordinary 3 years ago, but he regained his former heroic status in a heroic rescue of a child, that is, in a battle with a weirdo. Fun, so start exercising hard to be a hero. Whitebeard. Coming. Seeds. I guess Saitama either got one of the world's most powerful techniques from One Punch Man, or has an unknown and terrifying bloodline hidden in his body, or got a huge opportunity. Cheomung. Novels are written like this. After the hero saves the child, of course he will become stronger if he has a goal to fight for. Aizen Sosuke. Could it be that there is some mysterious force behind this child, who gave Saitama a huge reward afterwards, so he won the first pot of gold in life? Luo Hao. Can your imagination not be so rich? Advertisement. Chapter 445 Saitama, Hunyuan Xingyi Taijikuan. Seems very powerful. Advertisement. Seeing in the skirt chat, every member started to why about the reason why Saitama became so powerful, Luo Hao couldn't help but cry. Sure enough, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Seeds. Alright, Billion, let's talk. Aizen Sosuke. I can't wait. Whitebeard. Laozi must beat this head to death, the iron little bald head. Cheomung. Chu Lan, it's finally time for you to come in handy. Faced with the urging of a group of skirt friends, Zhang Chulin no longer kept the secrets, but told the secrets of Teacher Kyu's cultivation bit by bit. Zhang Chulin. Mr. Kyu started the 3-year hellish training for him with this dream of becoming a hero. Aizen Sosuke. Here we come. Acetus. Say it, Whitebeard. Laozi has already got paper and pen to record. Cheomung. 3 years. It took only 3 years to change from an ordinary person to a one-punch man. What an amazing cultivation method. Zhang Chulin. In the past 3 years, no matter what happened, Mr. Kyu has been doing hell-style training of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 10 kilometers of long-distance running every day. Cheomung. I understand. After all, it's ordinary people who start. Of course, they need to do some warm-up exercises to let the body get used to it. Acetus. Indeed. Aizen Sosuke. No matter how powerful the strong are, they are cultivated by ordinary people. Whitebeard. This bald boy is also very down to earth, he doesn't have too high aspirations, he has such a powerful cultivation method in his hands, but he still carries out such ordinary and steady warm-up exercises. Cheomung. Okay, Chu Lan, needless to say about the warm-up exercise, you should just tell the secret of Teacher Kyu. Zhang Chulin. Didn't I say it all? This is the secret of Teacher Saitama turning from an ordinary person into a one-punch man. Advertisement. Seeds. Aizen Sosuke. 8883. Mewtwo. Aizen Sosuke. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 10 kilometers long-distance running hell training every day. He has been doing these training for 3 years. Zhang Chulin. That's right. Teacher Kyu relied on this very scientific training program to break through the limit of physical fitness time and time again, and finally broke the limiter of human beings, and forcibly became One-Punch Man. Whitebeard. Billion, I advise you to say everything you haven't said yet. Aizen Sosuke. Do you want to face death? Mewtwo. I can ask Lord Hokage to open a portal to your world. Seeds. I'm going to create some new means of torture, do you want to try it? Zhang Chulin. Big brothers, I didn't lie to you. Zhang Chulin. This is really Master Kyu's cultivation method. If you don't believe me, you can ask Mr. Luo. Seeds. Luo Hao, is this really the case? Whitebeard. Is the bald boy really doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 10-kilometer runs every day, and getting so powerful by doing things that kids can do? Quote. Aizen Sosuke. Really, Mewtwo. Master Hokage, I only believe in you. Cheomung. As long as you say a word, I will fly over and kill Billion immediately. 0 for flowers. Whitebeard. I give you permission to clear the portal. Advertisement. Zhang Chulin. Zhang Chulin. Boss Luo, please help me, at most I will give you half of what I got just now. Exclamation mark. Although Zhang Chulin once thought that after being fooled by herself, all the skirt friends in the skirt chat would explode, but I didn't expect that the crowd would be so turbulent. But he is also helpless. After all, he really didn't lie. This is really the training method for Saitama to transform from a weak chicken to the great devil king of Saitama. Unfortunately, Whitebeard and others, whose eyes were already red, did not listen to his reasons or his persuasion at all. Luo Hao. I've already advised you to be kind, Billion. Zhang Chulin. Boss Luo, help me. Acetus. Is what he said true? Aizen Sosuke. Master Hokage, please come out and clarify, there must be no such black sheep in our skirts. Luo Hao. Hey, although Billion is trying to die, he didn't deceive you. This is indeed Saitama's cultivation method. Acedes. Aizen Sosuke. Mewtwo. Whitebeard. Laozi doesn't believe it. How can such a child stuff make a Superman? Luo Hao. Because Kyu is such an unreasonable monster. Let alone this kind of child stuff, even if you give him a copy of the secret book of Hunyuan Xingyi Taijikwan, Kyu can just practice a few times blindly. Can become One Punch Man. Kyu. Hunyuan Xingyi Taijikwan. It seems very powerful. Saitama. Do you have this cheat book? I want to learn about corpses. Advertisement. Chapter 446 Talent is so unreasonable. Advertisement. Seeing that everyone is playing skirt chat, Kyu on the side can't help but join the skirt chat. Although, except for Luo Hao, everyone here is rubbish. But no matter what, he is a rare master. It's okay to fight with yourself a little bit at ordinary times. At most, you can control the power as much as possible. But these are not the most important. The most important thing is the Hunyuan Xingyi Taijikwan mentioned by Luo Hao, which made Kyu interested. It was the first time he had heard such a ridiculous name. It feels much more powerful than his secret cultivation method. Luo Hao. Hunyuan Xingyi Taijikwan is a bit advanced. If you are interested in 1, 2, 3, I can help you find it. Saitama. Thank you, Whitebeard. Bald boy, tell me, could it be that you really practiced this way to become One Punch Man? Saitama. Hey, now that you know everything, there's nothing you can do about it. Saitama. That's right, I used this secret training method to train from an ordinary person to where I am today. Zhang Chulin. You can see it. Not only Boss Luo, but even Teacher Kyu himself admitted it, I didn't lie to you. Acedes. Aizen Sosuke. Mewtwo. Whitebeard. Seeing that both Luo Hao and Saitama have admitted one after another, the dreams of Whitebeard and others were suddenly shattered. At this moment, they felt what talent is. It turns out that if something like talent is strong to a certain extent, it really can be unreasonable. This kind of training that children can complete can actually create a Saitama Great Demon King. Have you finished talking to them? Seeing that Luo Hao hadn't sent a message, Kyu immediately asked eagerly. Want to do it? The corner of Luo Hao's mouth raised. For Saitama, he is also full of expectations. Advertisement. Of course, Saitama's 5 fingers clenched into a fist again, and the space exploded again. Come, this space can bear another punch, it is still possible. Luo Hao beckoned to Kyu. It is good, as Kyu said, when he was about to rush towards Luo Hao, his footsteps stopped in vain, and then he reached out and patted his forehead. Almost forgot, I have a date. Can you send my apprentice, Genos, here? I made an appointment with him, and said that today I will accompany him to learn from each other. As he spoke, he folded his hands together, as if begging. Fund warrior. When Luo Hao heard Saitama mention Genos, he immediately thought of the one who in One Punch Man is the most chivalrous besides Saitama, and also the most heroic character, and when fighting monsters, he either underestimates the enemy or underestimates the enemy budget warriors on the road. Fund fighters. Well done for the name. I think Genos' equipment is very valuable after seeing it. Kyu immediately clapped her hands when she heard the name. Wait, seeing that Saitama misunderstood the meaning of funding fighters, Luo Hao did not correct him. Instead, he directly activated the ability of Yuzhong to transfer Genos who had already arrived at Saitama's house. Here is. Facing the sudden big change in space, Genos immediately looked around with a defensive face after he came back to his senses. Mr. Saitama, is this your ability? He breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Chi-Yu not far away. In Genos' view, this kind of space means can only be possessed by Saitama the Great Demon King. 0. I don't have the ability to do that. This is the ability of the administrator. Chi-Yu looked at Luo Hao, a knot flashed in his eyes. Advertisement. Obviously don't know Luo Hao's. Just call me Luo Hao, our 4th Hokage. Luo Hao introduced himself. Hi Mr. Luo, my name is Genos. He is Saitama Sensei's disciple. Hearing that Kyu said that Luo Hao has the ability to transfer space, he immediately said to Luo Hao solemnly. At this moment, he couldn't help but secretly said in his heart. Sure enough, no one who can be friends with the teacher is a simple existence. I just don't know who is stronger or weaker between the 4th Hokage and Saitama Sensei. Hello. Luo Hao nodded with a smile. That Genos. The discussion may have to be postponed for a while. After I finish fighting with Luo Hao, I will compete with you. Saitama apologized. For him, sparring with Genos is like playing with ants. There is no passion and anticipation. It's better to fight with Genos after punching with Luo Hao. 0.9. Mr. Kyu, do you want to compete with Mr. Luo? Janos. Eyes lit up. Yes, I can feel that Luo Hao is the strongest human being I've ever seen. Saitama looked impatient. That's Saitama-sensei. Mr. Luo, please forgive me for being rude. Upon hearing this, Genos first apologized, and then asked Luo Hao with a pleading face. Mr. Luo, I don't know if you can fight me first before you fight Saitama-sensei. As he spoke, he bowed to Luo Hao respectfully. Why? Luo Hao glanced at Janos, but didn't refuse immediately. Advertisement. Chapter 447 Genos. Don't hit the head, just rescue it. Advertisement. Before I made an appointment with Saitama-sensei, I wanted to learn from each other. I want to see the gap between me and Saitama-sensei, and see where I am lacking. But I know that Saitama-sensei is kind-hearted, and he will never do it seriously, or even play with me. So I hope Mr. Luo you can do me this favor. You are a strong person that even Saitama-sensei recognizes. I think your strength will definitely not be inferior to Saitama-sensei. Janos took off his coat while talking. What do you think of your disciple's request? Luo Hao looked at the great demon king Saitama. Ganos, you are too. He actually robbed me. Saitama glanced at Genos with a firm face and could only sigh helplessly. Okay, my disciple will entrust you. Keep your hands, don't beat him to death. He is also very concerned about Genos, a new disciple. After all, although he has the strength of unparalleled 30, he is still a human being in essence. He has been alone for so long, and after having Genos, his life is much more exciting. Mr. Luo, don't worry. I am a reformer. As long as you don't hit me on the head, even if you beat me to pieces, as long as you save me, I can still come back to life. After Genos took off his clothes, he revealed his metallic body. Since you are so persistent, come on. Luo Hao also wants to learn about the science system in the world of One Punch Man through Genos. With a teacher like Ant Snake, he is also worth a lot in science. Advertisement. But his Grandmaster is not about mechanical transformation, but about biology, genes, and heredity. The world of One Punch Man seems to have no unified power system and is extremely chaotic, but in fact it is a world where 100 flowers bloom. There are systems specializing in body, swordsmanship, martial arts, and more. There are also various superpower systems. Plus there's the science system. These scientific systems also involve biology, genes, transformation, machinery and more. Much stronger than the Hokage world, Shinigami world, and pirate world. Among them, there are countless strong people born because of the scientific system. In terms of mechanics, there are Genos and his like. Not to mention bio-modified ones. All kinds of modified monsters, life forms and so on. Purely relying on technological creations to create so many strong people, this is something that the worlds such as pirates, Shinigami, Hokage, elves, and red pupils cannot have. Mr. Luo, let the strong be the rich. Genos clasped his fists at Luo Hao, and then his eyes suddenly became as sharp as an eagle's. Before worshipping Saitama as his teacher, he was already a seasoned master. Even knowing that Luo Hao might be comparable to Saitama, he didn't hesitate. At least before the fight, he didn't give in. Really. As expected of the man Saitama-sensei wants to fight with. Exactly the same as Saitama-sensei. Use the scanning eye to scout his physique just like a normal person. Janos didn't do it the first time, but used the self-wearing function, scanning eyes. Can detect a person's physique. Advertisement. Just after using the scanning eye, he came to a conclusion. Like Saitama, no matter how you investigate, you are still an ordinary person. But the question is, will these two be ordinary people? One is One Punch Man. A thought can transfer himself from the earth to other spaces, so that he has no ability to resist. If these two were ordinary people, there would be no ordinary people in this world. Since we can't detect any data, we can only observe the opponent's strength through actual combat. Thinking of this, Genos blatantly broke out at the highest speed. With a bang, he rushed to Luo Hao with a gust of wind, and then he raised his leg and slashed at Luo Hao like a sickle. It's just that after the kick fell, he found that it landed in an empty space. Apart from crushing the ground where Luo Hao was standing just now, he couldn't even touch the corner of Luo Hao's clothes. Can it go any faster? Just when Genos was looking for Luo Hao's 147 figure, a finger was already on Genos' back. Before he could react, a huge force had already sent him flying 1,000 meters away. So fast. Genos flew upside down, and after dispelling the impact with the flames gushing from his hands and back, he immediately turned on the propulsion to the highest level, bursting out at a faster speed than before. Machine gun punch. Genos let out a low cry in his heart, and his fists enveloped Luo Hao like bullets from a machine gun. Too slow. Luo Hao took a step forward, he avoided all the fists of Genos, and then under the gaze of his rapidly contracting pupils, 10 fingers pointed at his chest. Just like before, Genos flew upside down and flew 1,000 meters away again. If it's a battle, it's natural to kill Genos with one blow. It's just a sparring session. Luo Hao didn't try his best, but let Genos show all his abilities. Let Genos feel the absolute gap between himself and him, and the level of Saitama Great Demon King in all aspects. Advertisement. Chapter 448 Use the most expensive special effects and play the lowest output. Advertisement. Is this the gap between me and Mr. Luo, the master at the level of the teacher? Genos, who was knocked 1,000 meters away again, stabilized his body, and looked at Luo Hao with horror. It is completely untouchable by One Piece Kakuzu. He knows very well that if Luo Hao wants to solve him, even using one finger is only a matter of thought. He has been able to fight until now, but Luo Hao let him exert all his strength in the battle as much as possible. Incineration Cannon. Thinking of this, Genos no longer hesitated. Pushing the speed to ultimate, dodging behind Luo Hao, he pushed forward with both hands. With a roar, the scorching air wave rolled up the smoke and dust and swept it around, and then the roaring flames spewed out from his hands in an instant, turning into a flaming cannon and devouring Luo Hao. Water-style water dragon bomb technique. Luo Hao points his fingers. There are no links. In the absence of water, a 1,000-meter-long water dragon was directly condensed and drowned Genos' incinerator in one mouthful. Zhang Chulin. Here we come. The most classic picture of Fund Warrior Genos. Acetus. What picture? Zhang Chulin. Genos is not the strongest in One Punch Man, but he is definitely the master who burns the most graphics cards and special effects, so every move of him consumes a lot of money. Zhang Chulin. The more he gets to the later stage, the more terribly his funds are burned, but at the same time he is also a strong man in One Punch Man who uses the most expensive special effects and hits the lowest output. Whitebeard. Why? Zhang Chulin. He is a reformer. Every time he is updated, he will become stronger, but every time he becomes stronger, he will encounter more powerful threats, and he will basically have a situation in the battle, which is bad. I underestimate the enemy. Aizen Sosuke. I can imagine that image. Zhang Chulin. Anyway, he is a typical Krypton Gold powerhouse, but it's a pity that he is surrounded by a group of aggressive teammates and enemies. Zhang Chulin. In other worlds, there is absolutely nothing to say about Kryptonite fighters, they are extremely powerful. But in the world of One Punch Man, if you don't have one or two on your body, you are not qualified to be called a strong man. Advertisement. Whitebeard. Damn bald. Children's basic exercises can be practiced to be invincible. When Zhang Chulin was popularizing the world of One Punch Man for a group of skirt friends, the financial warrior Genos was not discouraged after seeing that his incineration cannon had no effect, but raised his hands again. Maximum output incinerator. Genos let out a low cry. The flaming cannon, which was more than 10 times stronger than before, pierced through the atmosphere, and swept towards Luo Hao with terrifying air waves visible to the naked eye. Water-style great waterfall technique. Luo Hao lightly snapped his fingers. Compared with the water dragon just now, it was more surging, and the more choppy and turbulent waves suddenly flowed out of the void. This wave after wave of turbulent waves is like the water of the Milky Way, pouring down from under the 9 heavens. Even if Genos' incinerator is fired at its maximum power, it will be annihilated in an instant to the point where no sparks can remain. Totally useless. Seeing this scene, Genos opened his mouth wide in surprise, and at the same time put his hands down a little bit in a slump. Hado no. 4 white thunder. Luo Hao pointed out to Genos from a distance. Sheila. Suddenly, a white thunder shot out from the tip of his finger. Although this thunder light is not very thick, it contains invincible penetrating power. With one blow, a hideous mechanical hole was opened in Genos' chest. Although he is a cyborg, as long as his head is not damaged, he will be fine, but after being hit by Luo Hao's white thunder, his body fell limply to the ground, and his brain couldn't continue to direct his mechanical body to fight. Backquote so strong. Genos slumped to the ground. Compared with before, he has been updated and has become much stronger than when he met Saitama the Great Demon King. Advertisement. But in front of Luo Hao, he was like an ant. From the beginning to the end, it is held between the fingers. Genos, you don't have to be so discouraged. Wasn't the outcome obvious from the very beginning? Hiyu walked over to comfort him. Although the way he comforts people is not right. Teacher, if it was you, I would probably be like Luo Xian. Genos barely lifted his head. What is the same as Luo Hao? Saitama asked a little blankly. You can beat Qian Hao me with one blow. Genos said. It should be said that there is no need to hit it. The fist wind caused by one finger. No, it should be called finger wind. Yes, Zifeng is enough to defeat you. Qiyu pondered for a while seriously, and then gave the answer seriously. Sure enough, it was lifted like this. Hearing Saitama's words, Genos smiled wryly. The gap between myself and monsters at the level of Mr. Luo Hao and Saitama is really too big. I really don't know how many times it needs to be updated before he can see the backs of these two people. As for catching up with or surpassing these two, at this stage, he really didn't even dare to think about it. Both are two super monsters, how to catch up. Advertisement. Chapter 449 Genos, do you want to increase output? Advertisement. Looks like I'm going back to the doctor for a transformation again. Genos glanced at his body, which he couldn't even move. After this discussion, he discovered many shortcomings of himself as a reformer. For example, the powerlessness in the face of thunder and lightning. Just penetrating through his body, a seemingly small lightning caused his mechanical body to fail. This is a very dangerous thing. It seems that after going back, the doctor must be remodeled in this regard. At the very least, the body must be modified so that it is not afraid of lightning, or it can convert lightning into energy. Genos thought to himself. Because every time he plays, he will face a tough opponent, so every time he is beaten to pieces in a battle, he will make improvements according to his own shortcomings. Under the crazy Krypton Gold, his strength is also steadily increasing. It's a pity that it still can't change the result of him using the most expensive special effects and playing the lowest output. I think there should be a scientific person behind you to help you transform your body. You also plan to rely on repeated transformations to become stronger. 700 Luo Hao looked at Genos and said, yes, human strength is simply too weak. Compared to reformers. Of course you and Saitama-sensei do not belong to the category of normal human beings. I'm talking about human frailty when I was an ordinary human. Genos nodded. There is nothing to hide. Then have you ever thought about being a human being again, and then go on a different path? Or let's put it this way, do you want to play a little higher output? Luo Hao looked at Genos. A new life. Another way. Advertisement. But I'm already a reformer, so I shouldn't be able to change again. Even if I become stronger, I guess I can only go on this path. And, even if I could, I wouldn't want to change it. After all, I'm not Saitama-sensei. If it's a human body, I can't deal with those weirdos at all. Genos has a flash of regret in his eyes. No, you misunderstood me. What I'm talking about is not turning you into an ordinary human being. It is to let you continue to follow the current technological route, but it is not a technological creation, but a genetic creation. Luo Hao shook his head. Genetics. I am already a reformed person now, can I still change? Genos looked at Luo Hao in surprise. I don't deny that mechanical creations can also create destructive existences to a certain extent. However, according to my observation of the technological level of this planet, even those who have mastered the most powerful means of black technology can transform into a strong person whose potential is limited. At least it does not have the functions of self-evolution, repair, etc. Compared with mechanical creations, this planet is much more outstanding in terms of genetic creations. Many eccentrics are not born eccentrics, and many of them are transformed by technological means. Luo Hao said, but I'm already a cyborg, so I shouldn't be able to follow the path you said. Moreover, the doctor is good at mechanical modification, not genetic modification. Even if I turn back into a human, he can't help me. Genos also wants to try. After all, if it is a genetic creation, then he looks like a human being and can continue to grow stronger. In particular, you can follow Saitama to practice. Although Saitama's cultivation method really makes him a little embarrassed. I can turn you back into a human. Luo Hao's words made Genos suddenly look up at him. Advertisement. Really, Mr. Luo, can I really turn back into a human? Janos' tone trembled a little. Although he is not dissatisfied with the current state, he is also grateful for the doctor's transformation from the bottom of his heart. But if he can be a human being and become stronger through transformation like he is now, then of course he is willing to be a normal person, even if it looks normal. At least the feeling of flesh and blood is definitely far better than the cold machinery. Not only can you turn back into a human, but you can also have extraordinary power. Luo Hao nodded. Although his genetic creation is not purely biased towards technology, but a creation based on chakra and supplemented by technology, it is exactly the same and does not rely too much on the help of equipment. All it takes is chakra. However, some large-scale transformations also require mechanical assistance, which is also safer. But if it's just to turn Genos back into a human, then it doesn't need to be so troublesome. Mr. Luo, please help me. Genos will never forget your grace of reinvention. If it wasn't for the fact that his body was hit by white thunder and he couldn't move, he would have been so excited that he bowed to Luo Hao. Need not. I'm just looking at you. What's more, for me, it's just a matter of raising hands. Luo Hao waved his hand. In One Punch Man, there are a lot of cheats. There are so many people with distinctive personalities. But there are very few who can truly be called heroes. Saitama bald in front is one. But he is interested in being a hero. Genos is the opposite. In order to save a little girl whom he had never met before, he could have risked his life in a life and death battle, and in the end he almost died. And it happened more than once. Advertisement. Chapter 450 Saitama. So strong, I also want the power of the tailed beast. Advertisement. This kind of self-sacrifice to others, even to the point of not wanting his own life, Luo Hao asked himself that he couldn't do it, but it didn't hinder his appreciation of Genos. It is precisely because of this that he will give Genos a chance to choose. Anyway, for him, this is just a snap of his fingers. Like Uzumaki Naruto, who simply received the gift of Sage of Six Paths, who knows little about chakra, can recreate eyes, live to the death and bones. Let alone him. Even Sage of Six Paths can create life, he is naturally more than Sage of Six Paths. Shinigami trees are the perfect example. After all, the power of the Shinigami tree is beyond doubt, and she is also a super life form. In fact, he and Orochimaru have created human beings, and human beings with the blood succession limit, world, a few years ago. Maybe to Mr. Luo, this is just a small matter, but to me it is, the grace of regeneration. In the future, whenever I can use Genos, as long as you open your mouth, Mr. Luo, even if it is a mountain of swords and seas of fire, I will never frown. Genos said solemnly. Okay, let's talk about this later. I have a few options for you. Pick one yourself. Luo Hao waved his hand, and then Zhongwuri. Immediately above his palm, vivid pictures appeared one after another. The first is a behemoth with 9 soaring tails. The second was a humanoid creature in bony armor. The third is that the appearance is the same as the appearance, Fangfo is an ordinary person. This time, not only Genos, but even Saitama surrounded him curiously. 3 options. It is also the 3 transformation methods I have mastered so far. Advertisement. In the first one, I will transform you into a life form between tailed beast and Jinchuriki. You can either turn into a tailed beast in battle, or turn back into a human being under normal conditions. It is a life form that uses chakra to fight. By the way, this is the signature power of the tailed beast. As Luo Hao spoke, he stretched out a finger to point at a mountain stretching 10 kilometers in the distance. As soon as he finished speaking, a purple reddish tailed beast bomb condensed on the tip of his finger, and then under Genos' dull gaze, the tailed beast bomb shot out with a whoosh. Bang! When the tailed beast bomb flew to the distant mountain, with a loud noise, the palm-sized tailed beast bomb instantly turned into a huge ball of light that devoured everything like a nuclear explosion. In an instant, a mountain stretching for 10 kilometers has been razed to the ground. The power of the tailed beast. Genos' face was full of shock. This power has completely surpassed him. Even if he can continue to transform and upgrade, he doesn't know how many times to transform and how many times to upgrade to reach this category. So strong. I also want the power of the tailed beast. Saitama's eyes lit up. He just thought it was like playing a game. Zoom in on the move and release it for a long-range attack. Unfortunately, he won't at all. After all, he is a pure human with the limiter turned on. Without cultivating any special abilities, it is very pure physical strength. Of course, as long as he wants, he can use his fists to make long-range attacks. With one punch, a shock wave was sent from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, which is not difficult for him. After all, this is a monster that can jump from the moon to the earth in one leap. 0 for flowers. Mr. Luo, what about the posture of turning into a tailed beast? May I have a look? Advertisement. Janos' eyes were also full of longing. Everyone's tailed beast pose is different. Take mine for example. This is my tailed beast form. Luo Hao's eyes turned into shining golden reincarnation Sharingan. Immediately afterwards, a vast golden light shot up into the sky. This majestic golden light turned into a 5-clawed golden dragon that soared 9 days and was thousands of meters long. It's so big. Janos' eyes were full of longing and awe. This power is a bit strong. Compared with Genos, what Saitama feels is completely different. Your tailed beast posture is naturally not like this. For Jinchuriki, the tailed beast form depends on what the tailed beast is inside him. And I will directly give you the power of a tailed beast, making you both a human and a tailed beast. So your tailed beast form should be like this. Luo Hao pondered for a moment, then spread his palms. A palm-sized fox with 9 tails immediately appeared in Janos' sight. A fox with 9 tails. Genos took a look and found that although there is no Luo Hao's 5-clawed golden dragon Hokage, looking down on the world, but it is also good-looking and responsible. This is 9 tails. It used to exist, but was shot dead by my Shinigami tree, leaving only his chakra. If you choose this path, I will give you the power of 9 tails. Makes you both Genos and 9 tails. The question is, do you want to be 9 tails? Genos. Luo Hao said spoon. Advertisement. Chapter 451 9 tails. Shu, weird, choose one of 3. Advertisement. At the time of the Fourth Ninja World War, Wei, 8 tails and 9 tails chose to betray, and were finally shot to death by Shinigami tree. But the chakra of these 3-tailed beasts remained. These chakra were later given to him by the Shinigami tree. The power of 9 tails is extremely precious in the ninja world. But it is the same for Luo Hao. Plant a sacred tree, and there will be a 10 tails immediately, and a 9 tails. For him now, 1 tail to 9 tails are completely as souvenirs, which can be given casually. Yes I do, but Mr. Luo, can I hear the last 2? Genos almost couldn't bear the 1, 2, 3, and agreed. The second is to transform you into a creature called Shu. This is also an existence that can be continuously cultivated and evolved. The appearance remains human at the beginning, and when the mask is broken, it will be no different from ordinary people, but it has power beyond ordinary human beings. And after breaking the shackles of Shu, you can also master the power of Shinigami, use Zanpakuto, Kendo, Kido, Shunpo and White hits and other abilities. Quote. After Luo Hao finished speaking, he stretched out a finger. With a black light burst out from the tip of the finger, a jet black Sero shot up into the sky, and Setsuna split the sky apart. This is one of Hollow's signature powers, Sero. After becoming virtual, in addition to having Sero, it also has the ability of high-speed regeneration, ringing, devouring, etc. Like the 9 tails demon fox who has mastered chakra, Shu can continue to practice and evolve. If you are lucky and your physique happens to be of the high-speed regeneration type, then as long as you don't get blown off your head, you can completely regenerate. Luo Hao explained. Then, the last one. Genos was delighted to hear that. Advertisement. What a powerful force this is. No matter how you look at it, it seems to be much more promising than mechanical transformation. At least I don't have to lie on the laboratory table like a test product every time I am beaten to pieces and be transformed by the doctor. Although the doctor didn't mean that, as long as you are a human being, no one wants to lie on the laboratory table and be stabbed by someone. The last one, that's a little risky. You should be able to see that there are many weird people in this world. Some were transformed, and some were transformed by human beings due to various reasons and coincidences. But no matter what it is, weirdos have powers far beyond ordinary people. I can choose the most powerful monster, and then send you to my teacher, let him help you integrate the blood of that monster, and become as powerful as him. In other words, 9 tails, Shu, and Weird, choose one of the 3. Luo Hao said. Forget it then. I'll stick with 9 tails. As soon as Genos heard that he was going to become a weirdo, he immediately refused. Most people in this world don't want to be weirdos. After all, weirdos are going to be crusaded by the Hero Association, and they are also existences that gods and ghosts hate. And Genos has been chasing and killing all kinds of weirdos who endanger mankind, so naturally he doesn't want to be a weirdo. If you don't have a choice, it's fine. But now that he can become both a tailed beast and a void, why should he choose the strange person he hates the most? 9 tails, easy. Of the 3 transformations, the easiest for Luo Hao is to endow the tailed beast with the power. The second is Shu, and the last is the fusion of the blood of the weirdo. Advertisement. After all, he has never been in contact with weirdos. It is not difficult for Luo Hao to help Genos become a void, but the problem is that the process of becoming a void is also risky. Although this risk is not for him, but for Genos. In comparison, 9 tails is the easiest for him, and the safest for Genos. What should I do? Genos asked. 0. No need to do anything. Luo Hao reached out and pressed Genos' head. With a click, except for the head, all the transformed bodies of Janos were smashed to pieces. Help you change your body. Luo Hao pondered for a moment and thought of what kind of body he wanted to give Genos. The power of 9 tails, of course it has to match Ashura's physique. How to say Genos is also his first work in the world of One Punch Man, of course it needs to be created better. At the moment, he recreates the human body for Genos, following the template of Ashura, the son of the Sage of 6 Paths. As a black and white light enveloped Genos, all the lost flesh, internal organs, limbs, etc. outside his brain began to grow back at a speed visible to the naked eye. 5.6. In just tens of seconds, Genos seemed to be born again. The warm, strange feeling of flesh and blood that made him almost weep with joy returned again. As this, how the body feels. With a thought in his mind, Genos immediately clenched his 10 fingers into a fist. He has almost forgotten this strange feeling. Now that he has human flesh and blood again, he feels really happy in vain. Not only is the body back, but I don't feel physically the same as before. What a powerful vitality. Genos felt it seriously, and found that he was not as simple as regaining his flesh and blood. Advertisement. Chapter 452, Fist to Fist. Who is One Punch Man? Advertisement. Genos found that compared with the human body in the past, his current body seems to have inexhaustible power and vitality like a natural forest. Of course it's different. I endowed you with the body of a fairy, with huge vitality and physical energy. As long as you develop it well, even if you don't use the power of the tailed beast, you can still have powerful combat capabilities. At least stronger than you are now. Luo Hao has 5 fingers. Gone was the black and white light that blanketed Genos, replaced by a cloud of pure yellow chakra. Although this chakra looks only the size of a palm, it actually contains extremely terrifying energy. The moment when this strand of chakra is compatible with Genos. With his body as the center, a huge yellow chakra beam of light suddenly soared into the sky. Immediately afterwards, the chakra that wrapped his body produced a huge shape change at an astonishing speed. 30. In less than 10 seconds, this strand of chakra has turned into the form of the 9 tails demon fox. It looks like 9 tails from the ninja world. After all, this is the chakra of 9 tails, and now Genos has been given the posture of being both a human and a tailed beast. This is also the life form newly designed by Luo Hao and Orochimaru. Without the shortcomings of Jinchuriki, it has all the strengths of Jinchuriki at the same time. For example, unlike Jinchuriki, once you can't identify with the tail beast in your body, you can't become a perfect Jinchuriki, and you can't use all the power of the tail beast perfectly. Moreover, even if it is a perfect Jinchuriki, the chakra of the tailed beast belongs to the tailed beast in the body after all, not its own. But Genos is completely different now. He is like Luo Hao, like Kage. It is both a human being and a tailed beast at the same time. There is no need to put a tailed beast in the body, coax him slowly, and you don't need the permission of the tailed beast to mobilize his power. What a powerful force. I feel like I can blow a mountain off with one punch. Advertisement. At this time, Genos didn't completely turn into 9 tails, but was like Uzumaki Naruto's Kurama mode. The body of 9 tails was directly shaped by the huge tail beast chakra, and he himself stood on the forehead of 9 tails. Be confident, delete the word, feeling. Now you can indeed blow up a mountain with one punch. Luo Hao corrected. Thank you, Mr. Luo. Genos knelt down to Luo Hao with a grateful face. In this life, besides being a teacher and doctor of Kyu, he has only been to Luo Hao. Take advantage of the power of Sage Body and 9 tails. You haven't displayed a tenth of your power at all right now. Luo Hao casually threw a scroll over. It was the Cage Level Practice Guide that he wrote down casually when he was bored. It records in detail the practice method of chakra nature transformation among the yin-yang and 5 elements, as well as various ninjutsu in yin-yang and 5 elements. I will definitely work hard, and I will not let down the strength you gave me, Mr. Luo. Genos clenched his fist, and then said in a firm tone. That, Luo Hao, I don't know how to thank you for helping Janos so much. At this time, Saitama walked over while touching his head. As a teacher, in the end, he didn't teach his disciples anything, but let others teach him. Even Saitama, who doesn't care much about most things, is a little embarrassed. After all, My disciple has received a lot of benefits from others. Then he, as a teacher, can't be indifferent. Grateful is unnecessary. For me, it's just a snap of the fingers. I will help Janos, mainly because he is pleasing to the eye. Advertisement. You are quite good at accepting disciples. Luo Hao shook his head. Giving Genos the power of Sage Body and Nine Tails is like a billionaire tipping a stranger $100,000. Perhaps 100,000 yuan is a huge sum of money for this ordinary person. But for him, it is really a drop in the bucket, not worth mentioning. Of course, my eyesight is fine. Saitama raised the corner of his mouth slightly, with a proud look. But do you really not want me to thank you? Obviously, Genos has received so many benefits, he always feels a little sorry for not doing anything. Even if the person receiving O2O benefits is Genos, not him. Then what are you going to do to thank me? Although you have unparalleled strength in the world, apart from strength, you are so poor. Can't get anything out. Luo Hao looked at Kyu with a half smile. Ah, I seem to be really poor. Saitama's face darkened immediately. He found that he really couldn't do anything, except his own strength. But the problem is that his strength is obtained through his hard training, at most he can only pass on the precious training methods to others, and he really can't give others the rest. Come on, Janos' matter is settled. If you want to appreciate me, give me a good fistfight. After all, I have never been able to find someone who can take a punch from me. Quote. A flash of fighting intent flashed in Luo Hao's eyes. Then let's see who is the one-punch man. Hearing what Luo Hao said, Saitama immediately put these things behind her. Advertisement. Chapter 453 Aizen. I bet on an Ijukas, buy Saitama and win. Advertisement. Aizen Sosuke. Is it finally coming? Whitebeard. Laozi bet a devil fruit, boy Luo will kill the little bald head. Acedes. The person who fails to pretend but gets R*****D has great resentment. Whitebeard. Is Laozi this kind of person? Laozi can afford to lose, and he can let it go. The betting that boy Luo wins is purely because he is optimistic about him. Zhang Chulin. I won't gamble. Mr. Luo Lao Yamato Saitama is a famous one-punch man and one-punch man. No one knows how strong they are. Cheomeng. Father, I bet with you, I bet you with a nightmare god. Whitebeard. You bet on Saitama being bald. Mewtwo. I bet Master Hokage wins. Zhang Chulin. TCH, I thought you were a man, but I didn't expect you to be so cowardly. Aizen Sosuke. Since everyone is having so much fun, I'm here too. I've done this, so I'll buy Mr. Saitama. Anyone who buys Master Hokage and wins will receive an Ijuka's Arankar from me in the end. But if Chi Teacher Yu wins, and whoever sells Master Hokage wins, everything belongs to me. Acedes. One was pinned down by Saitama and rubbed on the ground, and the other was beaten to death twice by Luo Hao. No wonder the resentment is so great. Zhang Chulin. Your Majesty, don't you want to gamble? Acetus. With Taigu, bet on Luo Hao to win. Zhang Chulin. You really believe in Boss Luo so much? Teacher Saitama is one-punch man, and the limit of his strength is still a mystery. Seriously, even I don't know which one is stronger, Teacher Luo Yamato Saitama. Acedes. I don't know, but I believe that no traverser will have the habit of finding someone to beat him. Zhang Chulin. It makes sense. As long as the traversers who are a little bit good are not crazy, there are really few traversers who will take the initiative to fight. Aizen Sosuke. Having said so much, who do you buy? Advertisement. Zhang Chulin. Captain Aizen, ask weekly, can I stand on your side for a share of the pie? I will use the golden light curse as gambling money to support you. Aizen Sosuke. Okay. Just when Aizen Sosuke in the skirt chat was the banker in the skirt chat and started the bet with Luo Hao and Saitama as the winner, the two one-punch man had already started. After Luo Hao and Kyu in the first ball space looked at each other, the two moved. Neither of them played any earth-shattering special effects, they just dodged and rushed towards each other. But this is relative without earth-shattering special effects. When they moved, the speed was too fast, and a majestic windball enveloped the sky and the earth was rolled up in the first ball space. Neither of them had fisted yet. Just the wind ball generated when moving overturned the ground in the first ball space, and Setsuna made the open space of the first ball space fall into a cloudless state. Normal punch. Kyu looked at Luo Hao who was close at hand, although his eyes were still dull as always, but he was not dull at all when he moved his hands. Especially his fists. As soon as the fist covered with the red leather sheath was struck, the atmosphere in the entire space seemed to be condensed and compressed into ultimate, and then shattered. Terrifying power gathered at one point, and when it erupted outrageously, the earth and sky in the first ball space violently moved. Obviously, this punch has not yet been implemented, and it is just a punching movement, but the ground in the space where the ball started has split into a ground crack with no end in sight. Meanwhile, a daunting crack has emerged in the cloudless sky. And all this is just caused by Saitama's simple and ordinary punch. Advertisement. For a long time, Kyu has never tried his best when fighting with others, whether it is ordinary punches or serious punches. If he tries his best, even ordinary people can still unleash despairing destructive power. After all, as strong as Poros, he still couldn't catch Saitama's ordinary punch. As for the serious punch in the serious mode, there is no need to say more. Even if he was fighting Boros or Elder Centipede, he didn't really go all out. But now the great demon king Saitama is doing it for real. Even if it's just an ordinary punch, it's an ordinary punch with real power. With one punch, the power of the punch has obviously gathered at one point, and it hasn't exploded completely, but it has already turned the entire space of the first ball upside down. If this punch really bombards the space of the first ball, one punch is enough to make the space of the first ball return to nothingness. The power of this punch is much stronger than the inflated truth-seeking ball performed by Kagaya, Qian Nuo Zhao, Ji in Sage mode. Facing the oncoming fist of the great demon king Saitama, Luo Hao's eyes sparkled like never before. An ordinary punch is powerful enough to overwhelm Goddess of Mao's most inflated truth-seeking ball, and it's not the sage art inflated truth-seeking ball country. It is conceivable how terrifying the fist power of the great demon king Saitama is to such an unimaginable degree. It's getting more and more interesting. The corner of Luo Hao's mouth raised, and the 5 fingers of his right hand clenched into a fist. When Saitama punches Setsuna at him, his fist hits at the same time. Under the focused eyes of Genos and many other members of the skirt chat, the fists of the two finally collided together. Advertisement. Chapter 454 Breaking Your Space. Don't need me to pay. Advertisement. Boom. A loud noise louder than thunder and more violent than a nuclear explosion exploded at the moment when Luo Hao's fists collided with Saitama's. This loud noise was so deafening that it actually formed a sound wave visible to the naked eye. And it's not a circle, but like a wave, wave after wave spreading in all directions. At the same time, with the fists of the two men as the center, circles of shock waves that are tens of millions times more violent than sound waves are intertwined with the strength of the two fists, continuously colliding fiercely and plundering. Under these violent shock waves, the land with a radius of thousands of miles seemed to be shown by nuclear bombs one after another. The surface of the ground continued to sink, and cracks that wound encircled with almost no end in sight continued to extend out. The already cloudless sky was completely split. The first sphere space is far less solid than the Earth in the world of One Punch Man. 840. The two simply punched each other, even before the strength of the fist hit ultimate, before it was completely vented and exploded, the space for the first ball could no longer bear it. The Earth and the sky are collapsing, cracking, and shattering, and gradually the entire primordial space begins to vibrate visible to the naked eye. The whole space is as if it has entered the doomsday. In the void, space cracks that were as black as ink and could swallow everything like a Buddha continued to extend out one after another. Except for Luo Hao and Saitama, Genos, the only life in the first ball space, was completely stunned after seeing the scene in front of him. He is Saitama's disciple and the one who fought against Luo Hao. Originally, he thought that he had a little understanding of his teacher and Luo Hao's strength, but when he saw the horrifying scene in front of him, he deeply understood a cruel fact. He never knew Saitama from beginning to end, nor did he know Luo Ku. The strength that Saitama showed in front of him in the past was just a joke. Similarly, the strength that Luo Hao showed against him just now is not even a joke. At this moment, Luo Hao and Chi Yu are fighting each other, they are showing their strength in a small way. It's so scary. Is this really the power that humans can achieve? Advertisement. It's fine that Saitama-sensei is so scary, I never thought that there are people as scary as Saitama-sensei in this world. Genos smiled to himself. I actually thought I understood the strength of these two monsters. What's even more ridiculous is that I actually fought against one of the monsters just now. This is not a dimensional existence at all. Compared to the two in front of him, he is really too small. It's like the gap between an insignificant little ant crawling on the ground and a giant dragon soaring 9 heavens and watching the world. Boom. Just when Genos laughed at himself for being so ignorant just now, an overwhelming shock wave that tore the earth suddenly crushed towards him. Faced with this shock wave, Janos' expression changed drastically. He can't resist. DACD. Still can't resist when transforming people. Now I have Sage Body and I can't resist it. Just the aftermath was enough to kill him. At this moment, he has already reacted. The battle between Luo Hao and Saitama is not something he can watch. That's right, it's watching. The battle between such strong beings is simply not something that ordinary people can fight. Just the aftermath is enough to destroy everything. Seeing that Luo Hao and Kyu collided with each other casually, the fist wind that swept out was already more terrifying than a nuclear bomb explosion, and you can see how terrifying their punching power is. Under the terrifying threat of life and death, Janos, who had just acquired the power of 9 tails, instinctively released all the 9 tails chakra in his body. Advertisement. Boom. As the majestic yellow chakra soars into the sky, a huge 9 tails fox has protected him. It's just that the 9 tails demon fox, which is extremely powerful in the ninja world, was crushed to pieces by the wind of fist swept by Luo Hao and Saitama the moment it appeared. Damn, this space is not the earth. Where can I run to? Seeing this scene, Janos turned pale. At this moment, there was only one thought left in his mind. My life is over. This is not a place for you to hang around. Leave. Just when Genos thought he was going to die under a wave of fist wind, a voice sounded in vain from his ears, and then a black hole as black as ink appeared on the ground under his feet. It's Wonquan Hirosaka. Under the protection of the sudden Wonquan Hirosaka, Genos fell down dangerously, and returned to the earth through Wonquan Hirosaka. Okay, your disciple has already left the starting ball space. Now you can kill Vice Admiral unintentionally with your own powers. You can give it a go and serve the main course, Saitama. After fisting with Saitama and sending Genos back to earth, Luo Hao said to Saitama in front of him. Yes, but your space seems to be collapsing. Broke your space, don't I need to pay for it? Saitama looked at the sky full of crisscrossing space cracks, and asked a little worriedly. Advertisement. Chapter 455 Tianma Meteor Fist vs Continuous Normal Fist. Advertisement. Need not. Just give it a go. It doesn't matter if the space is shattered, with our strength, even if the space is shattered, we can still survive in the void of time and space. Luo Hao waved his hand. He is very clear about Kyu's worries, how poor Kyu is, and how difficult his life is. Tell it, no one will believe it. One Punch Man, the world's strongest Saitama Demon King, is living in an extremely embarrassing life. Every week, I basically pay attention to the big specials in the supermarket. It is good. Then I'm going. Seeing Jian, Kyu's dull eyes showed seriousness. The punch just now made him experience the long-lost blood and fighting spirit. Especially when he felt a surge of fist power no less than his own from the fist, it made him even more excited. In the past, he could only feel this feeling in his sleep. Because only by dreaming can he meet an opponent who makes his blood boil. But now there is no need to dream. There is a man in front of him who can fight him head-on. Come, Saitama feels this way, Luo Hao does too. After wandering so many worlds, I finally met Saitama the great demon king in the world of One Punch Man. The excitement and passion in his heart are not inferior to that of Saitama. Consecutive ordinary punches. Advertisement. Facing Luo Hao's invitation to fight, Saitama took a deep breath, forced to suppress the excitement in his heart, put his feet on the ground, rose into the air, and bombarded Luo Hao with his fists like nuclear warheads. Although it is still an ordinary punch, the power that Saitama uses this time is obviously stronger than before. And this is not a punch, but countless fists like a storm. Facing Saitama's fist, Luo Hao even had the feeling that hundreds of weapons with a destructive power far greater than nuclear bombs were bombarding him. He is very clear that this is not an illusion. One Punch Man. Mr. Saitama's continuous ordinary punches, each punch is more powerful than a nuclear bomb, and it is not an ordinary nuclear bomb, but a nuclear bomb with an equivalent of tens of millions of tons, or even hundreds of millions of tons. With one punch, a first-tier city instantly vanishes into nothingness. No, it is a country. Whether it's Luo Hao, or Saitama the Great Demon King, they have already surpassed the scene of conventional weapons. Their combat power no longer belongs to the level of destroying a country, nor does it belong to the level of destroying a plate continent, but has risen to the level of destroying a planet. This is no exaggeration. If Luo Hao and Saitama unleashed their power, it would be no problem to punch a continental plate. It's even easier to destroy a planet with all your strength. Pegasus Meteor Fist. Facing the fist of the Great Demon King Saitama, Luo Hao did not dodge, and directly activated the ability of the Shining Fruit. Besides, there is Armament Hockey. Fruit ability and Armament Hockey are the best match. Fist speed like light, attack frequency like light. Almost at the moment when he raised his hand, Saitama in the void saw 10 Pegasus shining with golden light all over, stepping on 10 passages of light and rushing towards him. Suddenly, tens of millions of golden fists collided with his red fist. Moment. Short time to ultimate. The two have collided thousands of times. Advertisement. The power of each punch is under the tens of millions of tons of equivalent nuclear bombs, and tens of millions of fists collide together. 0 for flowers. Such an unbridled explosion of mighty power. Almost in an instant, Nuoda's original ball space was shattered layer by layer, disintegrating into nothingness at a speed visible to the naked eye. The space is collapsing, even the Sage of Six Paths family has to leave. But the two ignored the turbulent currents in different spaces that were floating around, enough to destroy all creatures, and continued to fight fiercely in this dark place of nothingness. That's what it feels like. Just like in a dream. No, it's much more real than in a dream. It's so exciting. 0. As the number of fist fights with Luo Hao continued to increase, Saitama's idiot and emotionless eyes gradually showed excitement and joy. Ever since he became stronger and bald, his emotions have been declining. This also made it difficult for him to encounter things that made his emotions fluctuate. In fact, for him now, only fighting, and only being a hero can make him have mood swings. But since he has never met an opponent who can equal him in the battles, his mood swings are also very weak, even negligible. But today, this moment, he only felt that the blood flowing in his limbs and bones seemed to be agitated, boiling, and ignited by a ball of heat, which gave him the urge to scream up to the sky. This kind of fist-to-body confrontation, where no one loses, is so G passionate and exciting. He hadn't experienced this feeling for a long time, and it even made him feel a little strange. Sometimes, he even suspects that it will be difficult for him to experience this feeling again in his whole life. But now, feel the next. Advertisement. Chapter 456I, Saitama, would like to call you the strongest. Advertisement. Saitama, you don't only have this little stuff, do you? After a series of ordinary punches with Kyu, Luo Hao thought, his whole body turned into a flash of light, broke through all the shadows of fists in an instant, and came to Kyu in a flash, with a golden light around his right foot to Saitama. This leg strength, there is something. Faced with Luo Hao's sudden kick at the speed of light, Kyu's eyes narrowed slightly. If it was an ordinary person, he would have been swept away by Luo Hao. But it reacted between lightning and flint. Almost at the same time that Luo Hao raised his foot to sweep over, he raised his left hand, and with his forearm, he firmly supported Luo Hao's right foot that swept at 057, at the speed of light. But even though he caught it, Facing the violent power contained in this light-speed kick, he was still sent flying by the blow. It's just a shock. With Saitama's heaven-defying physique, let alone blocking with his left arm, even if he was kicked in the head, he would probably be unscathed. After all, so far, Saitama's defense has never been broken, not even the slightest wound, and no one can even make him hurt. After being beaten up by Poros, and even blasted directly to the moon, he didn't have any shit, and he didn't feel any pain at all. Although Luo Hao's kick is powerful, it is naturally impossible to hurt him when he is defended by Saitama. There's more than a little stuff. The moment Kyu's body flew upside down, Luo Hao had already teleported to his back, with a golden lightning wrapped around his left hand, and ruthlessly bombarded Kyu's back. Boom. It hadn't been completely shattered, and there was only a dark, empty space left, and Saitama was instantly blasted out. The turbulent currents of different dimensions constantly drifting around and raging around wrapped around Saitama's body, and did not cause any damage to his physical body at all. Even if he was swept away and exiled to other time and space, it would not be possible. His body seemed so heavy that even the turbulent flow of different time and space could not shake him, let alone sweep him away. It's so fast. After Kyu stabilized his body, a golden thunder light once again occupied his sight. Just as he stood firmly on his front foot, he was already sent flying dozens of kilometers away. Advertisement. Saitama is strong, unreasonably strong, unbelievably strong. But his ability is very single. All power comes from a flesh body. In addition to physical strength, he does not have other colorful abilities. In comparison, Luo Hao has too many abilities. When facing Saitama, he has the advantage in terms of ability. You should be more than that. After probing until now, I think you should rest assured. After sending Saitama flying hundreds of kilometers away like a sandbag again, Luo Hao stepped forward and landed in front of Saitama. Your body is strong and you have many abilities. Heart. Even if I'm serious, I won't beat you to death. After suffering so many blows, Aizen Sosuke would have been reincarnated several times. But Kitama has nothing to do with it. After stabilizing his body, he looked at Luo Hao and nodded with approval. Obviously, he was beaten just now to test Luo Hao's strength. He didn't want to end the battle so quickly, and at the same time, he also wanted to see if Luo Hao was worthy of him using more power, and whether he would kill the opponent after using more power. If you are not serious, then you may really be beaten to death by me. Luo Hao shrugged. 0. Among the people I have ever met, you are indeed the strongest one. I, Saitama, would also like to call you the strongest. Advertisement. But if you kill me, you shouldn't be able to do it. Saitama said seriously. You don't think that what I showed just now is all my strength? Luo Hao looked at Kyu with a half smile. Oh, can you still be stronger? When Kyu heard this, his eyes lit up immediately. He is the only one among all the opponents Luo Hao has ever met who is afraid that Luo Hao is not strong enough. At this moment, all he thinks is that Luo Hao can be stronger. Otherwise, when he showed his true skills, Luo Hao would be killed by one punch from him, and the fight would be too boring. You can be stronger, so why can't I? Luo Hao asked back. Then I'm going to come for real. As Saitama spoke, his eyes changed. Originally, his eyes were like idiots, full of unspeakable joy. But for Whitebeard, and those who were 4.2 being rubbed on the ground, this kind of silly eyes full of joy is the greatest contempt. The ordinary punches and consecutive ordinary punches just now are just my ordinary series of attacks. What I want to show now is the seriously serious series. So far, I've used it a handful of times. And none of the opponents who have faced serious series can survive. So I've been debating whether to use it or not. After all, not only are you not a weirdo, but you have also helped Genos so much. If I accidentally beat you to death, it will be a big mistake for me. Kyu stared at Luo Hao sharply. Advertisement. Chapter 457 If I punch you, you may die. Advertisement. The change in eyes means that Saitama is coming for real. In normal series of attacks, Saitama looks like a bald idiot. Only when he comes to the truth and takes out the must-kill serious series, will he show such sharp eyes in front of him. At this time, Saitama is the real one-punch man, the real big devil. Before, he was just playing for fun. Zhang Chulin. Here we come. With those sharp eyes and that iconic bald head, Mr. Kyu is going to show his housekeeping skills. Whitebeard. When this kid was fighting with me, if he had shown this kind of look and expression, Laozi wouldn't be so angry when he saw him. Aizen Sosuke. Whitebeard, please forgive me, if Saitama-sensei shows this kind of look when confronting you, I guess you won't even have the chance to reincarnate. Aizen Sosuke. As far as I know, reincarnation at 30 requires a hard condition, that is the soul. But this teacher Saitama punches down. I bet you will never be reborn. Zhang Chulin. There is no need to gamble. So far, as long as Mr. Kyu plays a series of serious kills, no matter whether he has full strength or not, none of his opponents will survive. Zhang Chulin. What Elder Centipede, what Boros who destroyed the earth, all exploded on the spot with one punch, and they all returned to the west. Seeds. Isn't that great? He's so strong. We can also see Luo Hao's true strength. Cheomung. The mysterious sage mode that caused the space to collapse just by using it, Mr. Hokage should use it again this time. Through Billion, all the skirt friends have long known what is called One Punch Man, and also know what is called Serious Killing Series. Although the name is a bit funny, but when the fist hits, it is not funny at all. You can comb the center of the earth with just one punch. After knowing how terrifying Saitama-sensei's serious killing series is, no one thinks the name is funny. On the contrary, I think teacher Saitama is a simple person. Obviously so awesome, but the move has changed to such an unpretentious name. Really tall man. Seriously must kill series. Advertisement. I've wanted to meet you for a long time. Seeing the change in Saitama's eyes, Luo Hao suddenly felt an unprecedented pressure. This feeling, he really hasn't felt it for a long time. Saitama in front of him really gave him a feeling that he could be called an opponent. Only the existence that can become his opponent can bring him this sense of oppression. See it, if I punch you down, you may die. So, you still use all your strength. Otherwise, if I accidentally beat you to death, I really don't know how to face Genos. Saitama raised his fist wrapped in a pink glove. Although he is not pretending, he is just stating a fact seriously. Because the fists of the serious killing series basically do not leave anyone alive. So he had to remind Luo Hao that this punch was not a joke. Faced with this punch, if the strength is not enough, it will be 100% dead. Do you know, there is a kind of power that I have never dared to use lightly since it was created by me. Because even if you simply enter that posture, a space as huge as the original ball space will not be able to bear it, and will quickly collapse, die, and eventually cease to exist. So this kind of power is the same as your serious killing series, which I rarely use. Should have used it twice so far. The first time is the moment of creation. The second time was not long ago. That's exactly the case, so this gesture. I didn't even give it a name. Advertisement. Because I don't even know if I will have a chance to use it in the future. Luo Hao slowly raised his right hand. Just show it. The stronger the better, I like it. When Qiu heard this, his eyes burst into unprecedented ecstasy. The stronger Luo Hao speaks, the more excited he is. Especially after listening to Luo Hao's description, he immediately concluded that this posture must be the same as his serious series, so powerful that 693 has no reason to speak of. Change the place. Luo Hao took a look at the dark void in front of him. Where are you going? As for the earth, it can't stand the toss of the two of us. Saitama's words are not bragging at all. Although the earth is vast, it really cannot withstand their calendar. When they do it, that is to change the map, but to change the landscape of the planet. With one punch, the continental plate broke and sank. Under 1 foot, an ocean breaks, that is a very normal thing. Before, Saitama knew how terrifying her power was. So when he is a hero on Earth, he is careful when he is a chivalrous man. Generally, ordinary punches are used to deal with the enemy, and the power is reduced to ultimate's ordinary punches. But even so, there is still no problem with one punch and one dragon level. Now come up with the serious killer series, and it's the kind with full power. Destroying the Earth is a matter of minutes. Advertisement. Chapter 458. This is the god sitting on the throne of heaven. Advertisement. Mars. As soon as Luo Hao finished speaking, a portal appeared out of thin air in the void in front of him. Why are you still standing there? Come here. Seeing Qiu staring at his portal with wide eyes, but standing still with his feet motionless, he couldn't help calling out, and then took the lead in walking in. Such a convenient ability, is really handsome. After Qiu saw Luo Hao walking in, he sighed, and then followed closely. But as he walked, he was thinking in his heart, I don't know if this ability can be acquired through exercise. If possible, do you want to add a few sets of push-ups, or swim to increase the intensity of exercise? That's right. For Saitama, his previous training to become One Punch Man was already very intensive, and it can even be said that it was difficult to complete. It is also true that for the past 3 years, he has been repeating such basic training, never intending to increase the intensity at all. Now seeing Luo Hao's various abilities, especially the means of traveling through space at will, he had the idea of increasing the difficulty of training for the first time. Obviously, in Saitama's view, as long as he slightly increases the difficulty of the training plan, it should be no problem to learn to travel through space. Saitama-sensei's world is that simple. In his eyes, becoming stronger is such an easy, simple and natural thing. Just think about it. It doesn't need to be complicated. What a makeover. Advertisement. What study. What blood. None of these are needed. He only needs to add 1 or 2 sets of push-ups, squats, swimming, etc., and it is normal for his strength to increase hundreds of times in minutes. As this Mars. This is my first time backquote. Seeing that he passed through the portal, the scene in front of him changed drastically. Qiu immediately put away his thoughts, and his attention was attracted by the environment in front of him. This planet is very solid, and there are no humans. You and I can both let go and fight. It's okay to destroy this planet. If you move it, you will destroy the planet, and it is also a Mars-like large planet, which is so easy for Luo Hao. But Saitama in front of him didn't feel wrong at all when he heard it. Because in his eyes, whether it is him or Luo Hao, it is really too easy to destroy a planet. Since this is the case, then you should be able to show off the power you mentioned that doesn't even have a name. After watching it for a while, Qiu also got tired of the environment of Mars. After all, compared to the Earth full of flowers and flowers, Mars is the same thing. At least that's the case with the surface environment. Moreover, with his strength, if he wants to see and understand Mars in the future, he can do a standing long jump on the Earth and jump directly from the Earth to Mars. It's not a big deal for him either. Advertisement. Also confirming this, Saitama's attention was quickly shifted from Mars back to Luo Hao. The ability that Luo Hao mentioned just now makes the ball space unbearable just by using it, and he doesn't even have a name, but it has always made him think about it, and he has always wanted to see it. Mars is far more vast and solid than the primordial sphere. Should be no problem. Luo Hao nodded, and then his eyes gradually became indifferent. The moment the words fell, a black light that made Chi Yu's face suddenly burst out from Luo Hao's body. After this black light flickered out, it turned into a black robe with engravings on it in a blink of an eye, and then covered Luo Hao's body. The originally peaceful world of Mars suddenly became dark and dark. A violent hurricane appeared out of thin air at a frightening speed, and then swept the surroundings. Immediately afterwards, roaring lightning, torrential rain that almost submerged the earth, storms that soared into the sky, and terrifying earthquakes that caused the ground to shake, mountains to collapse, and the surface to rupture appeared one after another. One after another natural disasters that are enough to destroy the civilization of a planet have emerged one after another. And all of this is entirely caused by Luo Hao entering this unknown sage mode again. Once entering this unknown sage mode, the natural energy of the entire Mars is affected by him and becomes extremely violent. The rampage of natural energy naturally caused the imbalance of a planet. All kinds of natural disasters that destroy the world, Li Jiao, and devour everything frantically jump out to report. Luo Hao did nothing during this period, just entering and maintaining this unknown sage mode has made Mars become more and more terrifying, entering a state of the end of the planet. This scene fell into the eyes of all the members of Kunchat through the live broadcast, but it was worth seeing them. Although Aizen Sosuke and others have seen Luo Hao's unknown sage mode, when they saw it again, they were still shocked beyond compare. If there is a god in this world, this should be the power that a god sitting on the throne of the sky should have. At this moment, all the skirt friends had such a thought in their hearts at the same time. Advertisement. Chapter 459. The Immortal Monarch Mode that surpasses all immortals. Advertisement. Before, Aizen Sosuke, Whitebeard and other veteran skirt friends have been very puzzled. Why did Wanjie chat skirt choose Luo Hao, a member who was just a newcomer to them at that time, as the administrator of the chat? But now, they understand. Whether it is strength, ability, or identity, Luo Hao's relationship is above their so-called old-fashioned skirt friends. The gap between the two sides is so large that it is incomprehensible and immeasurable. If Luo Hao can't be an administrator, it's even more impossible for them to hold this position. Good. So strong. Saitama glanced at the planet that was covered by endless natural disasters in the blink of an eye, and then looked at Luo Hao. For the first time since he became One Punch Man, he uttered those two words with all his heart. For the first time, I lamented how strong my opponent is. But size are size, shocks are shocks, there is no trace of fear in his eyes or face. Obviously, in his opinion, even if Luo Hao shows this kind of posture and shows this kind of strength, he can still contend and even win. It's just that although there is no fear on his face and eyes, there is a real vigorous 493 fighting spirit. How? Luo Hao asked Kyu. So amazing. This is the first time I have encountered an opponent as powerful as you, who made my blood boil to such an extent. By the way, do you want me to change the name of this power for you? It's called a must kill. Saitama the Great Demon King nodded excitedly. No need. I can change the name myself. It's called Shanjin mode. Beyond all sage modes, above all sage modes, the King of Immortals. Advertisement. That's all right. Daba Luo Hao quickly stopped. Although Saitama's strength is strong, it is undeniable that the names of his moves are really funny. It's just that with his unbelievably powerful strength, everyone who has heard and seen him can't laugh out loud. If Saitama is allowed to change the name, Luo Hao can fully imagine what kind of name he will get in this model. Must kill Immortal series. Kill Sage mode. 9 out of 10 times that is the case. In order to completely dispel and shatter Saitama's idea of changing his name for him, Luo Hao gave this unknown Sage mode a brand new name almost without brain thinking. Fairy mode. Simple, direct, and easy to understand. Not so much bells and whistles. Anyway, no matter what, it's better than names like the Killing Immortal series. Is it Shanjin mode? What a pity. I even thought of a name for you. When Kyu heard this, a regretful expression was written on his face. Don't focus on such insignificant things. As you wish, I have let you see the Shanjin mode you want to see. Now it's your turn, Saitama. In order to avoid Saitama's continued entanglement on the name matter, Luo Hao skipped this topic directly. No way. It would be fine if there were only me and Saitama here. But the problem is that there are indeed only the two of them on Mars, but in a distant other world, there are a lot of skirt friends who are watching their battle through the live broadcast. Once you let Kyu call out the name he changed for himself, it will be troublesome. Advertisement. It is estimated that Billion and his group of guys will most likely put themselves on the spot in the series of Killing Immortals. When I think about fighting with others in the future, whenever I use the fairy mode, someone will jump out of the skirt chat and shout, "Look, the administrator wants to use his serious fairy kill series." He has an urge to silence Billion and the others who are witnesses. Number 7. Although he missed the opportunity to help Luo Hao change his name, Kyu felt extremely regretful. However, if he wanted to finally have a hearty battle in reality instead of being in his sleep, he simply ignored these regrets. Just now because he wanted to help Luo Hao change his name, he became a little dumb-eyed, and changed back to the sharp look when he played the Serious Killer series. I'm coming, Luo Hao. Saitama said while clenching the 10 fingers of both hands into fists. Don't hold back. Let me see if your serious kill series can kill me with one punch. A passionate fighting spirit appeared in Luo Hao's eyes. Seriously must kill series. This is the housekeeping skill of One Punch Man Saitama Daimao. As long as the great demon king Saitama resorts to this move, there is no opponent who cannot be killed in seconds. In the world of One Punch Man, releasing Buddha is a rule-like existence, and releasing Buddha is a stunt with no upper limit of strength. The stronger the opponent is, the stronger Saitama's serious kill series will be. Of course, it is also possible that with the passage of time, Saitama's strength, which has been unbelievably frightening, is also increasing at a geometric rate in 10 days. To describe the speed of other geniuses, cultivation is as fast as a rocket. But Saitama's cultivation speed is completely faster than the speed of light. It is good. Hiyu stared. After the trial just now, I have already witnessed the shock brought by the Immortal King mode. He has nothing to worry about. Advertisement. Chapter 460 Serious Series. Serious Sprint. Advertisement. Seriously. Sprint. Saitama took a deep breath, and spit out his name that sounds very funny, but everyone who saw it couldn't laugh. When he spit out the serious sprint of the Serious Must Kill series, he has already disappeared. His speed is beyond the scope of space, even light is not enough to describe it. The moment he disappeared, Mars rolled up a storm that swept across the sky and the earth. If he was fighting with others, he wouldn't need to shoot, just the storm created by Tadashi's movement would be enough to strangle an opponent of Aizen Sosuke's level. No way. Saitama's speed is really too fast. It is approaching a kind of incomprehensible, beyond the bounds of physical rules, even planetary rules. To rush towards a person at this speed, and then launch an attack, you don't need any power system, you don't need any exquisite moves, just speed plus your own strength, a random punch is enough to disintegrate everything. And Saitama, that's how it is now. Relying on the speed of serious sprinting, he overtook lightning, came to Luo Hao in an instant, and then punched out brazenly. Aizen Sosuke and others who were watching the live broadcast in the skirt chat saw the moment when Saitama punched, obviously separated by the barrier of the world, obviously just watching the live broadcast, but they still couldn't help but see a picture in front of them. That was a red fist with the word, death, printed on it rolling towards them. That kind of destructive, annihilating momentum seemed to oppress their hearts and minds through the live broadcast across the world. If we were to receive this punch, it would kill someone. And it is the kind that will never be reborn. All the skirt chat members who saw Saitama's punch through the live broadcast have only this thought in their hearts. Will die. Dazed. The one that never dies. Even the outsider Rinne Tensai technique, which can revive people, cannot save them. One Punch Man. Advertisement. Saitama Sensei is really serious. Bai Lian, who was eating a big bowl of wide noodles while watching the live broadcast, was so frightened that the noodles in her mouth could not help but squirt out. Hyunchao's third brother's position will no longer be guaranteed. On the Moby DK, Whitebeard lowered his head in despair. This punch shattered all his hopes and vigor. He knew that even if he ate 2 or 3 fruits of the sacred tree, he would not be able to catch up with Saitama. The second place in Hyunchat is about to leave me, someone from Lan. On the throne of Zai Palace, Aizen Sosuke waved everyone away first, then reached out and wiped a tear from the corner of his eye. Is he moved? Do not. This is the heart. Saitama's punch not only shattered Whitebeard's courage, but also shattered his skirt to talk about the second seat. In today's battle, regardless of who wins or loses between Luo Hao and Saitama, the position of second in command has nothing to do with his Shinigami ugly. Although he had long thought that such a day would come, but when this day came, he was caught off guard and made him feel heartbroken. No way. From now on, there is one more person who wants to act according to his face in the skirt chat. In the past, he only had to look at Luo Hao's face. But now there is one more person. Saitama the Great Demon King. If King Saitama wants him to stand, then he will force the king to not sit at all. In this case, he is naturally sad. 0 for flowers. 0. Advertisement. Teacher Saitama came today, and I changed from the second to the third. In the future, there will be some other demon kings and teachers, and I, Shinigami, will force the king to continue falling backwards. This must not continue to happen. I am Aizen all my life, not weaker than others. Even if I destroy the entire Hueco Mundo and kill all the ghosts, I will plant a few sacred trees. Aizen Sosuke gritted his teeth and roared inwardly. Mewtwo. After watching the live broadcast, you can kill the dangerous species in the world of Crimson Eyes. Be sure to give me the shortest possible time to work on the Ecstasy Tree and Hogyoku. In the world of Crimson Pupils, the Super Fighter Acedes is also stimulated. It's not just Aizen Sosuke who puts her hopes on the fruit of the God Tree, she too. After all, this is also the easiest way to increase her strength that she has come across so far, and the way to increase her strength is amazing. Not everyone can do a few push-ups and squat on the spot like the great demon king Saitama, and his strength can be improved at a speed faster than the speed of light. In the world of Crimson Pupil, Acedes is naturally a super genius. But in Wanjie, no, even in the skirt chat, it's just an ordinary skirt friend. At most, he can bully Cheomung and Billion. Compared to Whitebeard it's 50-50. As for Aizen Sosuke, she is 100% unbeatable right now. It is also true, Acedes can only place his hope on the sacred tree. Chao Meng heard the words, and nodded solemnly. Obviously, he was also stimulated. As a super beast with ideals and ambitions, he is not willing to be the second child of 10,000 years in the skirt chat all the time. Advertisement. Chapter 461 Saitama, do you have anything more proud of? Advertisement. What a serious series. What a serious sprint. Of course, Luo Hao didn't know about the sensation and shock caused by Saitama's serious series in the skirt chat. But even if he knew, he didn't take it seriously. At this moment, his attention was all attracted by Saitama's serious series. Although the name of the move is simple, there is no skill, no mystery, and no special ability to move it. It's just plain running. And it's still not very standard running. But the speed of this kind of running is so fast that it makes people desperate. It can set off a storm that almost covers the entire planet, 277, in Mars. What a frightening speed. Punch me. Saitama shouted loudly, and his red fist carried the destructive power to penetrate continental plates and even planets, and crushed towards Luo Hao. It is good. Facing Saitama's fist, Luo Hao's eyes sparkled. He didn't mean to dodge, he directly raised his hand and punched Saitama's fist. Two punches against each other. One black and one red fist collided with each other. The loud noise that shook the entire fireball immediately exploded. They were obviously fighting at high altitude, but this pair of fists directly caused an unprecedented devastating blow to the surface of Mars. Fortunately, there is no life on the surface of Mars. Otherwise, just the aftermath of their fistfights would be enough to destroy all the creatures and civilizations on the surface of Mars. Advertisement. As the two intertwine and collide continuously, the mighty and boundless fist power contained in the fists of the confrontation roars out. More terrifying destruction is about to come. Originally because of Luo Hao's fairy mode, the Martian sky that was shrouded and surrounded by boundless thunderclouds was wiped clean in an instant. If you look from outside the planet, you will find that the pitch-black space of Mars Setsuna has been cleaned up. It's as if you have a comb to comb all the thunderclouds away. Such a scene shocked everyone in the skirt chat until their eyes were straightened, nothing can be added. This kind of battle, even for those with extraordinary knowledge, they were stunned. Caught it. Hiyu looked at Luo Hao who was standing motionless in the sky after the fist fight with him, his eyes couldn't help flashing a touch of surprise, but it was replaced by ecstasy in no time. Although he used the serious certain kill series just now, it was not a killer move, it was just a simple move. But he was still a little worried that Luo Hao would not be able to handle it. Now seeing that Luo Hao has firmly received his fist that is strong enough to penetrate a continental plate, and even smash it to pieces, he is both surprised and delighted. Isn't this the opponent he wants most? Isn't this the fight he wants most? He has been waiting for this day for a long time. Saitama, do you have anything more proud to show? The corner of Luo Hao's mouth raised, and he said in a slightly arrogant manner. There are so many. When Kiyu heard this, an excited smile appeared on his face. Immediately afterwards, he raised his head and slammed forward. Serious killing series serious headhammer. For any type of strong man, the head is always the most vulnerable and deadly part. Advertisement. But this is completely inappropriate for Saitama. His head, like his fist and his feet, is one of the terrifying weapons of the must-kill series. Even in the face of Luo Hao who has turned on the fairy mode, he dared to directly hit Luo Hao's head with his head. What kind of fighting style is this? But the power of the head hammer is really, it is no problem smashing 10 moons. Although Luo Hao has long known that Saitama's fighting style is rough, simple, and unreasonable to ultimate. But when he saw Kiyu hitting him with his head, he still couldn't laugh or cry. Although he could also go head to head, it would be too embarrassing. Saitama admires this way of fighting, he doesn't like it. As the king of all worlds, don't use the powerful and colorful pretend ability, and directly confront Saitama. He is not that stupid. Facing Saitama's earnest headbutt, he raised his elbow with the speed of light, and slammed down hard with his hand instead of a fist. Lightning speed fist. With this elbow down, a terrifying black light instantly occupied the sky of Mars. In the boundless black light, a roaring golden lion appeared out of thin air, and then opened its extremely ferocious golden fangs and bit Saitama's big bald head. The elbows collided, and under the loud noise that shook the sky and the earth, the entire 2.9 sphere actually started to move. Put Buddha deviated from the original coordinates in the universe. The surface below is no longer the surface. A series of terrifying cracks that were bottomless and stretched for an unknown number of kilometers crazily extended out, destroying Mars beyond recognition. 0. Even if the two are confronting each other in the air, the aftermath of power released will still cause a devastating blow to the entire Mars. Just 2 short confrontations, Mars is already in a mess. If it happens a few more times, or if the power of one of the two just falls on the land of Mars, it is estimated that Nuo da Mars will even disintegrate on the spot. Advertisement. Chapter 462 As long as the waves don't die, they will wave to death. Advertisement. What a hard elbow. It really can't be broken. Chiyu realized that his head couldn't smash Luo Hao's elbow, and he couldn't help but gasp in amazement. This kind of thing has never happened since he became a one-punch man after his great strength. You know, not only has he come up with the Serious Killer series now, but he is also the one with full strength. With this hammer, it is no problem to smash a continental plate. But his head hammer only superimposes with Luo Hao's body in Flashing Fruit and Fairy King mode, and cancels out the lightning speed fist performed by imitating the skills of the Golden Saint Seiya. There is simply no way to go any further. In the 2 confrontations, not only did he not kill his opponent with one blow like in the past, he even couldn't make Luo Hao take half a step back. Although the moves are simple, the strength and momentum are really overbearing to the ultimate. Is this sort of a road to 30 Jane? Luo Hao also felt a long-lost surprise in his heart. This is the first time he has met an opponent who is as arrogant as Saitama to the ultimate level, without any reason at all. No matter what kind of ability he shows, Saitama always uses his moves that make children fight and play around. However, with the support of Saitama's unbelievably strong body, children's fighting and playful moves can also play out the destructive power of destroying the planet. Confronting each other with him is nothing to worry about. One Punch Man, well-deserved reputation. As expected of a monster that purely played with the flesh to the ultimate. In terms of body alone, I can hardly compare him. At least not now, but I'm not just a physical player. Luo Hao sighed. It was the first time that he met someone who was on par with him in terms of physical strength, and even surpassed him. Advertisement. But he doesn't care either. After all, he is not the kind of absolute carnalist. On the contrary, he is soul, body, and capable of 3 cultivations. In terms of body alone, he may not be able to compare with Saitama, but he is not far behind. But Saitama can't really beat him with soul and energy. Because Saitama can't at all. His powerful and earth-shattering strength comes from his basic training, and these basic training are all applied to his indestructible and indestructible physical body. In addition to physical strength, Saitama currently does not have Wu Neng other than the physical body. Since the head hammer is useless, I'll change it. Just when Luo Hao marveled at his physical strength, Saitama was lamenting Luo Hao's strength. But while sighing, seeing that the head hammer could not shake Luo Hao, he immediately changed his stance. Serious kill series serious punch. Saitama called out the name of his move lightly. Whether it's a sparring or a life and death battle with others, he is very polite, telling the opponent what moves he used, and then killing the opponent. Now facing Luo Hao, whether he can kill the opponent will be discussed next time, but he still adheres to this fighting style. Call your name first, then move. But all serious moves must be shouted out. After all, he spent a lot of brain cells trying to think of these names. If you don't shout out after thinking about it, it's not in vain. Coming. There is no need for Saitama to yell. Seeing Saitama make his signature punching action, Luo Hao knew that Saitama the Great Demon King is coming for real. He finally came up with the killer move of the serious series. That is the ultimate attack. Advertisement. Serious punch. This is the most powerful killing move that Luo Hao knew about Saitama before crossing. He doesn't know if Saitama has any more powerful moves other than a serious punch. But it doesn't matter, just Saitama's serious punch is enough to kill everything in seconds. It is not an exaggeration to say that with a serious punch, the gods and ghosts will disappear in smoke. No matter what the opponent is, whether it is a god, a ghost, or a dragon, all of them will be wiped out. There is no second way. In addition to being killed by a punch, it is killed by a punch. And now, it's finally the punch in front of him. Let me see how powerful your 300 serious punch is. Luo Hao originally wanted to use other abilities to deal with it. But he is full of longing for the serious punch of the big name. This gave him the idea to see how powerful this punch is. This is definitely not an idea of death. Because of the fight just now, he already felt how far Saitama has reached. No matter what, this punch will never kill me. That's why Luo Hao can relax now. After all, every bully king basically has a heart that will make waves against both winds and winds, and as long as the waves don't die, he will wave to death. As the king of Wanjie chat dress. Naturally, Luo Hao also has a heart that will make waves in both wind and headwinds. It was also like this, facing the invincible, famous serious punch, he resolutely gave up other abilities, directly raised his right hand and made a move that everyone in the skirt chat thought was a death move. Punch out. Fist for fist. Advertisement. Chapter 463 Immortal King Mode vs Serious Series. Advertisement. Boom. Under the watchful eyes of a group of skirt friends through the live broadcast, Luo Hao's fist and Saitama's fist finally collided together. The majestic and tidal noise instantly caused a monstrous sound wave in the sky of Mars. The sound of the two of them fisting was as if it could spread throughout Mars. That deafening and shocking impact resounded through the universe, causing a huge storm in the entire Mars. Not only that, at the same time as the waves of sound swept away, the fists of the two collided and intertwined with each other, and then swept in all directions, causing the entire planet to shake. Under the violent shaking of the sky, all the clouds were directly crushed by the storm or the shock wave caused by the fists of the two of them. As if the entire planet had fallen into a cloudless state. At the same time, cracks began to appear in the sky, splitting into two halves, and the Buddha was about to form a terrifying spectacle of the sky collapsing. Even the formless, faceless and quality-less sky was crushed into a mess under the fists of the two, let alone the land of Mars. Under the shock waves caused by their never-ending collisions, Nuo Da's planet began to shake, crack, and even collapse. This is no longer a continental plate moving, but a direct burst. Just one punch, just the aftermath caused by the confrontation of fists between the two has already put the entire Mars into a state of being about to disintegrate. If the fists of the two of them did not hit each other, but fell on the planet below, it is estimated that this huge planet will disintegrate in an instant. Zhang Chulin. It's too fierce. Boss Luo can actually punch Mr. Kyu seriously. Aizen Sosuke. What a punch. It's the fist of a god. Seeds. Can humans really get to this point? Whitebeard. How many fruits of the sacred tree do you have to eat to step into this field? Cheomeng. As expected of Mr. Hokage, his strength is really unfathomable. Advertisement. Witnessing the fight between Luo Hao and Saitama, every skirt friend was so shocked that his eyes straightened, because there was nothing more to say. This kind of punching power is simply beyond the reach of human beings. It is a kind of existence that is detached from human beings and is called a god. What makes them even more incredible is that whenever they think they know Luo Hao's strength, Luo Hao will often show a higher level of strength immediately. Saitama jumped out of the skirt chat, and Luo Hao immediately showed the strength that even One Punch Man Saitama can keep pace with. Bang bang bang. Just when everyone was shocked and stunned, the situation of the battle suddenly changed. Originally, they were fighting each other, and no one would let the other change in vain. Luo Hao's body suddenly fell backwards, falling from the void. This scene made all the skirt friends stunned. Even though they were evenly matched 1 second ago, why was Luo Hao suddenly sent flying in the next second? Is Saitama the Great Demon King really One Punch Man? No one can take his punch. Is this the human being who turned on the so-called limiter? Luo Hao, who landed on the surface of Mars, directly smashed out a huge deep pit with a radius of more than 1,000 kilometers. But on the outside, he looks rich and unscathed. Obviously, he received Saitama's serious punch directly in the flesh, directly fist to fist, and he was still not hurt. You are amazing. You can actually take a serious punch from me. Although Kyu knocked Luo Hao into the air, his face was full of surprise and even a trace of disbelief. Because he found that Luo Hao was not injured. Advertisement. Although he knocked the opponent away, he beat Luo Hao at his strongest. After the short fight just now, Saitama, who is not an idiot, also understands that Luo Hao is different from him. The most powerful thing about him is his body, and the only thing he can show is his body. But besides a physical body that is slightly inferior to his, Luo Hao also possesses various power systems. His practice in energy, in soul, etc. is far above him. And these, Luo Hao did not use in battle. Instead, choose to have a punch-to-fist collision with him. Your fist did not disappoint me. Serious punch is indeed a serious kill series. Luo Hao stood up and patted the dust off his body. This punch made him feel how powerful Saitama's punch is. Even if it is him, Wang's good, there is no way to take it with pure physical strength. But if he can't take it, it just means that he is inferior to Saitama in terms of pure physical strength, it doesn't mean that Saitama can hurt him. As for winning him, it is absolutely impossible. At least Chi's serious punch can't shake his physical defense. It won't be called after today. At least I met someone who couldn't be killed even with a serious punch. Saitama said so on his lips, but what was in his eyes was more of a surge of awe-inspiring fighting spirit, as well as substantive joy. Even a serious punch can take it. Doesn't that mean that he can use other ultimate moves of the serious series without restraint? Advertisement. Chapter 464 Saitama. I don't have to worry about killing you by mistake. Advertisement. Saitama, I think your serious killer series should not only have such a punch. You should have something more proud to hide. No more hiding and tucking away. Otherwise, you will definitely lose this battle. Because of the next battle, I will not simply use my physical body to fight with you again. I will use all the abilities I have mastered over the years. If you only have this level, then there is no need to compare. Quote. Luo Hao reached out and patted the dust on his body. Of course it's not just this level. It's just that I haven't had much chance to use it even if it's a serious punch. Even if there is, I am still cautious, for fear of accidentally breaking the earth. Next, I won't hold anything back. Because I no longer have to be afraid that I will miss you and kill you. Saitama clasped her hands together. The space of a planet like Huo 927 is very solid. But now, he just made a fist movement, which not only caused a huge shock wave in the void, but even gripped the space like when he was in the first ball space. Exclamation mark. Come. Luo Hao stretched out his hand and beckoned to Kyu, as if you could do whatever you want. Seriously must kill series seriously turn the table. Saitama's eyes froze, and his eyes became sharper than ever before. After he let out a low shout, his hands were like sharp knives and plunged into the fragmented and devastated ground, and then went up. Advertisement. A huge rock with an unimaginably large area, at least as large as the land of a superpower. No, it is land. Not rough. Saitama's hand directly set off a vast, magnificent, and huge land on the surface of Mars that is as large as a country with a superpower. And this piece of land soared into the sky at a speed that surpassed the meteorite falling from the sky, and bombarded towards Luo Hao. It's really as simple and direct as ever. Luo Hao shook his head. There was no disdain in his tone. On the contrary, Saitama's method, which is as simple as ultimate, is really a bit of a simple charm to a certain extent. With the support of his absolute physique, all the subtle moves are superfluous. These simple but extremely domineering attack methods allow Saitama to fully utilize his physique to ultimate. For example, this time, seriously flip the table. Ordinary people are really flipping the table. However, Saitama's power directly set off a land like a superpower. Just take a piece of land and hit people like a ball. What a terrifying method. At least all the skirt friends who were watching the live broadcast were stunned on the spot. Hit it down. All skirt friends will be wiped out. Even Aizen Sosuke who owns Hogyoku will be smashed to death by the land that Saitama seriously lifted up the table. This kind of power can no longer be measured in words. This trick depends on how you take it. After setting off a piece of land, the corners of Saitama's mouth raised slightly, then he jumped up and chased after the land he threw into the sky. Advertisement. This kind of stimulation and excitement made the blood in his whole body boil like boiling water. He was so mesmerized. Only this kind of battle can make him regain the almost completely lost feelings. In this battle, he can experience the emotions and desires that he can't normally feel, and he has completely lost his usual stupid look. In fact, on weekdays, his six senses are pure, he is cut off from the emotions and desires, and he is not able to move his mind. But for the usual him, there is really no emotional fluctuation, and there is nothing that can cause him to fluctuate. But now it's different. This battle ignited his emotions, and also ignited his blood, allowing his whole body to experience the feeling that he could only experience when he was a hero. Although this move of yours is so brutal that you hit someone with a piece of land, it's useless to me. Luo Hao's eyes have turned into golden reincarnation Sharingan. Not seeing any movement from him, the majestic golden chakra has already soared into the sky, turning into a five-clawed dragon thousands of meters long. While he was thinking, the five-clawed dragon raised its right paw condescendingly and pressed it down on the oncoming continental plate at the moment it took shape. This claw can crush even the earth and even the sky. Naturally, it is easy to block a piece of land, even if this piece of land is as vast and huge as a superpower. But it's nothing to the five-clawed dragon after Luo Hao turned into a beast. Bang! When the dragon claws slapped on the land, a storm that swept across the sky first rolled up in the void, and then a series of cracks that stretched for an unknown number of kilometers and at least covered the land within the line of sight appeared instantly. Under the claws of the five-clawed dragon, the huge meteorite was cracked on the spot. With the grip of the dragon claw, after a click, the land thrown by Saitama shattered into countless pieces of gravel on the spot. Although it is said to be gravel, each piece of gravel is actually as huge as unattainable stalwart mountains. Even the smallest piece of rock is as high as 5 or 6 kilometers. Advertisement. Chapter 465, Throwing Planets at People. Advertisement. Sage Art Planetary Devastation. Luo Hao, who stood between the eyebrows of the five-clawed dragon, stared at the sky full of rubble in front of him, and stretched out his hand to grab it. Pulled by the majestic gravitational force, the countless rocks that were smashed by him and were about to fall were pulled together again and condensed together, turning into a ball as big as the sky and as heavy as thick earth. It's like a miniature star, ball. Not a planet the size of the moon, but 1/10 the size of Mars. Because this planetary devastation not only pulls the land thrown by Saitama, but also pulls countless rocks from the surface of Mars. Bigger than mine. Saitama, who was in midair, saw this scene with a look of surprise on his face. At this moment, he understood what Luo Hao said just now. It's different from him who simply can only use his body to fight. In addition to a slightly inferior physical body, Luo Hao also has a powerful energy and spirit that he does not possess. With strong energy and spiritual support, Luo Hao has mastered as many abilities as stars, and they are as powerful as ultimate. Anyone that jumps out is outrageously powerful. With all of these, let alone facing strong players of the same level, even if facing an opponent whose strength is far superior to his own, he can still defeat the strong with the weak. Like now, with one move, he turned into a beast with a tail, formed a five-clawed dragon and easily smashed the land thrown by his serious heart. One move planetary devastation created a rocky planet bigger than the land he threw over it. You seriously flip the table, I will take it. Saitama, please accept my planetary devastation now. Luo Hao reached out and pressed. Sage Arch and Luo Tianzhong. Advertisement. The moment his voice fell, a strong repulsive force erupted in a mighty and boundless manner. It was not Saitama who was hit by the repulsion first, but the rocky planet suspended in front of Luo Hao. Impacted by such a terrifying repulsive force, an ordinary rocky planet would have been shattered long ago. But this rocky planet is firmly attracted by the gravity generated by planetary devastation. Even if the rock is crushed into powder, it can still maintain the posture of a rocky celestial body. Not to mention that the rocky celestial body in front of me is protected by Luo Hao's magic chakra, which is extremely strong and heavy. Even Sage Arch and Luo Tianzhong did not cause damage to it, but instead gave it a terrifying propulsion, directly smashing this rocky planet towards Saitama. Rocky planet bigger than land. Plus the gravitational pull. Sage Art the repulsive power of Shinra Tenji. The power of this blow to planetary devastation far surpassed Saitama's earnestness before. Saitama hit him with land. He smashed it back with the planet. So heavy. Saitama took a deep breath and pushed forward with both hands. He is like an omnipotent Superman, unexpectedly in midair, with nowhere to rely on his strength, he forcibly pulled the oncoming rocky planet with his physical strength. However, the majestic impact, coupled with the gravity of the rocky planet itself, still made Saitama's body retreat steadily, flying backwards towards the surface of Mars below. According to this trend, in another second, Saitama will be 100% crushed on Mars. Such a terrifying impact, even Mars may not be able to withstand it and go to destruction. However, since there are no humans on Mars, and there is no life, even if it is blown up, it will not affect anyone. So the two of them who were in the midst of a fierce battle would not pay attention to what would happen to the planet under their feet. 0 for flowers. Advertisement. As for being broken, it's nothing. The universe is so big, just change to a bigger and stronger planet, and then just keep fighting. Anyway, with Luo Hao's control over space, it is not difficult to find such a planet. It is not easy to find a planet with life and civilization in the vast universe. Especially without exact coordinates. However, if you just want to find a planet that allows them to fight and carry their power, then it's not too difficult. Anyway, the two of them can survive no matter how harsh the cosmic environment is. Even in the most terrifying black hole known to mankind, two people may not be able to hurt them if they are in it, let alone kill these two godlike humans. I can't bear it. Saitama frowned slightly. He's already doing his best to hold the oncoming rocky planet. But helplessly, the rocky planet itself is extremely heavy, coupled with the impact of gravity and Luo Hao's Sage Arch and Luo Tianzhong. Even as One Punch Man, he is still a bit unbearable. It's not that his strength is limited, it's not that he's not strong enough. It's because his combat methods are too single. He can't fly, he is in midair, he has nowhere to borrow strength, and he can't use his strength to reach ultimate. Not to mention exerting one's strength beyond the limit. In such a hasty situation, he was naturally pushed back by the rocky planet. It's not over yet, Saitama. Luo Hao's eyes were fixed. The black flame of Amaterasu, which was as black as ink, could burn out even the light of Buddha, instantly appeared on the rocky planet. In the blink of an eye, Nuoda's rocky planet turned into a fireball burning with black flames. Advertisement. Chapter 466 Immortal Dragon Mode, a blow that destroys Mars. Advertisement. Under normal circumstances, such a huge and terrifying black flame would burn the rock sphere quickly. But under the control of Luo Hao's pupil power, this domineering Amaterasu black flame just attached to the rock sphere, and did not cause any damage to the rock sphere at all. Instead, under the attachment of Amaterasu black flame, the rocky planet directly turned into a black flame Mars. Even scarier than before. A little hot. Saitama raised her eyelids slightly. The original rocky planet is not easy to carry. He really couldn't bear the black flames that filled the sky now. It's not over yet. Luo Hao saw that Q was still struggling to hold on to 593, trying to hold back the black flames, so he couldn't help smiling, and stretched out his hand a little. The five-clawed dragon opened its mouth and spit out. It seemed that the terrifying hurricane that was about to sweep across the entire planet instantly crushed the black flame Mars. Saitama, who had been struggling so hard, exploded on the spot. He couldn't bear it any longer, and was directly smashed from the air by the black flame Mars to the surface of the Earth. First, the surface of Mars was smashed into pieces, and then it set off a huge flame explosion that was so terrifying that it could not even detonate all the nuclear weapons on the Earth. Such an attack, it has gone beyond the scope of destroying the country. It has reached the level of destroying civilization, or even destroying the planet. Even the huge Mars can't bear it. Step by step towards the collapse of the planet, or even the point of destruction. Advertisement. And Saitama endured the densest and most powerful black flame explosion head-on. The whole person was crushed to the deepest part of Mars. Sage Arc-tailed Beast Bomb. One blow buried Saitama alive, and one blow brought the entire Mars to the verge of collapse. Luo Hao is still not satisfied. He still hasn't stopped. Under his control, the five-clawed dragon suddenly entered the strongest posture. The dragon wings that cover the sky and the sun, and the dragon scales that cover the whole body, look like a divine beast Yinglong that came out of ancient mythology. The power of domineering, contemptuous of all living beings is fully displayed at this moment. When the five-clawed dragon entered the strongest posture, it immediately opened its mouth, and condensed a shining golden-tailed beast bomb. Although it is a tailed beast bomb, it is a product of two categories with the 9-tailed beasts and even the tailed beast bomb of the 10 tails god tree. This tailed beast bomb is a combination of yin and yang and the 5 elements, as well as the pupil power of the reincarnation Sharingan, plus the boost of the fairy chakra in the fairy mode. The power is so great that it completely surpasses the scope that all known technological weapons can achieve. This is a real star-destroying attack. It has the destructive power to destroy the planet, and it is also a planet of the level of Mars. Don't just die like this, Kitama. If you just hang up like this, then you have let me down too much. The moment Luo Hao's faint voice fell, the tailed beast bomb condensed in the mouth of the five-clawed dragon was launched. Saitama, who is in the deepest part of Mars, is still in a state of being smashed. He just came back to his senses, and before he knew where it was, he saw a huge and incomparably golden-tailed beast bomb flying in front of him. Advertisement. What? This idea just popped into Kyu's mind. The tailed beast bomb in front of him had swallowed his entire body, and then the tailed beast bomb expanded at a geometric speed, destroying all the matter deep in the core rock of Mars. Smash. The already crumbling Mars, which was on the brink of destruction, was bombarded by Luo Hao's tailed beast bomb into the deepest part of the Earth and shattered wantonly, directly heading for a state of catastrophe that no one can save. It's hard to say whether Saitama is dead or not. Anyway, Mars is doomed, and Jesus can't keep it. Don't die so soon, Saitama. After Luo Hao left a word, the five-clawed dragon spread its wings covering the sky and lightly flapped. Oh. In an instant, he had broken through the void on the five-clawed dragon and flew into the starry sky beyond Mars. Standing in the vastness, even he couldn't reach it, and couldn't figure out how big the starry sky was. He watched quietly as the big Mars began to disintegrate step by step, heading towards extinction step by step. Finally, with a silent roar, Nuoda's fireball exploded. It is like a nuclear explosion, and it explodes completely in the vast and boundless universe like fireworks. The loud and bright light is more colorful than the grandest fireworks, making Luo Hao, Aizen Sosuke in the chat and others all dazzled. They often hear the 4 words of destroying the planet, and they even hang on their lips a lot. But in fact, even the strongest Aizen Sosuke in the skirt chat can't do it. Therefore, no one has actually witnessed or accomplished the destruction of a star 1.6 ball. This time, it is also the first time they have witnessed the destruction of the planet from the most intuitive angle. Zhang Chulin. Shanjin mode plus tailed beast transformation. Easily destroying a planet, is this considered Shanlong mode? Aizen Sosuke. The fireworks ignited by the power of the majestic god, really makes people addicted to it, unable to extricate themselves. Whitebeard. Is this the difference between us ordinary skirt friends and the monster manager Luo Boy? Cheomong. The planet is destroyed, so that's how it is. Advertisement. Chapter 467 opened the limiter of the Hokage world. Advertisement. Without witnessing it with your own eyes, you will definitely not be able to appreciate the visual shock and impact brought about by the explosion of the planet. Even if Aizen Sosuke, Whitebeard and others are not standing in the starry sky like Luo Hao, observing at 0 distance. They are just watching from across the world through the live broadcast of the skirt chat. But still let them have an immersive shock. That kind of visual impact that cannot be described in words made their heads buzz. For a long period of time in the future, every skirt friend has set a small goal for himself. That's blowing up a planet. This is what everyone is striving for right now. What surpasses the administrator? What competes with One Punch Man? All these skirt friends don't want to. Before blowing up a planet, they know it's impractical. Gone. Damn. This is the universe. I can't breathe without planets. In the vast and boundless starry sky full of emptiness and silence, Saitama, who was bombarded by the tailed beast bomb in the depths of Mars, was in tatters. But he looked like a dragon and a tiger in a daze, and he didn't seem to be hurt at all. At this time, his attention is completely on the fact that he is in the void of the universe, and he cannot survive without being in the planet. For this reason, he even pinched his nose, for fear that if he breathed indiscriminately, it would be like falling into the sea and eventually drowning. Saitama, you really didn't disappoint me. You have suffered 2 such attacks from the front, and even the explosion of sparks can't hurt you. Luo Hao slowly floated in front of Kyu. Do not talk. Get out of here. I can't breathe. Saitama opened his mouth, but found that his voice could not come out. Advertisement. All right. Don't be stupid. Your physique has long been beyond the scope of human beings. Don't use your inherent cognition to measure your current physique. The environment of the universe cannot shake your body. The so-called inability to breathe is just your inherent cognition. Look, do you feel the suffocation of not being able to breathe right now? Saitama doesn't have any special abilities, it's just playing with fists. So Saitama has no way to speak in the cosmic vacuum, but Luo Hao has no problem. Even in the vacuum of the universe, his voice still reached Saitama's ears very clearly. How can you talk? No. How can I hear your voice? Saitama's eyes widened. His attention was diverted again. For a while, I even forgot the thing I just paid attention to, that I couldn't breathe in the void of the universe. Did you forget it? I am different from you. In addition to a strong physical body, I also practice energy and spirit. These are just some trivial means. Well, do you still feel that you can't survive in the universe? Luo Hao looked at Kyu with a half smile. Question mark. It seems that there is no uncomfortable feeling. Kyu heard the words, felt it carefully, and found that there was no sense of suffocation. On the contrary, his body seems to be capable of self-evolution and self-regulation according to different environments. Advertisement. At this time, not only can he breathe in the universe, but even his voice can be transmitted strangely, for Luo Hao to hear. My voice. It's wired. I can actually talk in the universe. Kyu looked surprised. Humans with the limiter turned on are so unreasonable. Seeing this scene, Luo Hao couldn't help shaking his head. Since he also came to the world of One Punch Man for the first time, and has never been exposed to the complex and inconsistent power system of the world of One Punch Man, he doesn't know whether he and Saitama are the same kind of person. Is the limiter turned on? Because he and Saitama are very similar in a sense. When he first traveled to the world of Hokage, he was also an ordinary person. But after coming into contact with chakra and starting to practice, it is like Saitama, who was an ordinary person and just started basic strength training. Since then, the growth of strength has been out of control. Although he didn't go too far like Saitama, he became One Punch Man simply by doing basic training that children can complete, but his strength is beyond the scope of the Hokage power system. 533 practiced chakra on the first day, and he extracted chakra comparable to Chunin. The first day he came into contact with taijutsu, his taijutsu was already comparable to the Chunin exam, Shaoli after putting down the weight. The first day he came into contact with illusion, he played the illusion to the effect of the 5 senses of the Kurama family. For this reason, the Kurama family even suspected his long-lost members of the Kurama clan. On the first day he came into contact with ninjutsu, he mastered yin-yang, 5 elements, Baian chakra nature transformation. Judging from the efficiency of his cultivation, he is really similar to Saitama. Fang Buddha has a physique that magnifies the effect of cultivation countless times. Obviously everyone is practicing the same, but Luo Hao and Kyu's practice benefits are tens of thousands of times greater than others. Moreover, the income will not gradually decrease with the improvement of strength, but will increase with time, and the income from cultivation will continue to increase. Saitama is so is Luo Hao. If anything, it's a limiter that opens up the world of Hokage. One is the limiter that opens the world of One Punch Man. Advertisement. Chapter 468. Vigorously work a miracle. Advertisement. Forget it, never mind. If you can talk, you can talk. In this way we can also fight in the universe. Don't blow up the planet again. After Kyu pondered for a while, still unable to figure out what was going on with him, he simply stopped thinking about it. Anyway, there are already too many miracles in him. Being able to breathe and speak in the universe is not a big deal. At least compared to his earth-shattering strength through basic strength training, surviving, breathing, and speaking in the universe is nothing at all. Stay away. It's a little closer to Earth here. Even if the power can be unscrupulously released in the universe, without the barrier of the planet, it is estimated that it will affect the Earth. Luo Hao glanced at the water-blue planet in the distance. Although this is not the Earth where his hometown is located, it is only the Earth of the world of One Punch Man. But the appearance of the planet that can be named the Earth is really similar. At least the planetary appearance of One Punch Man's world is very similar to the world he used to be in. Okay. As Kyu said, he stepped on the void with both feet, but found that he stepped on the void. Originally, he wanted to jump from the ruins of Mars to the vicinity of other planets by stepping on the ground, with his jumping ability enough to jump from the moon back to the Earth in one breath. But he forgot that he was in a space where he had nowhere to borrow strength. Not even Mars. It will not be affected by any gravity. This makes him only floating in space. I can't seem to dance. Advertisement. Can you take me to a farther place? Kyu looked at Luo Hao in embarrassment. Ever heard a sentence? Luo Hao shook his head and laughed. What words? Saitama asked curiously. Vigorously miracle. You can't move in the universe, it's because your strength is not enough. If it was big enough, it could be like this. Luo Hao stepped on the void with his right foot. It seems to be one step, but it is actually stepped on thousands of times in the void of the universe. As his right foot fell in the universe, he had already shuttled to a place tens of kilometers away in an instant. Apparently, he cast one of the Marine 6 styles in front of Saitama. As far as pure physical skills are concerned, only using the body to fight does not involve any energy. In Luo Hao's opinion, Marine 6 styles is indeed the best superhuman skill. It can be called a growthable physical skill with no upper limit. The stronger the body, the more terrifying the power that the Marine 6 styles can display. At the same time, Marine 6 styles is also the most exquisite superhuman technique he has ever encountered. In the hands of CP9 like Rob Lucci, the finger pistol is as destructive as a bullet, at most it is more than a sniper rifle. But if it's him, someone like Saitama who uses the finger pistol, it's perfectly normal to pierce through the continental plate with one finger and go straight to the depths of the earth. If he only uses his body to fight, none of the many physical skills he has mastered can surpass Marine 6 styles, at most he can only keep pace with Marine 6 styles in a certain aspect. This is exactly the case. Until now, Luo Hao still uses Marine 6 styles, and as his strength improves, this kind of physical skill is left behind. So it is. Advertisement. He stepped on it at least thousands of times. Then if I step on it tens of thousands, or even 100,000 times, won't it fly farther? Kyu saw Luo Hao's movements, and with his dynamic vision, he could see clearly that Luo Hao stepped on the void thousands of times in an instant. Thinking of this, he suddenly had the idea of stepping on more times in an instant, and at the same time using more power than Luo Hao for each step. Immediately afterwards, he stomped on the void with his right foot. In an instant, he stepped on it tens of thousands of times, and every time he stepped on it, the force was majestic and fierce. If he is not stepping on the void of the universe, but on the surface of a planet. If this step continues, a country will disappear immediately. Tens of thousands of tramples. A continental plate will be reduced to dust. The mobile skill, Moonwalk, which is obviously used to volley and step on the void, has been used abruptly as an attack skill to destroy the planet. Only the great demon King Saitama can do it. Boom. Tens of thousands of times of stepping on it, although no sound was transmitted from the universe, but under the terrifying stepping force of Saitama, a cosmic storm was born. And Saitama himself is floating at the forefront of the cosmic storm. In an instant, he flew, at least tens of thousands of kilometers. This ability is easy to use dogs. It's called Serious Killing Series. Saitama saw that he could display such astonishing speed and burst out such astonishing jumping and vacating abilities in the universe without any help, so he couldn't help thinking of giving this ability a name. It's called Moonwalk, one of the Marine 6 styles. Don't change it to something like Serious Stamping, etc. of the Serious Killing series. Before Saitama could change his name, Luo Hao had already appeared by his side out of thin air, directly proving for Moonwalk. Since Marine 6 styles is used, why not give an explanation to the creator? At least we can't let Saitama taint the name of Moonwalk. Advertisement. Chapter 469. Must kill serious series, consecutive serious punches. Advertisement. Moonwalk. This name is not good. I think it's better to be serious and kill series, it's better to take it seriously. Saitama frowned and said seriously. Whatever. Luo Hao lowered his eyes slightly weakly. He has fought for it. Can be helpless. Changing the name is someone else's authority. What's more, he has never seen anyone who can use Moonwalk for interstellar travel. This is almost as fast as Somersault Cloud. If the physical masters such as Garp and Zephyr in the world of One Piece can see that every time Saitama uses Moonwalk, at least he can cover tens of thousands of kilometers, or even tens of thousands of kilometers. It is estimated that life will be doubted from now on. Think I'm just a weakling. Okay, here it is. The two went back and forth, crossing the universe purely by themselves. Starting from Mars, after running a long distance, Luo Hao just stopped in a cosmic void full of meteorites. Well, let's decide the winner at 160. Saitama glanced at the cosmic starry sky surrounded by nothing but meteorites. Here, he can unscrupulously release all power. It doesn't do any damage to the surrounding area either. Because there is nothing here except meteorites. Advertisement. As for some small celestial bodies in the vicinity, if they are destroyed, they will be destroyed. Fighting here will not happen like it did when Mars was there. After a few hits, Mars will explode on the spot, and finally the battle will be suspended. Come. Luo Hao's eyes narrowed slightly. The dragon wings that cover the sky and the sun, and the five-clawed dragon that soars through the universe reappear in the void of the universe. Seriously must kill series seriously jump back and forth. Saitama's feet sank. Setsuna transforms into tens of thousands of clones. Although each one is an afterimage, it makes it difficult to distinguish between true and false Daig. In an instant, tens of thousands of afterimages have surrounded Luo Hao. He hasn't done anything yet, just splitting into afterimages at an extremely fast speed has triggered a terrifying cosmic storm that ravaged the starry sky. However, the five-clawed dragon covering Luo Hao remained motionless under the storm that could overturn even the planet, and was not damaged at all. Serious killing series continuous serious punches. As Saitama's voice exploded in the starry sky, there were countless stars in the sky, and the incalculable fist smashed the five-clawed dragon in an instant. He kept jumping back and forth earnestly while performing continuous serious punches. Looking around, it looks like there are tens of thousands of Saitama Great Demon Kings performing continuous serious punches on Luo Hao together. Obviously, this time Saitama is not only serious, but also let loose. Unless Luo Hao is defeated, he will not stop at all. Under the overwhelming bombardment of serious fists. Even if the defense is strong enough to be ultimate, the five-clawed Huron, who was still able to stand motionless even under the impact of the planetary explosion at close range, suffered the slightest damage, and was shattered abruptly by Saitama. Just a face-to-face. The thousands-meter-long five-clawed dragon was wiped out under the blanket of Jungjung's punches, leaving not even a shred of starlight behind. And Luo Hao, who lost the protection of the five-clawed dragon, was directly exposed to Saitama's fist. Advertisement. In an instant, an immeasurable serious punch landed on his body. A casual blow is enough to penetrate the planet. Only in this cosmic starry sky, which is very far away from the Earth, can Saitama sway his boundless power so unscrupulously just now. And these countless serious punches landed on Luo Hao's body, the power is even more unimaginable. Even with a physical body as strong as Luo Hao's, the continuous serious punches against Saitama are still shaken. This is also the first time his physical body has been shaken since his debut. Is this what pain feels like? It's been such a long time that I almost thought I had lost the bodily function of pain. Quote. Every second, he endured countless serious punches from Saitama. Even the mouth Kakuzu overflowed bloodshot. But Luo Hao's face was filled with a faint smile instead. Of course he's not a masochist. I don't like getting hurt either. It's just that Saitama can hurt him, which means he can become stronger. At the same time, it also means that this fight is getting more and more interesting. If Saitama can't even hurt him, then there's no point in fighting him. At least, he stood where he was, and let Kyu fight for 3 days and 3 nights, and he couldn't break the defense. The basis of the battle is that both sides can break the opponent's defense to be interesting. The law of the immortal King 8 Inner Gates mode. Facing Saitama's continuous serious punches, Luo Hao is not to be outdone. At the same time as he was injured, scarlet fire, blood-red steam, and flame-like light rose from his body surface. When this layer of light that symbolizes the 8 Inner Gates mode emerges, coupled with the increase in the Shanjin mode, Saitama, who was still performing continuous serious punches to beat Luo Hao just a second ago, suddenly felt a blur in front of his eyes, and then there was a burst of pain in his chest. A long-lost pain came. At the same time, Kitama was blasted tens of thousands of kilometers away on the spot under a majestic force that can push the planet. Advertisement. Chapter 470 Teacher Saitama is actually broken. Advertisement. So you have something more proud. Kyu stretched out his hands to cover his aching chest, his face was full of surprise and joy. He and Luo Hao think exactly the same. I'm afraid that the opponent's strength is too weak, and there is no stronger power. Just like Luo Hao who was hurt just now. At this moment, Kyu, who was hit by Shixiong, was in pain, but the thoughts in his heart were the same as that of Luo Hao. Pain. This is a must for battle. If you can't even beat yourself up, why do you need to beat yourself? There's no fighting joy at all. In Kyu's view, only if Luo Hao can hurt him, can he trigger more long-lost, intense emotions. It's just that Kyu is enjoying it and is happy. But when the people in the skirt chat saw that he was beaten in pain, and even bled, they were all stunned in shock. Especially Billion who knows him best. Zhang Chulin. Damn it. Teacher Kyu was actually broken. Seeds. Isn't it normal to break the defense? The strength of the two of them seems to be on par at present. Whitebeard. Since boy Luo can be beaten, isn't it normal for the bald boy to be beaten and bleed? Zhang Chulin. You don't understand. Teacher Kyu is not only known as One Punch Man, but he has never been beaten in any battle, let alone injured. Aizen Sosuke. No one is infinitely powerful. The so-called One Punch Man is just because we are too weak, so there will be a misunderstanding that any opponent will be solved by one punch. Acedes. That's true, but even I think it's really strange that the two of them will get hurt. Advertisement. Cheomung. Before today, I always thought that Hokage-sama would never get hurt, and no one could make him hurt. Zhang Chulin. Teacher Kyu is really amazing. Even the time traveler got into a fight. Of course, it depends on whether you have the ability to let me take it out. After Luo Hao finished speaking, the person had disappeared in place. He didn't use space-time ninjutsu or pupil art. Like Saitama, he uses physical movement. The two are like two gods stirring up the universe. Every move can cause great turmoil in the universe. Like Luo Hao now, obviously he just rushed towards Saitama, but in the process of his rapid movement, huge storms visible to the naked eye swept through the universe. This storm is even enough to cover a huge planet. When he rushed in front of Kyu, he stomped down with his right foot condescendingly. The law of the immortal Lord Yi Gai. A deep, dragon-like roar, and a god-like howl sounded from Luo Hao's mouth, followed by a dark dragon that buried the planet and merged with the slightly dim cosmic starry sky and appeared out of thin air. This pitch-black giant dragon seems to have penetrated the barriers of the universe and descended from an unknown space. As soon as it appeared, it caused a distortion visible to the naked eye in the universe. We must know that the space in the universe is far stronger than the stars, and the space like the Yuzhong of the heavens, I don't know how many times stronger. It goes without saying that the universe of the One Punch Man world can give birth to monster-level existences like Saitama. Otherwise, the universe is too weak and might be blown up by Saitama. Advertisement. But now, the cosmic wall, which is as solid as the world of One Punch Man, has been distorted by the naked eye by Luo Ku's night muscles. 0 for flowers. What an appalling phenomenon. Although for the vast and boundless universe and starry sky, even a super black hole is just a drop in the ocean, nothing at all. The space distortion caused by Luo Hao's kick now can't even be called a thing. This kind of cosmic phenomenon may be triggered, which means that Luo Hao is not far away from Kenki, who broke the barriers of the universe, tore apart the universe, and punched a black hole with 10 punches. Million hyphenation point serious series. A serious kick. 0. Facing the distorted pitch-black giant dragon that can dent even the void of the universe, Saitama dare not neglect. He had a feeling that even if he was physically as strong as him, once he was kicked head-on by Luo Hao, he would definitely feel very uncomfortable. Without any hesitation, he decisively displayed more stunts in the serious series. Although it was as simple as before, that is to kick it out seriously, but this kick, like Luo Hao, directly smashed the barrier of the universe into it. Although he didn't kick out such special effects as a giant black dragon tearing apart the planet with its teeth and claws, but under his kick, it also formed a beam of light visible to the naked eye in the cosmic starry sky. It was completely caused by kicking the void with boundless kicks. If this foot landed on a planet like Mars, it would be nothing to worry about, one planet at a time. Bang. It's too late, so fast. Although the two stepped out one after the other, the time difference was extremely short. Almost at the moment when the two stepped out and caused the void to collapse, the beam of light and the giant dragon collided fiercely, causing a huge explosion in the starry sky in an instant. Advertisement. Chapter 471. How many sets of push-ups do I have to do to drive Susan? Advertisement. Hold it. Luo Hao couldn't help being a little surprised when he saw Saitama catch his kick firmly. But more than that, joy. Yi Gai is not a big move in his Immortal Law 8 Inner Gates mode. A blow to Yi Gai failed. He raised his right hand, and a black sword and long sword that was as black as ink and entwined with lightning instantly condensed into shape. Immediately afterwards, he waved his right hand. A slash that cut the starry sky in half instantly landed on Saitama. Puff. Although Chi Yu immediately stretched out his hand to block, but still left a bloodstain on his body. Million serious series consecutive serious foot, 317. While Kyu gritted his teeth and took a deep breath, his feet were like rain, and he crazily kicked Luo Hao far away. Every kick he kicked formed a beam of light piercing the starry sky in the universe. In the blink of an eye, thousands of beams of light have all fallen on Luo Hao's body. Reincarnation Sharingan's tail beast transformation you have seen. Have you ever met Susanoo who doesn't know Reincarnation Sharingan? Facing the beam of light in the sky, Luo Hao did not retreat but advanced. As the astonishing black light spewed out from his body, a Susanoo with head above the sky and feet on the ground appeared out of thin air. Looking around, this Susanoo is no smaller than the 5-clawed dragon after the tailed beast bomb. At least a few thousand meters high. Although in the boundless universe it is like a small drop of water in the ocean, or even worse than a small drop of water, but it is incomparably huge in front of Saitama. It doesn't matter if it's big. Saitama let out a low cry, and poured his foot power that would tear apart the starry sky on Susanoo without reservation. This Reincarnation Sharingan Susanoo was blown up on the spot. Advertisement. But Luo Hao doesn't care. Although Susanoo cast by Reincarnation Sharingan is powerful, she is nothing in front of Saitama. What he really wants is to win a short time. Weizhuang Shanlong mode. Luo Hao's left eye burst out with bright golden light, and his right eye burst out with deep black light. Immediately afterwards, a faint golden light appeared on his body surface. Under the shroud of golden light, he looks like a dragon man. Dragon head and human body, both of them have double dragons. When Luo Hao controlled the tailed beast and entered a state similar to Kurama mode, while maintaining the size of a normal person, layers of dark ink-like radiance turned into fine and delicate dragon scales printed on the surface. From the outside, Susanoo looks like a dragon-scale armor. At this time, Luo Hao, although not as huge as mighty Susanoo, nor is he as huge as a five-clawed dragon with a full-tailed beast. But the aura he exudes is even more violent. Although it is only the size of a normal person, whether it is in Saitama or Aizen Sosuke and others in the skirt chat, the current Luo Hao is 100 times more terrifying than when he used Susanoo and turned into a tailed beast. It's changed again. A look of envy flashed in Kyu's eyes. It's so handsome. So far, every ability that Luo Hao has displayed in the battle with him has made him extremely envious and envious. He is not envious of the destructive power of these abilities, but the special effects and appearance of these abilities. A five-clawed dragon with a tailed beast. Soaring Susanoo. And now the dragon head, the back with wings, and the appearance covered with black dragon scales. The majestic dragon mode is so cool in Saitama's eyes. 100 times more cool than the characters in the games he played. Advertisement. His moves and attacks are so powerful that they are heaven-defying, but no matter the name or the special effects that come with them, they are too inferior. I don't know how many more sets of push-ups I have to do to drive this Susan. Thinking of Luo Hao's various abilities, Saitama couldn't help thinking. He is the only one who can produce such a strange brain circuit in such a battle. Saitama. After entering the Weizhuang Shanlong mode, the pair of dragon wings on Luo Hao's back shook slightly. 0. The cosmic starry sky with a radius of thousands of kilometers suddenly vibrated. The terrifying storm is entrenched in the starry sky, and it will not disperse for a long time. Just a slight flap of the dragon's wings caused a planet-level disaster. Kyu heard this, and subconsciously looked at Luo Hao. When I looked at it, I found that Luo Hao stretched out his hand and waved it. The beam of light that he kicked out just now was like a broken mirror, all of which were swept into starlight. Immediately afterwards, Luo Hao's body did not move, but the person appeared in front of Saitama as if teleporting silently. So fast. Saitama's pupils shrank. This is the first time since he fought with Luo Hao that his dynamic vision could not keep up with Luo Hao's speed. This speed beyond the insight of his eyes made it too late for him to react. Finger pistol. With the sound of an indifferent voice, a dragon claw-like index finger has already touched Saitama's chest. Puff. With one blow, Saitama's eyes instantly widened like bull's eyes. He lowered his head slowly, as if in disbelief, and glanced at his chest. Luo Hao's dragon claw-like index finger had penetrated his chest and penetrated into his body. Advertisement. Chapter 472 One Punch Man lost to the skirt manager. Advertisement. I was injured. Saitama's eyes were full of disbelief. Even though he was beaten until he vomited blood, he broke the defense. But that's nothing more than a minor injury. With his physique, he healed in an instant. But now, his body was pierced directly, and a blood hole was opened by Luo Hao's finger. Click. Just when Saitama felt unbelievable, the universe behind him suddenly distorted, and finally formed a black hole the size of a fingertip. Although it is only a small black hole, the space barrier of the universe was pierced by Luo Hao with one finger. It was pierced abruptly by his finger force, which was so strong as ultimate. The finger force that even the barriers of the universe can't bear. It's perfectly normal for Saitama's body to be pierced and a blood hole to be pierced. Is it a surprise? Luo Hao stood quietly in front of Kyu. A pair of black and golden dragon eyes stared at Kyu, who was close at hand. A bit of a surprise. Although your strength is very strong and can hurt me, I never thought that you could hurt me severely. As for defeating me, I never even thought about it. Saitama's tone was a little dazed. Serious injury. Defeated. These two words are too unfamiliar to him. He thought that it was impossible for him to feel it in his life, and it was impossible to experience it. But now, he is not far away from these two words. At least, he was injured, and not badly. From the outside, although he was just opened a blood hole, but that can even penetrate the barrier of the universe, what a terrifying force. Such an attack, such a complete set of output hits Saitama's body, naturally it is impossible to create such an injury as a small blood hole. As a victim of such output, Saitama is well aware of how serious his injuries are. Advertisement. This seemingly ordinary finger has caused him serious injuries. For the first time since he practiced for 3 years and achieved One Punch Man, he suffered a serious injury. Fine. Everyone has a first time. Only when you have tasted the glory of victory and the shame of defeat can you be called a real man. Luo Hao said lightly. Then have you ever lost? Kyu asked reflexively after hearing the words. If you're asking about this life, I'm sorry to tell you. I have never lost once in my life. Luo Hao shook his head. Since he traveled to the Hokage world, he has never lost in any of the sparring, exams, and battles he has participated in, not even a tie. He is the first in the test. No one can break the record he set so far in the ninja world. In the ninja school competition, naturally, he has always been the leader, far away from the second place Namikaze Minato. After graduating, he was the best in the ninja world, unmatched by anyone. Killed the 4 major ninja villages to pieces, and even changed the 4 shadows by him. Then you still say that you have tasted victory and defeat before you can be called a man. Saitama was a little speechless. I am comforting you. Because you will lose and I won't. So, I'm not a man. I'm just a winner who never loses. Luo Hao shook his head. Zhang Chulin. Win, has the outcome been announced? I didn't expect this to be the result. Acedes. One Punch Man lost to the administrator. Advertisement. Whitebeard. When a challenger meets a bigger challenger, there is always a time for defeat. Aizen Sosuke. It's terrible. I lost this time. I took a lot of bets that Mr. Hokage lost. Mewtwo. Captain Aizen loses money. Acetus. Losing money. Whitebeard. Fortunately, Laozi won by my Luo. Just when Aizen Sosuke was about to go bankrupt after losing, and was settling this loss with tears, the battle between Luo Hao and Saitama gradually came to an end. I have another trick. If you can take it, I will admit defeat. Saitama exhaled bloody breath. It is good. Luo Hao took a deep look at Saitama. He knew that Saitama was eager to find someone to fight with him, eager to find someone to receive his punch, but it didn't mean he was defeated by Duguchu, he really wanted to be defeated. In fact, no matter whether it was him or Saitama, they never thought that they would lose. Maybe now they are not the strongest in absolute 120 pairs, but their strength is getting stronger every moment. Maybe the people who are stronger than them at this moment will be far surpassed by them in a few days, and they will be thrown away. Million Full Power Series. Saitama jumped back sharply, first out of Luo Hao's index finger that pierced his body, and then with 5 fingers clenched into a fist. With a roar of gritted teeth, the muscles of his whole body began to expand exaggeratedly. Originally, Saitama's figure looked very well proportioned, like a fit cheetah. But now, with the highly swollen muscles of the whole body, he has become like an indiscriminate bodybuilder, looking like a brown bear standing up. Full Power Series. When Luo Hao heard this, a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. He really didn't expect that One Punch Man actually hit a Full Power Series in addition to the Killer Serious series. But seeing the change in Kyu's figure, he knew it wasn't made by Kyu temporarily. Clearly, Saitama has mastered the series early on. It's just that it has never been displayed in front of anyone. Advertisement. Chapter 473 Instant Kill Full Power Series, Full Power Punch. Advertisement. But this is also normal. Not to mention that Saitama, the monster with the limiter turned on, is improving every day. Even if his strength has reached ultimate after opening the limiter from now on, his strength is terrifying to the point of destroying stars. Maybe the sun-level planet can't be destroyed. However, planets at the level of the Earth and Mars are really like playing. Whether it is a slap or a step, a star will be gone on the spot. With this kind of strength, Saitama is cautious even when using ordinary punches, and when he uses the Nirvana series, he tries his best to control his strength. Basically, whenever Saitama's opponents are outrageously powerful when using the Kill series, especially when using the attacking tricks. The first time is Boros who destroyed the Earth. The ruthless man who can knock Saitama from the Earth to the moon with one blow. Saitama used the Serious Fist. The second time was Elder Centipede, although his strength was far inferior to that of Poros, but he still made several S-class heroes helpless. Only then did Kyu use Jungjungchen, and it is estimated that this wave will be useless for too long. Most of them want to exercise their muscles and bones. Even the Killing Serious series is rarely used, let alone the All-Out series that surpasses the Killing Serious series. But seeing the defeat now, Kyu is obviously not reconciled to this. In the vast starry sky, he just happened to be able to do it unscrupulously. Full Power Series is my strongest trick at the moment. I only have one move. Because it's hard to control. On Earth, I don't dare to use it indiscriminately, even if it's just for practice. Otherwise, if I'm not careful, I'm afraid of the fist wind and the Earth will be torn into 2 halves. Advertisement. The muscles all over his body were highly inflated, and Saitama, who had transformed from a strong leopard into an upright brown bear, said every word. When he spoke, the body that had been pierced by Luo Hao's pointing had already recovered as before. From the outside, it looks like there is no injury at all. This is the horrible flesh with the limiter turned on. The injury was so serious, it was a blow that pierced through the barrier of the universe, but the pressure still recovered at a frightening speed. Indeed. But you can use it now. Here is the vast starry sky, you will not destroy anything. Even if the cosmic barrier is pierced, it can be repaired in an instant. After all, our power is just a drop in the ocean for the boundless universe. Even if we try our best, we cannot destroy a solar system. Not to mention the Nuoda universe. Luo Hao nodded in understanding after listening to Saitama's words. After all, isn't his Shanjin mode the same? Once used, it will instantly make Nuoda's original ball space unable to withstand the rampage of natural energy, let alone the continuous power emanating from his body, and go to the space to die on the spot. And Saitama's all-powerful series is even more pervert. This is not like Shanjin mode, it is a state, which is equivalent to transforming. Saitama's full force series is obviously an attack move. Once used, it will really tear Nuoda's Earth into 2 halves. In this regard, neither Luo Hao nor Aizen Sosuke, Whitebeard and others in the skirt chat have any doubts. So you, get ready to take a punch. Since I have never used this trick before, I don't know how powerful it is. Advertisement. You have to wake up your spirits, don't wait for a while, not only will you lose the victory you got, but you will also lose your life. Saitama reminded. Although he wanted to win, he didn't want to kill Luo Hao for it. In his opinion, an opponent like Luo Hao is really great. If he really died under his full force series, then he would be at a big loss. Are you so confident? But you can rest assured. Just relying on you, still can't kill me. Luo Hao shook his head lightly. Second kill hyphenation point full power series, full power punch. Seeing that Luo Hao is full of confidence, Saitama stopped talking. After he spit out the name of the move that was as usual very earthy, he didn't rush forward, just separated from Luo Hao by more than 1,000 meters, raised his right hand covered with veins like a dragon arm, punch forward. Bang. Obviously the universe cannot transmit sound. But the moment Qiu punched out, this starry sky seemed to have a big bang. Nuo Li Jiao, his punch was so powerful that it seemed to be able to change the rules of the universe in a short period of time. Vibrantly shot earth-shattering explosives in the starry sky. The mighty and boundless fist power instantly swept through the mighty fist wind enough to envelop a planet. With just the wind of fists, the nearby meteorites instantly turned into dust. The incomparably strong cosmic barrier actually has a distortion visible to the naked eye. Wherever the fist wind like a cosmic storm passes, everything is annihilated. It's just boxing. This is only caused by the fist wind. And the mighty and domineering boxing power brought together by Saitama's power broke the barriers of the universe on the spot, making cracks like broken glass. Advertisement. Chapter 474 is the limiter that Mr. Saitama opened a counterfeit. Advertisement. With the strength of the cosmic barriers, it is already an extremely terrifying thing to be broken and torn apart into space cracks. What's even more frightening is that the repair speed of the cosmic barrier is unbelievable. Basically cracks are repaired as soon as they appear. Unless it is a cosmic disaster that is equivalent to a celestial body at the level of a black hole. That has gone beyond the category of space cracks. But now, where Saitama's fist power passed, not only cracked the space, but also made these extremely hideous and hopeless space cracks that could not be repaired for a long time. His fist power is concentrated and does not disperse, directly entrenched in this starry sky. As long as his punching power does not dissipate and is not exhausted, the cosmic barrier cannot be repaired. This is the Spike Full Power series. That's a full-blown punch. Saitama the Great Demon Lord has always been hiding a trick. With one punch, the barriers of the universe will be broken and cannot be repaired. Very strong. Facing Saitama's full-strength punch, Luo Hao's face shrouded in the black dragon's head revealed a trace of solemnity. This is also the first time since he crossed 603, he has faced countless opponents and participated in countless battles, and he has shown a dignified look for the first time. It is conceivable that there is indeed something about this punch of the great demon King Saitama. Feeling the destructive power contained in a full-strength punch, Luo Hao did not neglect. With one finger, he released the yin-yang and five-element magic chakra, but in the end he didn't form a pitch-black truth-seeking ball. Instead, it turned into golden balls of light. The appearance is quite similar to the truth-seeking ball. Immediately afterwards, these golden balls of light similar to truth-seeking balls spun and merged into one in Luo Hao's palm, turning into a golden long sword. Advertisement. The Law of the Immortal Monarch 6 Paths Reincarnation. When the golden long sword landed in his palm, Luo Hao slashed forward. The golden long sword, which was originally only 1 meter long, was like a wishful golden cudgel, and the distance between Setsuna extended to tens of thousands of kilometers. A sword fell and turned the starry sky upside down. The incomparably solid cosmic barrier was cut out by a sword on the spot with a space crack that was tens of thousands of kilometers long. Just like the cracks created by Saitama's punches can't be repaired at all. The space cracks cut by Luo Hao's golden long sword are also irreparable. At least it is impossible to repair before the power of the two of them dissipates. Luo Hao's sword to release Buddha not only has the power to cut through the universe and starry sky, but also has the power to send all living beings and even this starry sky into the eternal reincarnation of 6 paths with one sword, sinking forever, never to be reincarnated again. There is no way to break free. Click. Although Saitama's fist power is boundless and mighty enough to smash several planets as huge as Mars with one punch, but under Luo Hao's sword, all the fist power can only be broken in the end. Annihilate. Neutralize. Annihilate. A sword falls. Starry sky. A sword falls. A full punch is gone. A sword falls. Saitama's chest had a hideous sword wound with deep bone visible. And behind him, there appeared a cosmic crack that was so dark that a Buddha could attract everything into it. This is Luo Hao's sword piercing through his body, causing shattering damage to the cosmic space behind him. DADB. Quote question mark quote. Advertisement. Saitama lowered his head and looked at the sword wound on his chest. This is the second time. For the first time, a hole was punched out of the body. The second time was a sword wound with a deep visible bone, and you could even see your own internal organs and the scenery behind you. These two injuries are getting worse each time. This long-lost and unfamiliar pain actually made him feel weak and dizzy like ordinary people when they are seriously injured. Yes, you lost, Luo Hao said lightly. This sword of yours hasn't released all its power yet. Saitama shook his head, and quickly forgot about the outcome. In comparison, what he cares more about is how strong Luo Hao is. Zhang Chulin. FK, if what Teacher Qiu said is true, how strong is Boss Luo? Aizen Sosuke. As the limiter opened by Mr. Saitama a counterfeit. The limiter opened by Mr. Hokage is genuine. Whitebeard. How on earth is the limiter turned on? Cheomung. If there is a drop of Saitama's blood, I can still study it, otherwise I really can't do it. Seeds. Even if he is standing and you poke him in the eye, you won't be able to get any blood. Whitebeard. It seems that we can only continue to work on Hogyoku and the fruit of the sacred tree for now. Ever since they learned about the limiter from Billion, whether it's Aizen Sosuke, who is extremely scientific, or Cheomung, the only super scientist among the super mythical beasts, they all have their eyes on the limiter. In their opinion, compared to Hogyoku, compared to the fruit of the sacred tree, the limiter is really powerful and much more convenient. As long as you open it, and practice a few times, your strength will be like riding a rocket to work. Needless to say, Saitama is the best example. Obviously, the strength of the whole body has reached the level of a star-studded punch, and if you do basic strength training, such as 100 push-ups, your strength can still rise like a rocket. Advertisement. Chapter 475 Saitama. After a fight, I seem to have become stronger again. Advertisement. Unfortunately, even in the world of One Punch Man, the natives here don't know anything about limiters. At present, the only one who knows this kind of thing is the doctor from the House of Evolution. And, he just knows it. About everything about the limiter, I probably know more than Luo Hao, that is, billion some. Because of this kind of thing, he has never touched it, nor studied it, let alone opened it. So far, only Saitama himself has opened the world of One Punch Man. However, the strength of the great demon King Saitama is unbelievably strong. Even if someone wants to get a little researchable sample from him, there is no way to do it. First off, all his hair fell out. If you want to send all of them for research, you can't do it. Secondly, his physical body is indestructible, what King Kong is indestructible, immortal, and his flesh is weak and explodes in front of the physical body of the great demon King Saitama. It is impossible to get a little skin tissue from him, let alone get a blood sample further. Few people in the world of One Punch Man knew about the limiter, and no one would research it. Even if there is, facing Saitama who is so powerful, they have no way to study it. Indeed, I haven't used all my strength yet. Facing Kyu's question, Luo Hao didn't hide anything, just nodded and admitted. How many more? After Kyu heard this, she didn't show much shock. Because as early as in the confrontation just now, he had already affirmed that there was still room for Luo Hao. The key is how much room there is. Advertisement. My left and right eyes can tell time. Your punching power is only strong enough to interfere with space, and you can't reverse time. If I use the pupil power of my left and right eyes, I can completely neutralize your attack with time. For example, when you make a shot, I can let the time go back to the time period before you made a shot. Or I can jump in time, jump directly to a certain time segment in the future to avoid your punch. Before the difference in strength reaches the point of great disparity, just the pupil technique of controlling time for the left and right eyes is enough to make me invincible forever. As Luo Hao spoke, he lost the state of having wings on his back, a dragon head and a human body covered with black dragon scales. After dispelling the prestige Shanlong mode, he revealed a pair of shining golden reincarnation Sharingan. What a brilliant ability. Why are my moves not as good looking or as handsome as yours? Saitama looks envious. He doesn't envy how strong Luo Hao's ability is, but simply envies Luo Hao's handsome ability and special effects. In comparison, although his attack also has special effects, the sound and light effects are really far behind. Because you are a major in the physical body, and you are only a person who simply cultivates the energy of the body. Physical training is not weak, on the contrary, it is very strong. However, compared to other cultivation systems, physical training is much more simple in terms of ability. However, physical training also has its own advantages, one step at a time. Once it becomes strong, one finger will destroy the world, it is almost impossible to target. There are no constraints from the environment, rules, etc. To put it bluntly, it is the type that breaks through all spells with one force. Luo Hao said, although Saitama is still far away from the level of breaking 10,000 spells with one force, the great demon King Saitama is already the most powerful and purest body cultivation he has come into contact with so far. Advertisement. 0 looking for flowers. For other people, no matter how strong their physical body is, it involves the cultivation of energy, spirit and other aspects. Only Saitama, doing the simplest push-ups and squatting on the spot, has developed a powerful and unparalleled physique. I also feel that I am very strong, but I am not a teacher. By the way, are your left and right eyes the limit? If so, I guess I will be able to catch up with you soon. I feel that after fighting with you, my strength seems to have become stronger. Quote. Saitama's words immediately made all the members in the skirt chat Kakuzu couldn't help but twitch slightly. Can even fighting with others improve your strength? Does this count as exercise? But think about it. Compared with Saitama's usual push-ups and long-distance running, the battle between him and Luo Hao was indeed much more intense. On second thought, after the fight with Luo Hao, it is understandable that Saitama became stronger again. It is estimated that you may continue to catch up for a while. In that blow just now, I only used Shanjin Chakra, not this thing. While talking, Luo Hao entered the posture of Weizhuang Shanlong mode again. It has 2 wings on its back, a dragon head and a human body, and its whole body is covered with black dragon scales. After entering this stance, Luo Hao performed the 6 paths reincarnation just now again. Golden energy balls like truth-seeking balls gathered together to form a golden long sword. Immediately afterwards, he grabbed the void with his other hand, and a long sword of chakra as black as ink appeared out of thin air. Apparently, this is Susanoo's chakra sword. At the same time, the dragon head covering Luo Hao's head slowly opened its mouth, and a shining golden-tailed beast bomb instantly condensed into a mountain. Advertisement. Chapter 476 It shouldn't be a problem for me to kill you, Saitama. Advertisement. If on the basis of 6 paths reincarnation, add these 2 kinds of power. I think if this sword is chopped on you, even if it fails to kill you, it can kill you to the point of paralysis. Luo Hao holds a golden long sword in his right hand, a black chakra long knife in his left hand, and a golden-tailed beast bomb condensed in his mouth. The moment his voice fell, the chakra long knife and tailed beast bomb sank into the golden long sword at the same time. In the closet, the golden long sword not only turned into a black golden long sword, but at the same time, there was a small golden dragon wandering around and flying around the blade. Hiss. Seeing this scene, the great demon King Qiu couldn't help taking a breath of 617. He can feel it, putting my body as if it was warning him. It seemed to keep him away from the man in front of him, mainly from the black gold long sword wrapped around the golden dragon. Because this thing can bring him life-threatening. What a dangerous thing. Saitama's face showed a dignified look. Do you remember what I told you earlier? In addition to chakra, I also do multiple strength systems. In the confrontation with you just now, I basically just used the chakra system and a devil fruit. In addition, I also master Haki, swordsmanship, Shinigami system, one-man system and many other power systems. If you use all of them, killing the current you should not be a problem. Quote. After careful estimation, Luo Hao gave an accurate answer. That's right. After fighting against Saitama, he affirmed his strength. Although he still hasn't exerted all his strength, he has roughly figured out where his limit is. At least he knows his limit today. All power systems are fully activated. Advertisement. Killing One Punch Man. Saitama-sensei is no problem at all. So much. While Qiu was delighted to hear it, a proud fighting spirit appeared on his face. Awesome. It turns out that he is not the strongest. At the same time, he doesn't have to worry about catching up with Luo Hao all at once. Because the distance surpasses the current Luo Hao, he still needs to sit for many days of basic strength training. And he also knows that Luo Hao should be the same kind of person as him, and he won't stand still. While he is improving, Luo Hao is also improving. If he can't earn several times of Luo Hao's daily practice income stably, then there is basically no possibility for him to surpass Luo Hao. But he didn't worry about it at all. Not only because of his confidence in himself, but also because he is very happy to have an administrator like Luo Ku. With such a person around, no matter how strong I become, my emotions will not disappear completely. That's right. Apart from hair loss, emotions are already the most important thing for Saitama. He has lost all his hair, and he can't change that. But the few emotions left can still be salvaged. Therefore, he doesn't want to really become a person who has no joy, anger, sorrow or joy at all. In that case, he doesn't even know if he is still a person, if he is himself. More than you think. You are now also a member of the Skirt Chat. As an administrator, I can enter any of your worlds. The more people who join the chat in the future, the more worlds I can enter, and the more power systems I can come into contact with. So you will improve, and so will I. Advertisement. Luo Hao gave Saitama some little pressure. At least let him double his daily strength training. From the original 100 push-ups to 200. Well, can you teach me? Just that chakra you used just now. It seems very handsome. Saitama looked at Luo Hao expectantly. 0. Of course, I can also tell you about my cultivation system. It's the 100 push-ups. Maybe he also knew that his behavior was a bit abrupt, so he immediately added a sentence. Okay. You needn't say it. Keep that cultivation method of yours. I guess I searched all over the world of One Punch Man, and I can't find another person who can temper his body to this point by relying on basic strength training like you. Before Qiu finished speaking, Luo Hao directly interrupted him. What power system? No one can break this limiter except you. And your set of cultivation methods, everyone in the world can adapt to it, 5.0, but except for you, it is useless for anyone who has practiced it. At least Luo Hao can be sure, whether he has opened the limiter or not, he doesn't know, but if he uses Saitama's cultivation method to cultivate 100 elements, it will be useless. After all, he and Saitama-sensei are really completely different. Although he also has the benefits of heaven-defying cultivation, but he has not yet reached the point where Mr. Saitama is so unreasonable. He is already a person who can blow up the planet with one punch, but even doing 100 push-ups can have earth-shattering cultivation benefits. This is simply more exaggerated than gods and immortals. At least, in this aspect, Luo Hao really doesn't think he can compare to Saitama-sensei, this pervert. Advertisement. Chapter 477A Few Hands-on Practice. Refining Super Cage Level Chakra in 1 second. Advertisement. B. Hearing that Luo Hao rejected his secret training plan straight away, Qiu was a little embarrassed. Don't look at his unparalleled strength in the world. Obviously she is Xiao Mengxin who has just entered the skirt, but she is firmly seated in the second position. But in fact, he is definitely the poorest one in the skirt chat. None of them. His strength basically belongs only to him, and cannot be taught to others. Does not have any transactional nature. Because he can't bring anyone else any good. That's why Whitebeard and Aizen Sosuke called him a bald boy and were very upset with him. Although the other called Saitama-sensei, they didn't mean to curry favor with him. It's all because Saitama's strength is unique. It cannot be copied or used for reference. His so-called training plan is even more meaningless. And Saitama more or less knows this now. 30. Facing Luo Hao's direct rejection of his training plan, he realized that he really had nothing to offer. All right, you don't have to think about giving me anything. I've got what I want the most. You want chakra? I can teach you. Luo Hao saw that Saitama was a little overwhelmed, so he reassured him. Then what's the point? You just taught Genos, teach me again. Saitama hugged her bald head a little embarrassedly. Advertisement. In his opinion, he owes Luo Hao a lot. The apprentice wants someone else to teach. Now I have to teach myself to others. But he still can't offer anything to repay this favor. Nothing. For me, passing on your chakra practice method is just a snap of my fingers. Just like Genos. I see him well, so give him the calendar of 9 tails. And that's all. Luo Hao waved his hand, then casually threw a scroll to Saitama. Is this the way to practice chakra? After Kyu stretched out his hand to catch the scroll, his face suddenly showed a look of treasure. What he values is not chakra's power, but chakra's special effects. Although you specialize in the physical body, but I think with such a powerful physical body to carry and nourish your soul, then your spirit, will, and soul must be extremely strong. For you, in a very short period of time. When Luo Hao was halfway through speaking, Kyu opened the scroll, and formed a very crappy seal according to the scroll. Whether it's Luo Hao, or all the members in the skirt chat, anyone who has learned chakra can see that Saitama's seal is not standard. Zhang Chulin. It seems that teacher Kyu really has no talent for cultivating other power systems. Whitebeard. This ball boy is really bad at talent. He can't even imitate a seal, and he can't even make a single seal. He still wants to refine chakra. Seeds. Although the seal movement is not standard, it is still no problem to refine chakra. Aizen Sosuke. Not bad. Although there are flaws in the movements, it can't hold back Saitama-sensei's powerful body. I think his progress should be good. In their view, although Saitama's seal is not well formed, it is very substandard, which greatly affects the efficiency of refining chakra. But I can't stand Saitama's strong physique. With such a powerful body energy, no matter how substandard the seals are and how slow the chakra refining efficiency is, it is still not a problem to train a Chunin, Jonin level chakra in a short period of time. Advertisement. Boom. Almost at the moment when Saitama performed the seal gesture, chakra spewed out from his body and shot straight into the sky. The strength of this chakra has completely surpassed the scope of Shadow, and it is not even inferior to Genos who has obtained the power of 9 tails. Seeds. Aizen Sosuke. Zhang Chulin. Mewtwo. Whitebeard. Speechless. All the members in the skirt chat saw that Saitama had refined chakra beyond the cage level category with just one seal, comparable to 9 tails. They were all completely silent. Another blind practice. 560. And it took a few seconds to practice blindly. Humans who have turned on the limiter are so incomprehensible. 1 second. It only takes a second to print. Surprisingly, a super cage level chakra has been practiced blindly. And it's still no less than Senju Hashirama, a super cage level powerhouse who is dominated by chakra's huge size. Luo Hao is also a little speechless. It took him a lot of time to cultivate the chakra that appeared in Saitama's hands as an ordinary person. Although he was just a child at the time, and when Saitama started practicing chakra, he was already capable of bursting into stars with one punch, but seeing that Saitama used crappy knuckles in a second to refine a chakra that is no less than 9 tails and Senju Hashirama, he still felt very helpless when he was in chakra. At this time, even he really wanted to know what kind of thing a limiter was. This is simply more open than the innate body, and even more open than the gene lock. Once opened, no matter how many hands you practice, you will be invincible. Advertisement. Chapter 478 Saitama. Super S-Class Wind Style, it seems not difficult to learn. Advertisement. As that's so, I feel like there is an extra heat in my body. Although it feels a bit weak and incomparable to yours, but I think it should be what you call chakra. Just when everyone lamented that the human being who unlocked the limiter is so unreasonable, Saitama raised his head and asked Luo Hao with a blank face. Good. With this thing, you can practice ninja, body, phantom, and sword, and of course throwing. Luo Hao shook his head. Sure enough, he deserves to be a man who has cultivated a star-studded strength by relying on a set of basic strength training that a child can complete. It really doesn't make any sense. But it's normal to think about it. Basic strength training. Saitama can train from an ordinary person to a star in 3 years. Now that he has a complete and exquisite chakra refining scroll, coupled with a powerful background, it is not so incomprehensible that he can instantly extract a chakra that is no less than 9 tails. After all, is there anything about Saitama-sensei that people can easily accept? Except that he is really good at playing games. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, illusion, sword, and throwing. Saitama quickly opened the scroll, and found that there were very detailed science popularization in the scroll. Each cultivation system is recorded in detail. Even every cultivation system lists a kind of technique. For example, fire-style nature transformation, which lists the iconic Great Fireball and the Great Fire Extinction. Imagine the wind, the thinner the sharper. After seeing the explanation of wind-style nature transformation, Kyu frowned slightly. Immediately afterwards, he stretched out his hand and gestured blindly in the void of the universe. But when he slashed forward with his right hand, a storm was blown up out of thin air in the universe. A roaring hurricane strong enough to cover dozens of kilometers. Advertisement. This scene shocked everyone in the skirt chat dumbfounded. Even the most talented Aizen Sosuke is far less terrifying than Saitama when practicing chakra nature transformation. Just watch it once and learn it. And with a few hand gestures, it actually triggered a super S-level wind-style ninjutsu without the need for seals. It doesn't seem too difficult. Seeing the scene in front of him, Shiyu raised a smile at the corner of his mouth. Even the basic yin-yang and 5 elements, as long as you learn it, you can match your normal series, serious series, and all-out series. Absolutely any move is so handsome. The special effects have been improved by dozens of levels on the spot. For example, he punched out, but thunder and lightning added to his body. It's like Thunder God coming, unstoppable. It's really not too difficult for you. Luo Hao was a little bit dumbfounded. If the so-called geniuses in the ninja world, such as Ant Snake, White Fang, and Yellow Flash, see Saitama practicing chakra, the speed of learning ninjutsu, and the destructive power, I guess they will all be on their own. He was so filthy that he brandished a knife and killed himself on the spot. No way. This level of cultivation speed, this level of destructive power, is really unbelievable. This is still the power at the beginning. If you give Saitama a few days, yes, not months, let alone years. It's just a few days of practice. Saitama doesn't need to use his physical strength, just playing chakra can blow up the moon. Although he is not as handsome as you are, he is much more handsome than before. Thank you, Luo Hao. Hiyu said to Luo Hao gratefully. Need not. I also took advantage of you, but you didn't know it. Luo Hao waved his hand, and the space-time ninjutsu was activated. Advertisement. Although the two stood motionless in place, the surrounding scene suddenly changed drastically. In a trance, the two of them have returned to the Earth in an instant from the starry sky that is very far away from the Earth. Mr. Luo Hao, Mr. Saitama, are you back? Gino saw the two of them coming back and ran over quickly. However, there was a look of hesitation on his face. What's the matter? Gino's. Saitama couldn't help asking when he saw Gino's defecation. That, Saitama-sensei, Mr. Luo, please forgive me. In the end, who won your duel? Gino's hesitated for a moment, but finally couldn't hold back his inner curiosity and asked. This one. It was Luo Hao who won. Before Luo Hao could speak, Hiyu had already spoken first. Ms. Saitama actually lost. It's not that Gino's didn't think that Luo Hao would win, but he knew Saitama first, and the strength of Saitama has already been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. In his opinion, the one with a higher chance of winning should be Saitama, who has unlimited strength. I didn't expect that someone as strong as Saitama would lose sometimes. Luo Hao's strength is much stronger than me at this stage. He can kill me. Saitama sighed, and then wrung his fingers as if calculating. I guess I have to catch up with him now. It should take 2 months. But if he is improving in 2 months, and the speed of improvement is not slower than mine, then it will be a bit difficult to catch up. His words once again stunned everyone in the skirt chat. Advertisement. Chapter 479. Advertisement. 2 months. It actually made Saitama jump to the combat power of Luo Hao's full force system. What a frightening speed of cultivation. You know, Saitama is no longer an ordinary person. His strength has reached the ceiling of the One-Punch Man world. But his cultivation efficiency still didn't decrease, on the contrary, it became more and more fierce. A strength and training speed that even Saitama-sensei can't catch up to. Gino's already knew how pervert Saitama's cultivation efficiency is. Even if you give Saitama a set of radio gymnastics, you can still be a star-studded monster. But this perverted Saitama not only lost to Luo Hao, but also took as much as 2 months to catch up with Luo Hao. The most important thing is that it may not be able to catch up. In Gino's view, if Luo Hao can cultivate to the point where he is stronger than the current Saitama, he must be another monster. Even if the speed of cultivation is not as good as that of Saitama, it is not far behind. Mr. Luo, I've imagined how powerful you were before. 320 didn't expect you to be so powerful that even Mr. Saitama would find it difficult to defeat you. Gino's glanced at Luo Hao, shook his head and sighed. Frankly, in terms of training benefits, I am not as good as your teacher Saitama. At least, I can't rely on basic strength training to reach the point of starburst. Luo Hao smiled wryly. He beat One-Punch Man Saitama-sensei. However, the efficiency and benefits of cultivation are really inferior to Saitama. Even if Saitama can maintain this speed of cultivation, it will not be easy for him to stay far ahead. After all, who knows how powerful Saitama will be after getting Chakra's training system. Advertisement. Even so, Mr. Love, you are unmatched. I really didn't expect anyone in this world to beat Saitama-sensei. Saitama's pervert dog practice benefits are unparalleled. But in Gino's view, it is already very remarkable to beat Saitama. As for surpassing Saitama in terms of training benefits, it is really difficult. At least Gino's didn't think he could meet such a person in his life. Okay, don't talk about that. Chakra I also taught you Saitama. If you two masters and apprentices are free on weekdays, you can discuss and study with each other. But you'd better take your teacher to the desert. No, it's better to study on other planets. He refined chakra that is comparable to yours in just 1 second, and at the same time refined wind style that surpassed S rank in 1 second. Luo Hao reminded Gino's, and then said to Saitama. What skirt talk? I still have something to do, let's go first. After finishing speaking, before Saitama could speak, he had already disappeared in place. At the same time, the live video was also turned off by him. The fight is over. Continue to sit firmly on the skirt and chat about the leading position. It proves that the strength of his administrator is unshakable. Even Ms. Saitama, One Punch Man, the strongest newcomer in the history of Wanjie chat skirt, can't shake it. Also got what I wanted. Naturally, there is no need for this live video to be turned on. Evolution House. This force is estimated to be wiped out by Saitama in the near future. Advertisement. After saying goodbye to Saitama and Genos, Luo Hao performed time-space ninjutsu and came here directly in one step. Without the slightest concealment from Luo Hao, Dr. Genos, who had created many powerful weirdos by virtue of his impressive strength and the surveillance equipment densely distributed throughout the base, turned around suddenly. You can call me fourth Hokage. Luo Hao glanced at Dr. Genos, who quietly moved his right hand towards the table. I advise you not to make any senseless moves. Sit quietly, listen to me, and then do what I say. This is the best option for you. As soon as he finished speaking, an illusion hit Dr. Genos directly. Let Dr. Genos directly experience the battle between him and Saitama to destroy the stars. Is it really a battle that humans can achieve? A human being who can reach this level with just basic strength training. So what's the point of my research? Through illusion, I learned about Saitama's strength, and also learned that Saitama was so unreasonable that he surpassed the restrictions of the rules and practiced gains. Dr. Genos suffered a huge blow just like in the original time and space. A second ago, he was aggressively questioning Luo Hao, and even prepared to release the weirdos in the base to deal with Luo Hao, so he slumped down on the chair in despair. Through the efforts of, and it's such a simple, humble, and insignificant effort to break through the limit to this point. Then Dr. Genos is not as good as he expected. What's the point of his wisdom if hard work is useful? His research, development, and dedication over the years are like beeping the dog. Who says it doesn't make sense? Saitama's existence is indeed irreproducible, but each person himself is also irreproducible. As long as you understand the key to Saitama's strength, is it theoretically possible for everyone to be as strong as Saitama through simple efforts? Luo Hao said lightly. Advertisement. Chapter 480. You are too outstanding, too powerful. Advertisement. I have to say that the mentality of people who take scientific research is bad. After all, he has not experienced the baptism of blood and rain. Dr. Genos' ability is absolutely beyond words. The One Punch Man world version of Orochimaru. Very dedicated to follow the research route for decades. Although he looks young, he is actually over 70 years old. There are many replicas, and he can control every clone. There is no betrayal. This is indeed remarkable. If you change to Orochimaru, it is estimated that you will have to play off. After all, the cyborgs created in Orochimaru's original time and space have caused a lot of trouble. If you come up with a copy of yourself, or a bunch of copies, it is estimated that the sky will be turned upside down. But Dr. Genos didn't take it off. A bunch of replicas are still more than capable. In this aspect, he is much better than his teacher, Ant Snake. It's not as easy as you think. This man named Saitama is unique. Although he is just an ordinary man, he has opened a limiter that no one has opened since ancient times. The thing like a limiter is not that the stronger the strength, the easier it is to open, but the stronger the strength, the harder it is to open it. Ordinary to ultimate life is the easiest to open the limiter. Because they are mediocre, extremely weak, and the restriction blockade is weaker than other outstanding beings. Dr. Genos deserves to be Dr. Genos. It's just an illusion, and I already have a great understanding of Saitama. Advertisement. He is also worthy of being the first human being to propose the concept of a limiter. Now, he also raised the limiter in front of Luo Hao. Maybe it's ordinary to ultimate, it's just extraordinary. In other words, the more extraordinary it is, the harder it is to open the limiter. The limiter is a thing that is constantly increasing the difficulty of opening with the strength and excellence of life. This may be the will of the universe, it may be the fairness that the gods endow the universe with life. Dr. Genos glanced at Luo Hao, then sighed deeply. Don't say it's a man like you who can beat even Saitama. Even if it's just me, there is no human being who opens the limiter in this life. So if you want to count on me to help you research the limiter and how to open it, then you are looking for the wrong one. This kind of thing is beyond the reach of human intelligence. This is a field that belongs to the gods, and it is the so-called gods who are truly above the universe. As a small human being, I can't do anything. Obviously, Dr. Genos is completely disheartened. At this time, he is the same as the original time and space, he has already given up the research, just find a job, or open a shop to spend the rest of his life. The more excellent a human being is, the more he has no way out. The more ordinary humans are, the more likely they are to open the limiter. Then why does he still study hard? Why does he still want to find ways to make the existing human beings better? Making all human beings incomparably excellent, isn't it tantamount to completely cutting off the hope that human beings on the earth will be born again like Saitama? Although this hope is extremely slim, the existence of Saitama at least gave Dr. Genos a hope. He also does not want to take action to wipe out the hope of mankind. It seems that this illusion has dealt a greater blow to you than I imagined. 0***0758113300745812171. Advertisement. Luo Hao could tell that Dr. Genos was really disheartened. Really don't want to dabble in research anymore. A scientist who does not have the spirit of scientific research, and the desire and will to explore and seek the truth despite everything will never achieve any amazing achievements. At least, Dr. Genos is not qualified to help him explore the limiter at all. You should be the kind of human being who will never be satisfied with the status quo. At least in terms of strength. You should have noticed that Saitama has turned on the limiter. Although you are stronger than him, if there is no accident, if you continue to maintain the current progress speed, you will be overtaken by Saitama sooner or later. 0.0. Even in the years to come, even if your strength improves further, it is useless if your training income does not decline, and you will still be overtaken. Because Saitama's training benefits will only increase with the improvement of strength. And you, when your strength reaches a certain critical point, your training benefits will be greatly reduced. That's why you want to find me and join hands with me to break the limiter. I can advise you, give up. You are too good, too strong. Obviously did not open the limiter, but has a force zone that crushes the pressure that opened the limiter. Your strength and excellence are the envy of the heavens. As it is, the gods will not allow you to open the limiter. At least, I don't have the ability to help you. Quote. Who is Dr. Genos? Maybe his power is not worth mentioning in front of Luo Hao, but in front of Saitama. But compared to Saitama, his wisdom is absolutely unfathomable. With just an illusion, he already figured out the reason for Luo Hao's visit. It's nothing more than joining hands with him to break the limiter. Advertisement. Chapter 481 Distinguished Heavenly Gods, Rewriting the Will of Dr. Genos. Advertisement. For Luo Hao's idea, Dr. Genos feels that there is nothing wrong with it. But he still refused. It's not that he doesn't want to, he thinks more than anyone else. Just because he knows how difficult it is. So he won't waste his time. The most important thing is that he has already figured out the way out. It is also true that he rejected Luo Hao's invitation without hesitation. It seems that your old heart has died. I don't even know if it's right or wrong to let you know about Saitama's existence. But that's okay. Even if your heart is extinguished, I can ignite you again. Luo Hao's words made Dr. Genos' face change slightly. April 13th. Can you still force me to do something I don't want to do? Research is not combat. If I don't have that fanatical and persistent heart, even if you have the power to penetrate the heavens and the earth, you still can't let me be used by you. Dr. Genos said in a deep voice. He has already made up his mind to find a shop for the rest of his life. And this idea is extremely firm. This is also true, even in the face of a man like Luo Hao who can crush Saitama, he did not back down in the slightest. I want you to be used by me, but I don't need the power of heaven. Just need to rekindle your heart. If you don't have a fanatical and persistent heart, I will give you one again. As Luo Hao said, the golden reincarnation Sharingan has been opened. Under the horrified gaze of Dr. Genos, the 9 jade hooks in the reincarnation Sharingan rotated rapidly, and finally the 9 jade hooks floating on the circles of golden ripples suddenly condensed into a line, turning into a right-angled dart-like pattern. Advertisement. This pattern is exactly the same as Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan pattern. It's the same except the color is not black. Distinguished heavenly gods. With a flat voice, Luo Hao's pupil power has reached Dr. Genos' brain. Although Dr. Genos is strong and intelligent, he doesn't have the strength of Sage of Six Paths. Facing Luo Hao's distinguished heavenly gods, he has no ability to resist. In an instant, Luo Hao's pupil power completely invaded his brain, crushed his spirit and thinking, and rewritten it as he wished silently. When does it begin? I can't wait to do my limiter research. But before that, you need huge funds and more advanced equipment to help. The most important thing is that you get the samples for the research. That is to say, it can be the only human being in the entire universe who has opened the limiter, Saitama's body tissue, preferably a blood sample. Just now, he was as desperate as he was, and wanted to close the House of Evolution, and then open a shop casually. Dr. Genos, who is still alive, has changed his thinking several times in Luo Hao's distinguished heavenly gods, and he is completely different from before. Now he is just as persistent and longing for scientific research as before when he had no contact with Saitama. It is still Dr. Genos who is committed to using his own wisdom and research to advance human evolution to a higher level. This is Saitama's blood. As for research instruments, funding, etc., you don't need to worry. I have a more advanced research base and scientific research talents than your home of evolution. The most important thing is to conduct research there, and absolutely no one will disturb you. Luo Hao spread out the palm of his right hand, and a ball of blood that looked no different from ordinary people emerged. Obviously, this is the blood he secretly collected after beating Chi Yu to vomit blood in his previous sparring with Chi Yu. Is this the human blood after opening the limiter? Advertisement. You actually got all these precious blood samples. But yes, looking at the whole earth, only you have the strength to get such blood from Chi Yu. Dr. Genos' eyes burst into a fiery light. 0. At this time, he was like a man who had been in prison for many years and was finally released when he saw a beautiful woman walking towards him in vain. Those fiery eyes wished to swallow the blood that belonged to Saitama in front of him. No way. He knows all too well how difficult it is to get Saitama's blood sample. With Saitama's body that cannot be shaken by ordinary planetary explosions, even if he stands still, Dr. Genos will not be able to extract blood by all means. No way. Saitama's physical body is too strong. How can you extract blood if you can't even break the defense? Even if you use a needle tube made of the hardest metal on the earth to pierce Saitama's eyes, it will not be pierced. His seemingly weak eyes are actually indestructible. In the deep core of Mars, it can withstand the damage caused by the explosion of the planet and the 3.5 attack of Luo Hao. Not to mention his body, even his eyes are not damaged at all. What do you have to pack? If not, we're leaving. Luo Hao said. Gone. Compared to studying Saitama's blood samples. All the research materials and materials in this base are not worth mentioning at all. Just stay here. If someone has the opportunity to enter this base in the future and is a scientific researcher, then it will be my reward for this lucky person. Dr. Genos waved his hand. Advertisement. Chapter 482 Changes in the Ninja World. Advertisement. In the opinion of the former Dr. Genos, this home base of evolution, which has carried his hard work for many years and produced countless scientific research achievements for him, is absolutely very important. Although, as long as others are there, even if the base is destroyed, it can be rebuilt. But after many years, there is some emotion after all. But after Luo Hao took out Saitama's blood, Dr. Genos immediately forgot about the evolution house. What evolutionary house? What all kinds of weirdos? The sum of these things is not worth mentioning in front of Saitama's blood. It is good. Seeing that Dr. Genos had nothing to take away, Luo Hao immediately opened the group chat system, activated the administrator's forced traversal function, and took Dr. Genos away from the world of One Punch Man under the surprised and dull eyes of Dr. Genos. When the two returned to the Hokage world, Luo Hao didn't give Dr. Genos any time to adapt to the new world, and directly transferred him to Ant Snake's research base on time and space ninjutsu. Since the great unification of the ninja world, the three members of the Sage of Six Paths family belonged to Konoha and became the three great sages of Konohagakure. Except for some wandering ninjas and small-scale fights involving ninja tasks, it is basically completely contested. And in the case of Konoha's absolute unity, such situations are becoming less and less. No matter what kind of wandering ninja, or the small ninja village who surrendered to Konoha, as long as the mission involves Konohagakure, or matches the mission performed by Konoha shinobi, they will basically be wiped out. This has also caused the situation in the ninja world to change bit by bit. The ninja's way of survival has also gradually evolved from spying on intelligence, assassination, war, etc. to being a bodyguard, or using ninjutsu for creation, and other walks of life. For example, many ninjas went to the showbiz to film movies, and the special effects of movies were saved. Konohagakure also produced dozens of ninja stars. Advertisement. Just because of their existence, not only their own income is more than 10 times that of the past every year, but they even bring huge income to Konohagakure. Of course, the same goes for ninjas moving into other industries. There is no need to assassinate, spy on intelligence, spy, or even go to the battlefield as before. The quality of life of the ninja has also been greatly improved. After realizing that the ninja world is constantly changing for the better, the Sage of Six Paths family, especially Sage of Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura, two immortals who are deeply attached to the ninja world, have no resistance to sitting in Konoha, and instead feel more belonging come stronger. Quality of life change for ninjas. Konohagakure's all-round strength has expanded, which has also led to the expansion of Ant Snake's research base again and again, and at the same time, his subordinates have also recruited a group of scientific research talents who specialize in research. From the previous research by himself, he led the general direction and left the rest to the students under him. And she herself is responsible for some confidential and extremely important research every day, and the rest of her time is spent raising babies. This is not. Luo Hao has just arrived at the research base, and Ant Snake, who doesn't like basking in the sun, is now sitting on a beach chair on the balcony basking in the sun for the first time. Yo, isn't this our fourth Hokage? Why did you come to my place suddenly today? Seeing Luo Hao appearing suddenly, Ant Snake had a little surprise on her face. Konoha is constantly expanding, and after the unification of the ninja world, Luo Hao has not become busy, but has become more leisurely. There are many capable people under his command, and he doesn't need to work hard for Konoha's affairs at all. He just needs to leave a shadow clone to control the overall situation a little bit. The same is true, Luo Hao is like a wild horse. Advertisement. Not like when I first took the position of fourth Hokage, often staying in Konoha. Instead, run around. It's either forced to travel to this world, or forced to travel to that world. Since the end of the Fourth World War, Ant Snake said she hadn't seen Luo Hao. Bring talents to the teacher, and let you have one more research project under your name by the way. While talking, Luo Hao activated the illusion. Let him understand the cause and effect clearly in just a few moments. There is such an unbelievable thing like 613. After opening the limiter, no matter how ordinary human beings only need to do such a simple and repeated exercise, they have the power to destroy the planet. After coming out of the illusion, Ant Snake's face was full of shock. At this moment, she didn't even bother to calm down. The main reason is that the news that Luo Hao brought back was too explosive. Honestly, I myself feel incredible. Although my current strength surpasses that of Saitama, but if I continue to stand still, it really only takes 2 months for him to surpass me. Moreover, this is based on the fact that Saitama's training benefits are still the same as before. Now that he has taken the chakra refining scroll, I can't guarantee that his training benefits will be promoted again. Luo Hao calmly looked at the shocked Ant Snake. After seeing Saitama's pervert, it would be really strange if Ant Snake could be calm. Advertisement. Chapter 483 When Ant Snake Met Dr. Genos. Advertisement. After all, this is a monster with star-bursting strength in only 3 years and only relying on basic strength training such as 100 push-ups. And this monster seems to have no upper limit. At least until now, Saitama's power is still expanding at an alarming rate. It seems that as long as he exercises, even a few blind exercises can improve his strength rapidly. Now I got Chakra's refining scroll, who knows how powerful he will be. Suddenly hearing that there are people like Saitama in this world, Ant Snake is naturally very interested. If all this is true, it would be incredible. Among the people I have come into contact with in my life, there is no one who can compare with you in terms of cultivation benefits. You are the kind of person who was born to be number one in the ninja world even if you lose kunai. But this Saitama is indeed a person who is even better than you in terms of cultivation income. After Ant Snake exclaimed, her eyes fell on Genos Borin who came with Luo Hao. This is Dr. Genos. He is also a scientist in the world where Saitama lives. It is also the root of life science. He has single-handedly created several monsters that can kill cage-level powerhouses with a single slap. After noticing Ant Snake's gaze, Luo Hao immediately introduced Dr. Genos briefly. Nice to meet you. I think you are the top ninja scientists mentioned by 4th Hokage. My name is Dr. Genos, nice to meet you. Dr. Genos took the initiative to extend his right hand to Ant Snake. Orochimaru, I think you should be called by Luo Hao to study the limiter. Advertisement. Ant Snake took a deep look at Dr. Genos. Fang Buddha is intuition, or it may be his insightful gaze. Just looking at Dr. Genos, she realized that the man in front of her was the same kind of person as her. Good. Things like limiters are simply not a field that mortals can touch. Even if my wisdom has surpassed that of ordinary people, it is still far out of reach. If you want to touch this field, you can only touch it if you gather many great talents in this field. I can't do it alone. And the technology in this world is different from the world I live in. Everything is derived from chakra, which is not the same as the materialistic world I live in. Maybe the cooperation between you and me can collide with some auras, sparks, and it is possible to pry open the gap of the limiter. Outside of Luo Hao's distinguished heavenly gods, Dr. Genos is still not disheartened after knowing the limiter. On the contrary, it is still the same as before, full of scientific research spirit. Even want to create new humans by researching limiters. Every human being is as powerful as Saitama. When he thought of such a feat, and when he thought that the great leap forward of human life was completed by Dr. Genos, he felt strong pride and excitement in his heart. I hope so too. After learning of Kyu's existence, Ant Snake didn't even bother raising a baby. He decided to do it himself. No way. This kind of experiment is really too important. Not only does it involve important secrets, other ninjas cannot intervene, and other ninjas do not have the ability to intervene. It's Saitama's blood. You can see how it is different from ordinary people. Advertisement. Luo Hao spread out his right hand, a ball of blood emerged from the palm. Under his chakra seal, the gob of blood was still intact in the form that Saitama had just spurted from his mouth. It can be said to be freshly baked. It is good. Hearing that the blood came from Saitama, Ant Snake and Dr. Genos showed hot eyes at the same time. Their eyes are exactly the same. It was as if he wanted to eat up the blood in his stomach. Is a character. Ant Snake noticed the expression of Dr. Genos, and nodded secretly in her heart. She doesn't know how powerful Dr. Genos is. However, as a scientific researcher, if you don't have this crazy energy, then unless you are a scientific genius who was born at the top, otherwise, your general achievements will not be much higher. Exclamation mark. And Dr. Genos is obviously a scientific researcher with the same crazy spirit as him. With such a person, she has the possibility of cooperation. At the same time, only such a person is qualified to cooperate with her, Li Liao Jiao, as a patrol. Seeing the two of them analyzing and observing Saitama's blood with a frantic look, Luo Hao didn't urge him either. He didn't leave, but sat in the garden beside him and waited quietly. In fact, what Ant Snake has learned, he will too. But Ant Snake is familiar with all kinds of scientific research methods that are mainly based on chakra and extended. It's just that he didn't position himself as a scientific researcher, because he lacked the crazy energy like Ant Snake and Dr. Genos. That being the case, professional things should be left to professional and persistent experts. He just needs to stand aside and wait for the results to come out. If these two people can't solve it, it's not too late for him to join in. Advertisement. Chapter 484 Ant Snake. Your blood is the same as Saitama. Advertisement. Unbelievable. In front of the laboratory table, Ant Snake with a big belly suddenly raised her head. At this moment, her beautiful face was full of shock. How could such a thing happen? This is simply against the norm. Dr. Genos' expression was not much better than Ant Snake's. His handsome face was also covered in disbelief. What's wrong? Luo Hao, who was sitting at the side drinking tea and eating snacks, while looking at a series of research results of the recent experimental base, saw the extremely shocked expressions of his two scientific research experts and couldn't help getting up and walking over. This is the report on Saitama after our observation and inspection. Ant Snake handed a report to Luo Hao. If it was Uchiha Sasuke, the disciple of the original time and space, then he was really worried that the other party would not understand. After all, that is the master who only knows 370 ways to cut people with a knife. Don't know what life science is. Don't even know how to use chakra for research, creation, and life. But for Luo Hao, she has no worries about this at all. When studying with her, Luo Hao not only learned all his skills, but also learned his scientific research skills. It's just that Luo Hao has no intention of doing research in this area. Otherwise, the title of the #1 scientist in the ninja world may not be able to continue to fall on her Ant Snake. Are you sure this is Saitama's report? After Luo Hao glanced at it, his eyes dropped slightly. We have repeatedly checked and analyzed it 3 times, and we can be sure that there is nothing wrong with it. This is indeed the report we analyzed from Saitama's blood sample. Dr. Genos rubbed his eyebrows. Advertisement. Although he knew that the research of the limiter was full of difficulties, there were almost no breakthroughs in a short period of time. But he never expected that just the first step, observing and analyzing Saitama's blood samples, would encounter huge difficulties. Impossible. Saitama's genes are no different from ordinary people. There is nothing special in the blood, and it is not a little different from the blood of ordinary people. Luo Hao also felt a little incredible. You must know that the stronger the strength and the stronger the physique, the life structure is often different from ordinary people. Even if they are just ninjas who have inherited the blood successor limit, the analysis results of their blood samples are different from ordinary people. And what about Kitama? That's the one-punch master. How could his blood be indistinguishable from that of ordinary people? Such ordinary blood, without any special energy, how can it support Saitama to sway the power of his star? Although I also find it incredible, I have ordered analysis and research many times. If the blood you brought back really belonged to the human who opened the limiter, then there is only one explanation. There's nothing wrong with this drop of blood. The problem is that the human being who opened the limiter should have some kind of trait. Ant Snake is Ant Snake after all. The research experience is rich DAAC, very much. The most important thing is that he has been sitting next to a disciple who was second only to Saitama in terms of pervert all these years, 4th Hokage Luo Hao. Therefore, he can calmly analyze strange things and draw conclusions quickly. What do you mean? Dr. Genos deserves to be the first person to come up with the word limiter. Hearing what Ant Snake said, he quickly reacted. Kitama's strength is so powerful, and all her strength comes from her physique. Then his blood, his genetic structure, etc. are absolutely impossible to be the same as ordinary people. Advertisement. Otherwise, it would be impossible to withstand such a terrifying power. The only explanation is that every human who turns on the limiter has some characteristics. That is, when this drop of blood is in Kitama's body, it must be full of infinite mysteries, but once it leaves Kitama's body, it will immediately turn into ordinary blood that is no different from ordinary people. Because this drop of blood left Saitama's body that opened the limiter. Now that he has left his body, it is normal to return to the blood of Saitama before the limiter was opened. Ant Snake looked at Luo Hao while talking. What's wrong? Luo Hao asked. Actually, a similar situation happened to me many years ago. This man's blood is the same as Saitama's. Ant Snake said. You mean the 4th Hokage? Dr. Genos followed Ant Snake's eyes and looked at the 4th Hokage. There was a flash of surprise in his eyes. Yes, Luo Hao is a monster that even Saitama can defeat. How is it possible to have a power greater than Saitama Ring if there are no similar qualities to Saitama? When you were still studying at the ninja school, I once helped you do a physical examination. At that time, if you fully exploited your hidden strength, I would like to kill me at that time, our 3rd Hokage. With this powerful body, your body data must be different from ordinary people. Surpass human beings in every way. But after I checked your body for you, do you know what data I got? Ant Snake stared at Luo Hao with burning eyes. Is it the same as Saitama? Luo Hao's eyes flashed, and he speculated. Advertisement. Chapter 485 opened half of the limiter. Advertisement. It can't be said that it's exactly the same. But it's pretty much the same. Ant Snake stared at Luo Hao, then nodded. What's the difference? A trace of curiosity flashed in Luo Hao's eyes. The moment Saitama's blood left his body, it immediately turned back to ordinary human blood. It's as if it degenerates directly from the posture after opening the limiter to when the limiter is not turned on. And your blood, after leaving your body, still contains terrifying energy to the ultimate. And from the analysis of blood, your life structure is far beyond the scope of human beings. But this situation lasts for a short time. After another 5 seconds, I will observe your blood again, and find that it is the same as Saitama's blood, and has become no different from ordinary people. Ant Snake raised 5 fingers. Master Hokage, please forgive me for being rude. Can I see your blood? Since Orochimaru said that your blood is almost identical to Saitama's, that means there should be some kind of similarity between you. If you figure it out, maybe you can find a way to break the limiter. Dr. Genos deserves to be a person who is desperate for research. Even Luo Hao's blood, he dared to ask for such a secret and taboo matter. Luo Hao didn't care about this. Not to mention, as Ant Snake said, his blood will quickly turn back to ordinary blood after leaving his body. What if it doesn't change? With his strength, what belongs to him, he can bestow, or take back at any time. Advertisement. So is blood. Dr. Genos, who got a drop of Luo Hao's blood as he wished, immediately ran to the laboratory table for analysis and observation. 10 minutes later, he rushed back with excitement on his face. Found it. Your blood is highly similar to Saitama's, it can be said to reach 99%. In other words, you are also a human being who has touched the limiter field. Even when the limiter may be broken by half or more by you, you are just like Saitama. However, it is 1% that determines the fundamental difference between the two of you. I'm assuming you've been exposed to chakra too early. This kind of extraordinary power allows you to quickly gain powerful power, but it also allows you to quickly get rid of the ordinary. The end result is that your limiter isn't fully open. Quote. Dr. Genos said to Luo Hao excitedly. Limiters, what a weird thing. But if what you guessed is true, then there is some truth to it. Saitama was just an ordinary person before he turned on the limiter, and the training he was exposed to was the 100 push-ups and the like. This kind of basic exercise, even if it is exercised by extremely talented people, the benefits are pitifully small. For ordinary people like Saitama who open the limiter but are useless, the benefits are naturally less. Ant Snake murmured, cultivation is a matter of talent, and it is very important. Just look at Saitama-sensei and you'll know. The same exercise method, in his hands, can be a star, but in the hands of others, he will be healthier for a lifetime. And that's all. It is precisely because Kitama is ordinary and unremarkable that no matter how much he exercises, he earns little. Advertisement. Add this basic strength workout and the benefits are even less. Therefore, before turning on the limiter, no matter how he exercises, his strength will not change. Also because the strength has not changed, Saitama was finally able to open the limiter. 0 for flowers. Think about it, 3 years. Maintaining this training method, suppressing the slightest increase in strength, ensuring that the difficulty of opening the limiter is not increased, but in the end it took Saitama almost 3 years to open the limiter. The more Dr. Genos talked, the more excited he became. No way. This is also the only thing he has found so far that Luo Hao and Saitama have in common, and the only reason why Luo Hao's limiter is not fully opened, but Saitama is fully opened. Although, this is not a breakthrough. After confirming that his hypothesis was correct, it couldn't help him and Ant Snake to open the limiter. But this is already a breakthrough for him. After all, he knew about the horror of the limiter and the difficulty of opening it. It would be strange if research progressed by leaps and bounds on the first day. 3 years. That is to say, when I accepted Luo Hao as an apprentice before he graduated from the ninja school and taught him ninjutsu, not only did I not cultivate him, but I was harming him instead. Ant Snake's face darkened slightly. Ninja training is different from other worlds. It was the era of World War II. In addition, the sooner the cultivation of chakra can be carried out, the better, in order to make Luo Hao one step faster, so when he discovered Luo Hao's unusualness, he immediately accepted him as a disciple. But if Genos' assumption is correct, then his actions back then not only did not make Luo Hao successful, but restricted Luo Hao's growth. His disciple finally opened half of the limiter, but in the end he regambled the limiter that Luo Hao was about to fully open. Thinking of this made her feel extremely uncomfortable. She is tantamount to cutting off the bright future of her disciple. Ding. Advertisement. Chapter 486. This time I confiscated a father. Advertisement. Teacher, you can't say that. When Saitama and I grew up, the world was different. At that time, the ninja world was in an era of wars and turmoil. Assuming you didn't teach me ninjutsu at that time, do you think that in the era of World War II, I, who was just an ordinary person, could have 3 years to do this kind of strength training like Saitama? Seeing Ant Snake's expression change drastically, and Snake's pupils showing guilt and remorse, Luo Hao shook his head. His views are completely different from Ant Snake's. After all, the world he and Saitama live in are completely different. At that time, even if he was opening the limiter, what was the use without strength? 150 went to the battlefield, and it was gone with one blow. Even Saitama was born in a relatively peaceful world of One Punch Man. But on the way to open the limiter, he is also in danger. The monster fighters in the early stage were also covered in bruises. Even Kyu is like this, let alone him in World War II. If you can't even save your life, even if the limiter is turned on, it's useless. On the contrary, now, although the limiter is only half opened, at least he has the power to surpass Saitama. And with this strength, he can also work hard on the limiter again. It doesn't matter if it doesn't open. With the chat skirt of Wanjie, traveling to different worlds and contacting different power systems, he doesn't think he will be surpassed by Saitama. Genos, if you just noticed so much, you shouldn't be so elated. Tell me, what else did you discover? Ant Snake couldn't help but feel warm when she heard Luo Hao's comfort from the bottom of her heart. This wave of his disciples is not wrong. Finally, unlike the original Time and Space, other Sanin's apprenticeships are basically equivalent to accepting daughters and sons, but he accepts Uchiha Sasuke as an apprentice, but in fact he accepts a father. Advertisement. That's what I've come to from looking at everything between Saitama and 4th Hokage. 4th Hokage has a lot in common with Saitama. The only difference is only one. That is, the 4th generation has come into contact with the training system that can make the strength skyrocket. And Saitama has been training with basic strength for 3 years, and he broke the limiter abruptly. That is to say, the key to preventing Lord 4th generation from opening the limiter is strength. While talking, Genos looked at Luo Hao. Strength. Luo Hao looked down at his hands. He also didn't expect Dr. Genos to come up with this hypothesis. Of course, in addition to power, there is also a leap forward in life form. From the analysis of 4th Hokage's blood, it can be seen that his life form has completely surpassed the scope of human beings. But it is different from Saitama's life form after opening the limiter. Saitama entered a new field because the limiter was broken. And Master 4th Hokage is because of strength. Through the many power systems he cultivated, he made a leap forward from the outside to the inside. Although both are evolving, 4th Hokage lags behind Saitama in terms of the essence, form, level, and speed of evolution of life. Because he only turned on the normal limiter. Dr. Genos held up 2 fingers. You mean that if I want to open the limiter, I must first abandon my current power, and then let me change back to an ordinary person from the inside out. Luo Hao glanced at Genos. Good. Your strength, your life form beyond the human category. The combination of these two will increase the difficulty of opening the limiter infinitely. Advertisement. The existence of these two is equal to 2 shackles. Lock down your limiter hard. The stronger your strength and the higher your evolutionary level, the tighter this lock will be. So it does not exist that the stronger you are, the easier it is to open the higher life level. Of course, if you become an omnipotent god and can freely create life that opens the limiter, then it's a different matter. But such gods, in my opinion, only exist in our human fantasy. Genos clearly does not believe in such an omnipotent god. In his opinion, existences like Luo Hao and Saitama are already living gods. 0. As long as such an existence does not die, and continues to practice and evolve, it will be a true godlike existence. Think about it. The world, and beyond, is so peaceful. Even Konoha is the same. In one day, Konoha and the ninja world can have smooth weather, and the country is safe and peaceful, not because of how superb your security methods are. But you have the power to suppress all evil spirits. Ant Snake was afraid that Luo Hao would be impulsive at 2.1, so in order to open the limiter, Lien hit the ground and combined her strength. Don't worry, teacher. After all, this is just Dr. Genos' assumption. Not necessarily true. Naturally, I wouldn't be so reckless to give up my power because of a hypothesis. Luo Hao shook his head. He valued the limiter very much, but he hadn't valued it enough to give up his own strength. Unless there is a new breakthrough in the research of Genos and Ant Snake, it is certain that he can open the limiter as long as he gives up this power. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it at all. Advertisement. Chapter 487 God-Making Duo. Ant Snake, Genos. Advertisement. To sit on the position of Hokage firmly requires invincible strength in the world. To sit firmly in the position of the administrator of the chat room, you need to be invincible in the chat room. These Luo Hao are very clear. Of course he wouldn't do it just because of an assumption made by Genos. If you think so, I'm relieved. The limiter thing is not in a hurry either. You have a long lifespan anyway, and we've only just dabbled in limiter research. Over time, we may be able to find other ways to break through. Or, if you travel around other worlds, you may well find a better way. After hearing that Luo Hao had no intention of giving up her strength, Ant Snake also breathed a sigh of relief. Although Konoha is extremely powerful now, even if Luo Hao is no longer there, just sending out a high-level executive can suppress the entire Nancy. Not to mention the 3 great sages, just 30 is the might guy, Hitaki Sakumo and other high-level Konoha, any one of them will be invincible. But it is precisely because Konoha is so powerful that no one can check and balance. Once there is no existence that can suppress and control so many strong people, then Konoha will inevitably usher in prosperity and decline, and civil strife will continue. If there is no suppression by Luo Hao, one will not be able to handle it well. It's normal for Nuota's leaves to fall apart in minutes. After all, Namikaze Minato and Naruto are so powerful that they can be friends with each other, but they may not be able to be subordinates. It is impossible to obey others like Luo Hao. There will also be Luo Hao sitting on the position of Hokage, holding the power to suppress the ninja gods, so that Konoha can last forever. This is also the safest way. That's why I brought Dr. Genos here. The limiter will be handed over to you too. If we can really research a way to make other people open the limiter, even if the success rate is 1%, or even 0.1%, it will be amazing. Luo Hao nodded and agreed with Ant Snake's proposal. Indeed. Advertisement. When Genos heard the words, he also deeply agreed. The probability of 0.1 sounds naturally very small. But in front of the huge population base, it will be different. Not to mention anything else, based on the current population of the ninja world. At least there are hundreds of millions of them. Hundreds of millions of people have a 0.1 chance of opening the limiter, so how many more monsters like Saitama are there? Thinking about it is very scary. I'll try my best. Ant Snake nodded solemnly. He also knows the importance of the limiter research project. It is absolutely superior to the fruit of the sacred tree, Hogyoku countless times. Once successful, the benefits will be unimaginable. After all, once the limiter is turned on, it is equivalent to opening a road to the gods. And being able to create a method to open the limiter is undoubtedly a god-making person. Whether it is Ant Snake or Genos, they no longer care about honor and fame. They only care that it's all done by their hands. Doctor, I will let you arrange your identity and residence for you. From now on, you can live in Konoha. If you need anything, just tell the teacher. Luo Hao said to Genos. Genos nodded. He doesn't care about anything else. Where to live, where to go, treatment, he doesn't care at all. What he cares about is the study of the limiter. Advertisement. As long as Luo Hao can satisfy his request, everything else doesn't matter. Teacher, then everything will be shot at you. I still have something to do, let's go first. Luo Hao waved his hand, the person has disappeared. After leaving Ant Snake's research base, he went home and went out with Tsunade for a few turns of the car, clocked in a wave, and made sure to drive for a while every day to ensure that the performance of the supercar would not be reversed due to long-term inactivity. Leaving the ninja world again. But this time, he did not leave the Hokage world through the skirt chat system, but cast the imperial center of the sky and entered the first ball space. Sage art end of heaven and earth. Luo Hao stood in the first ball space, looked at the sky quietly for a while, and then snapped his hands together. A series of chakra chains that were as black as ink shot out in all directions. Some are inserted deep into the ground, as if submerged into the sky. In the end, all these 437 chains disappeared. If the Sage of Six Paths family were there, they would definitely find that the starting ball space was completely blocked. Even if they have the imperial center of the sky, the pupil power is as strong as Kagayaji's family of 3, and they can't use the imperial center of the sky together to enter Luo Hao's first ball space. Not only that, in addition to being blocked, the starting ball space has also been reinforced. You can neither enter from the outside nor go out from the outside. Only by working hard with the qualifications of ordinary people can we hope to break through the limit and break the shackles of the limiter. A flash of thought flashed in Luo Hao's eyes. After pondering for a moment, his whole body was radiant. The terrifying breath spreads out. The entire ball space began to vibrate. Fortunately, this space has been sealed and reinforced by his sage art world. Otherwise, just this breath would be enough to cause Shichiu's space to collapse. Genos, let me see if your conjecture is true. In the light, Luo Hao walked out slowly. Advertisement. Chapter 488. From now on there can only be one emperor, and that is Laozi. Advertisement. Luo Hao promised Ant Snake that she would not give up her power. But that doesn't mean he won't give it a try. If Dr. Genos' hypothesis is true, as long as he turns back to an ordinary person to open the limiter, then he only needs to be an ordinary person. You don't need to give up your strength at all. Just like now, Luo Hao walking out of the light, just like when he just crossed into the ninja world, he is completely an ordinary person. His body is weak, far inferior to his peers in the ninja world. It can be said, such a physique is not suitable for cultivation at all, and it is impossible to survive in this war-torn ninja world. But the weird thing is, after he took root in this world, he gradually showed a heaven-defying cultivation talent. And after each day passes, the speed of cultivation and the benefits will be faster and greater than the previous day. Gradually, he became the ninja of the ninja world. Afterwards, he was even more out of control, and has been skyrocketing. Even the strength of One Punch Man Saitama is not as good as him. But now, he has turned back into an ordinary person again. Just like when he just crossed the ninja world back then, that ordinary person who was just like Saitama at the beginning, who couldn't even do 100 push-ups. If the blockage of the limiter is due to my extraordinariness, then I have lost my extraordinary power now, and I have become that ordinary human being again. Genos, I hope you are right. Luo Hao muttered to himself, and then started the basic strength training exactly the same as Saitama. 100 push-ups, 100 squats. Advertisement. At the same time when Luo Hao was staying in the ball space and trying to open the limiter, Whitebeard, who was far away in the Grand Line of Pirate World, had already led his Whitebeard pirates into the second half of the Grand Line Duan, that is, the sea area of New World. Father, we have entered Big Mom's territory. Are you sure you really want to attack Big Mom? On the deck of the Moby DK, Margot walked up to Whitebeard with a serious face. Isn't this matter already discussed? From now on, New World can only have one emperor, and that is Laozi. There will be no such thing as 4 emperors in the future. Long before being beaten by Saitama Habian, Whitebeard had already decided to attack Kaido and Charlotte Linlin. Later, in the skirt chat, Whitebeard, who was beaten by Saitama on the ground in front of the crowd, was upset when he failed to pretend. Charlotte Linlin became his punching bag. If you don't find someone to rub against the ground, it will be hard to get rid of the depression caused by his pretend failure. Shame is a trivial matter. The most important thing is that he not only loses face, but also loses his third position. From third to fourth directly. This made Whitebeard, a guy in his 70s and 80s, smell a sense of crisis. This time, Saitama appeared and squeezed him to fourth place. There will be a few more bald heads in that day, won't his Whitebeard's ranking in the chat skirt of Wanjie continue to retreat? How can this work? Advertisement. Whitebeard, who has gradually gained the reputation of being a madman and a king of pirates in the skirt chat, cannot tolerate this kind of thing happening again and again. For this reason, he must control everything in the pirate world. Only in this way can he mobilize all the resources of the pirate world, and do whatever he wants. Only in this way can he grow rapidly. The most important thing is that he found that in the skirt chat, except for Billion and Zhang Chulin, everyone else is a supreme existence in their own world. Cheomung has already pulled up an army of divine beasts and super divine beasts in the world of elves, and led countless elves to revolt and fight against human beings. Now the elf world has been divided into 2, and a huge elf empire has been established to oppose humans. As long as the elves are within the territory of the elf empire and registered as a member of the elf empire, human trainers cannot capture them, otherwise it is tantamount to provoking Cheomung, the super beast king of the elf empire. In this way, Cheomung changed from a lonely super beast to the king of super beasts ruling the elf world. In the big elf world, all resources are at his disposal. The same is true for Acedes. The emperor who killed the world with red pupils, the ministers were killed by her with a sword long ago. Nuo Da's empire has already taken on a new look under her power, and she also spent a month Nuo Ma Hao madly expanding its territory. Expand the territory of the empire all the way to the west, and destroy the only country in the west that can compete with the empire. Now Acedes is a veritable queen in the world of Crimson Pupil. Supreme Queen. That's why Mewtwo set off to the world of Crimson pupils, set up a research institute with the seeds, and gathered the resources of the two worlds Genichi to create Hogyoku and the Sacred Tree, instead of going to the world of pirates to join hands with Whitebeard. Because the pirate world is relatively turbulent, Whitebeard is a pirate lord after all. And not the supreme pirate leader. There are also 3 kings who are equally famous. Advertisement. Chapter 489 3 Emperors United. Advertisement. In addition, Marine and world government are also chasing him fiercely, watching him like a tiger. And the Revolutionary Army, numerous dark emperors, and more. Such a complex force and such a chaotic environment are simply not suitable for research. So Chaomung directly put the research institute in the world where a seeds has the final say. As for the newcomer Saitama, although he is so poor that he can only live by staring at the discounts in the supermarket, but that is because he has never regarded himself as an extraordinary person, nor has he regarded himself as a god, nor has he thought about using his own power to change anything. I don't care about daily life, power, wealth, etc. To put it simply, he just needs to continue to hang out. Don't worry about everything else. There is no need to pay so much price and effort to become stronger like a seeds and the others. The life of cheating is so happy and boring. And Aizen Sosuke, let alone. The Soul Society was wiped out by Luo Hao. The remaining Hueco Mundo, in this world, don't you just play with 870 as he does. And Hogyoku, the God Tree Seed Captain Aizen already has it. There is no need to be as troubled as Acetus, Mewtwo, Whitebeard and others. As for Billion, forget it, he's just as bad as ever. I want to make a profit, but I don't want to be noticed, which leads to countless troubles. If you want to wear a crown, you must bear its weight. And Billion wants to wear the crown, but she doesn't want to bear all the burdens of wearing the crown. This also caused him to have Jackie Chan's talent, but he could only make small noises in the skirt chat, and couldn't take care of the bottom roll. After thinking for a while, Whitebeard realized that his situation was not much better than that of Billion. At least the world of One Piece is not what he decides at all. Advertisement. The place where he really has the final say is only a quarter of New World's territory. How can Whitebeard accept this? Coupled with being beaten up by Saitama's bald head, whether for profit or to vent his anger, Whitebeard has no intention of continuing to exist in Sanwong. Sweep the Grand Line and control the world of pirates from New World, from the 4 emperors. But Daddy, seeing Whitebeard's determined look, Margot couldn't help but hesitate to speak. Say farts. Coyly, who is this for? Whitebeard said while drinking. Father, it is so. Both Big Mom and Kaido felt threatened because we didn't hide what we were doing. Now they've all formed an alliance. Even the red-haired Shanks, who has always been close to us, seems to have frequent contact with Big Mom and Kaido. I'm worried that no matter which one of the 3 emperors you attack, you will be attacked by the crowd immediately. Margaret said worriedly. As for the 3 emperors, no matter which one you face alone, with the strength of our Whitebeard pirates, you can crush them. But if you face the 2, you can only gain the upper hand, if you face the 3 emperors at the same time. When Ace said this, his tone paused slightly, and he didn't say any more. But what he meant, all the captains present understood. Apparently, Ace, who was beaten by the society, suffered a lot in the Summit War, and even almost cost Whitebeard his fortune, has finally grown up. No longer as confident, unruly, impulsive and blind as before. He has begun to learn to measure gains and losses. Changed before. Advertisement. He has the same temperament as Whitebeard before. Whitebeard is 3rd and he's 4th. A man who knows he is the son of Luo Jia, but throws away Garp's protection and goes to sea to seek death. Met Whitebeard, but he was restless practicing hockey, and wandered around. A person who knows that he is 70 or 80 years old, with hidden wounds all over his body, dares to attack Naval Headquarters. In a sense, Whitebeard and Ace are more father-son than Ace and Luo Jia. It's just that both of them are unlucky bastards. They are all eradicated. Oh, that kid Shanks got involved with Kaido too. This is really beyond Laozi's expectation. Whitebeard's eyelids twitched slightly. If Ace was beaten by society in Summit War, then Whitebeard has been beaten by Luo Hao in skirt chat for a long time. He is very clear about the strength of his own pirate group, and also very clear about his own experience. It is really not a problem to fight against the 3-4 emperors with one's own strength. But before he could decide the winner with the 3-4 emperors, his sons were probably killed by the 3 emperors, pirates. This can't work. It took me decades to pull up such a Sun pirate group. How could it be possible that the Grand Line has not yet ruled, and just beat the New World's 3 emperors and killed all the sons? Although he said that if his father didn't die for a day, his son could continue to accept him, but he, Whitebeard, is not so cruel yet. Father, I'm sorry, we are the ones holding you back. Diamond Joe said with a face of shame. He and Margot are the captains who know about the chat. Advertisement. Chapter 490 Ant is dead, even Jesus can't stay, Laozi said. Advertisement. For Whitebeard's current strength, he is very clear. Definitely a master who won't have any problems beating the 3 emperors. But after all, Whitebeard is not strong enough to be 3 kings in an instant, at least it will take a long time to decide the winner. But this long time is enough for Red Hair Pirates, BIGMON Pirates, and Beasts Pirates to kill their Whitebeard Pirates. In the end, it is estimated that even if their sons can survive, the only ones who can support Whitebeard to decide the victory are Marco, Ace, and Yijigu. As for the others, including him, Diamond Joes, they probably have already gone to meet Yan Luo of One Piece world. If there is King Yama in the pirate world. What nonsense. It's only natural for a father to protect his son. If Laozi can't protect you, it's not that you are weak, but it's Laozi's fault. When Whitebeard heard what Diamond Joe said, he immediately dropped the bottle. That's who he is. If there is anything wrong with the son, he will bear it. Not to mention that Diamond Joe's was right this time. Attacking the three sovereigns is just his idea. Then father, should we fight against the three emperors or not? The forces of the New World are intricate, and it is definitely not just the three emperors who are eyeing us, but also the Marine, world government. Once we start a war with the three emperors, the Marine and world government probably won't be watching from the sidelines. They got so much from 4th Hokage. It is estimated that those old immortals who can no longer be beaten in the last era will regain their youth. In addition, after focusing on the war, the world government and Marine have always regarded our Whitebeard pirates as a thorn in their side and a thorn in their flesh. We are going to war with the three sovereigns, and when they receive the news, they will definitely come over as soon as possible. Advertisement. Malcolm takes a look at Whitebeard. Now among the four emperors, the Whitebeard pirates is the one with the strongest comprehensive strength and top combat power. Started to learn Hockey's ace, Fangpo finally triggered the bloodline of Luo Jia's One Piece, and his strength soared like a rocket. In addition, Whitebeard also passed Ace Chakra, so that his Mera Mera fruit will not be restrained by Lava Lava fruit, and his strength has already entered the Admiral level. Even if it is against the Red Dog, he is not timid at all. Not to mention, Whitebeard has a new son who's ABCH. Although the degree of cheating is far inferior to that of Saitama, it is also Shinigami's #1 cheater. He groaned in a hurry, and exploded without a moon, even Whitebeard could rub against the ground. With such strength, as long as Whitebeard does not act rashly, the other three will not dare to fight easily even if they form an alliance. Similarly, Marine and world government dare not declare war easily. After all, Kaido and the others are not idiots. In Summit War, Marine lost Kizaru, but got a bunch of Hashirama cells from Luo Hao. How about, father, let's postpone this action for now. Anyway, Dad, now that you are young again, don't worry. Foil Vista suggested. Hold on. No, Auntie is doomed, even Jesus can't stay, Laozi said. When Whitebeard heard this, he immediately vetoed through gritted teeth. If he hadn't been rubbed against the ground by Saitama's bald head, and his anger wasn't so bad, then it would be nothing to give up. But Whitebeard, who was pinned down by Saitama and rubbed on the ground, desperately needed to become stronger, and at the same time wanted to find someone to beat him to breathe out. How could Whitebeard give up? 0 for flowers. After all, he is so reckless that he dares to fight even knowing Saitama's strength. Advertisement. Not even Saitama can make Whitebeard take a step back from pretending. How can a mere ant make him give up? All right. Needless to say, Aunt Laozi is determined. As for the other four emperors, there's Marine and world government, huh? Are they the only ones who can't do it? Is there no one above and behind Laozi? It's okay for them to watch Laozi pretend in peace. If they dare to break the rules and dare to make trouble at this time, let's see if Laozi doesn't call for someone to beat them to death. 0. Seeing that Ace and the others were still worried, Whitebeard couldn't help saying loudly. Yup, there's a 4th Hokage behind Dad. When Marco heard this, his eyes lit up. Even if Dad didn't invite 4th Hokage this time, but with such a big group and so many members, Dad's charisma must have made many friends. It's even possible that some of the members of the skirt chat became his sons. Diamond Joes and Margot look at each other. Really don't say it. They both really got it right. Although the number of skirt chats is not many, there are still 2 members who became Whitebeard's sons when they were young and ignorant. And among these 2 sons, although one is always at the bottom and is basically useless in such a large-scale war, the other son is different. Although Cheomung is not human, it is much more useful than the other human son, Billion. There are countless elves under his command, and there is also an army composed of super beasts, mythical beasts, and quasi-sacred beasts. Once Cheomung pulls this army over, even the 4 emperors can wipe out the corpses.